Thank you for joining us at the SMITE Global Series. We're happy to have you. Finch here. I've got Anatoly with me as well, and we're going to be taking a look at Brazil today, where I know we got a ton of great talent.
No ping against ETs is going to be that first matchup that we're going to see. A lot of interesting things between these two teams, a lot of history. As we look at the standings from earlier on, I can expect to see a lot of good stuff from at least ETs.
Absolutely. I mean, both these teams, definitely have some experience with them. ETs not only has Oship on there, who was at HRX with that Black Dragon squad, but they played up against Purple Swarm in week 2, I think it was, or phase 2. We switched over to more like the league format here now, and they came in second for that phase as well. So I know this ETs team has a lot that they're able to show us, and then they're going to be going up against No Ping. So hopefully be able to give them a really good challenge here today.
We'll see, because No Ping, they need to bounce back after their week 1 loss to Black Dragons, whereas ETs, they found the victory over Nargs, so we'll see what they're able to do in week 2.
Now, there's no hard feelings dropping the set to Black Dragons.
Oh, absolutely not.
So that team, I think Black Dragons are legit contenders to take some games off some SPL teams, to be honest. So, I mean, this is great practice for the entire Brazil region. When they get to go up against them, they're always getting better. I love when we get to watch their match.
Historically, Black Dragons has always been the Brazilian team that a lot of these other players look up to in their own region. But this time around, they're out for blood. They got to the Spring Masters land. They couldn't really perform with the best international team, so that's why their other teams are really looking for their chance in the sun.
That's right. They know that they can get a chance to make it there. Black Dragons, as strong as they are untouchable. So that's why these sets, like here between ETs and No Ping, it's so important. That's how you get up there. We're able to challenge them. So it's going to be very important for the team that's able to come out with this set victory. In fact, we got the picks and bans ready, so we should be able to get those up on the screen for you here in just a moment.
And like you were saying before, Oship joining ETs, he used to be in Black Dragons for just so long, so he has a lot of knowledge about their strategies and just the player tendencies. And with this maybe potential all-star lineup that ETs is kind of forming, they're trying to find their way and claw their way into the international scene between Margot Anna playing in the solo lane, having a lot of experience and just a lot of aggression out of there. We could see a lot of action between Oship and Margot.
I'm expecting so. I expect that's where ETs is going to play through. Solo jungle could be a very strong combination. Sometimes we see like mid jungle, but I think that with ETs, I'd not be surprised if there's some aggression towards their opposing solo laner. As already, take a look at some of these bans. Very standard. The Habwa, the Thoth, the Surcat, the Guan Yu. Thoth might be one that kind of slips in, doesn't always get banned, but certainly a valuable pick.
Habwa definitely that counter pick against Silva that knows to play aggressive. And when you're trying to counter that aggression, you go for a defensive mid laner with a rod that has a lot of range to follow up off of your front line.
And kind of like a Thoth in its own right? They're both the big long range birds, I guess. Yeah, that's fair to say.
They both laugh.
They're brothers, cousins, chuckling friends. That's going to be the first pick here for No Ping. And on the other side, though, it is going to be the Achilles coming up, paired up with a Robin. Two very strong warriors, and I got to think that this is our solo jungle combo, just like we were saying.
It doesn't matter if it's Achilles jungle and Robin solo or vice versa, because that is going to be the aggression you need to dominate the solo lane. So No Ping has to be mindful about this when they look for their pick in the solo and the jungle. They can't be too passive and let this Achilles Robin just really take off and start invading the blue buff to transition in that mid game.
Now, this is a little bit early for the ROM pick, I'm thinking. Not early to pick their hunter, but I mean, Xbalanque, Hachiman, and Artemis. There's a lot of very strong hunters that are still available, and they're choosing to prioritize the ROM right away. And then they're going to pair up that with the Unbox, one of the best team-fighting junglers there is, so that always is a strong pick.
Ufeli on No Ping wants to play that late-game hunter that has a lot of long-range follow-up from whenever Hunbats is going to aggress. Yes, Artemis and Xbalanque definitely has that late-game potential that you're looking for, but ROM's basic attacks with the pick-me-up steroid is good in its own right, and not to mention being able to not chase people, but make sure that they don't get away with Astral Barrage is what you're looking for.
Well, now the Xbalanque is going to come in to make that Achilles-Robin duo even scarier when he's able to drop that Darkest of Night. So if they do want to go aggressive solo jungle, even without being there, he can sort of make that gank easier or that invade easier.
It's going to be important to make sure that No Ping doesn't allow those early stacks from the Xbalanque, trying to avoid combating him and get that extra 5 power per stack.
And then just to turn their eye directly towards that Guardian role by taking away the Athena and the Geb. And I like that. Those are two pretty strong ones. Not just that, but the global presence from the Athena. Very difficult to deal with. Get those off the board, and now you're free to pick up a big burst mage for your own right in the Discordia.
ETs are just getting more aggressive in the solo lane by proxy, because Discordia passive is going to help that out. If Margot playing the Achilles just keeps being a bully, which Achilles should be, then She's going to get the passive stacks from the Discordia and looking to extend that advantage even further. And with his Hell locked in and a Rod, that means one of those mages is going in the solo lane, and Achilles should be having a swell of a time.
That is pretty bold, I would say, to pick that into this aggressive jungle solo matchup. So we'll see if the Hell can get off the ground. Khepri does help you keep you alive, but Khepri not going to be helping you over in the solo lane.
If No Ping can get to that mid to late game, then their composition actually works out quite heavily. They have double sustain, they have a revive on Khepri, they have damage reduction from the Khepri's Rising Dawn, so they have a lot of avenues covered with the control aspect from the Hunbats, but they just need to survive the early game aggression because Margot Anna actually not piloting the Achilles, opting to go for that support position instead, but still an aggressive matchup between the Erlang Shen and the Robin.
And when I saw the Erlang Shen come in, that was when I thought we'd probably be seeing the Achilles come over to support. That was the last pick that ETES was able to make there in their pick ban phase. So it is going to be the Erlang Shen and the Robin combination, foregoing a Guardian altogether, really, from this composition. They really trust these warriors to sort of bring that surprise damage from your more supporty positions and try and help catch No Ping off guard a little bit.
And Discordia is good enough magical damage in its own right to allow this kind of quadra physical damage. I'm not too worried for ETs in that right. I just need to see a little bit of early game aggression in both side lanes because that's what they certainly drafted. So if they don't get that off, then No Ping can run away with this one.
And to me, there's a lot on Oship here in the jungle on this Robin pick because they're playing 4 warriors who want to kind of get ahead on you, want to be able to rely on those base stats that warriors have so that even if they do build damage that they're still tanky enough to be able to dive you. And I feel like Oship's kind of got to be the catalyst for that for this team. And
that's why he opted for the Blink, trying to make his presence felt a little bit earlier in the presence in the dual lane. Ufeli trying to escape.
Already some trouble here for the Hunter. For No Ping, forced to back off. Exit was right there with him. His support to try and help get some damage on him, but not quite enough. Didn't have to use the beads, but Sprint did come out from both supports, so those relics will be on cooldown.
A little bit of a wash, but with Ufeli being this slow, he has to burn a lot of his health potions, leaving a lot of freedom for EXT that hasn't gotten poked out whatsoever. Still sitting on 3 health potions and the 1 multi-potion. Then Tola peeling for his Hunter, but honestly, ETs could easily switch on the Khepri and bait him out after that dash.
That could be the call here. Stentola is trying to back up for Ufeli just a little bit here. A little bit of an advantage actually going the way of Exit, already level 3. A little bit over ahead of Ufeli. Not too surprised when he was able to push him out of lane earlier, but I'm still worried about Spexzilla over here in the solo lane going up against Margot. I mean, that's not the easiest matchup. The Hell into the Erlang Shen. It's not quite as much pressure as the Achilles would have been, but beads come out of Exit over here in the dual lane. But I think certainly there's still the opportunity with the Robin for pressure.
There's definitely a lot of opportunity for both lanes to be aggressive because Hunbats for Jules is looking for wherever Oship is going to go to look for the counter rotation. So once the level 5 comes around, that Fear No Evil going to make its staple. Not able to invade the blue buff. Jules doing a good job making sure that Spexzilla not going to get too far behind. A Hell without a blue buff is going to struggle.
But now the rotations here from Oship. The root does land. No movement abilities, just the cleanse. That's not going to be enough. First blood goes over to Margot for ETES, already putting Spexzilla behind.
Even though they didn't get the blue buff invade, they could still use that as a baiting tactic. The Hell has to pick it up to still stay relevant. Needs the MP5, needs the cooldown reduction. So it was an obvious play that Spexzilla was going to go for it in a better trap laid out by ETs.
That's just too bad because Jules made the right play. You got to be over there on the blue buff spawn early to make sure that Oship can't come for the invade. He drops it, but then he kind of goes on his jungle path afterwards, and then Oship and Margot are able to kind of just get the 2v1. I feel as if Jules did it the right way, just that there was no safe way for Spexzilla to get there.
And the thing is, for Jules, he can't babysit Spexzilla the entire time. He can't be waiting there to allow Spexzilla to pick up his own blue buff. He needs to min-max his farm, look for those back camps, and do jungle things, build the stacks on the Assassin's Blessing. So I don't blame him necessarily for just not waiting there. It was just an unfortunate set of circumstances as No Ping got caught slipping.
And there's a lot of ways to run the sustained comp as Jules is hanging around the dual lane. We'll certainly keep our eye here on this jungle if we want to try and go with that Fear No Evil. But when there's a mage in solo, you can punish them this way. That Eden has done a good job so far as Jules does go with the blink. He's ready. Overhand smash along with the Fear No Evil. Another easy pick this time for No Ping. Jules finds himself on the board.
And that was a great follow-up with Dentola's Abduct, being able to extend the CC duration. As an Achilles, that's only level 4. Support, rather. You don't even have that CC immunity with the Fatal Strike quite yet. So the fact that the Fear No Evil pushed the Achilles even further away from his tower allowed for a clean pick.
And no response from Oship, but he is going to come down towards the speed buff. They have a Vili there with them as well, and they are going to be fighting there over the speed buff with the Unbots, and Oship was able to find him. Syphos is going to fall, and another kill goes over to the mid laner. Ites gets 2 quick kills there. A great punish and rotation from Oship towards the speed buff.
The cripple. You could tell Jules wanted to desperately jump over that tier 1 mid tower wall, but couldn't do so. That golden apple of Discordia just too strong. The body block's not quite there, but the taunt will buy a moment with the knockup going in with the sprint. It's just enough to find the kill.
And now it's trouble in the duo lane. The Scarab's Blessing does come down on top of Ufel, so he is going to be okay, but Billy is right there. And that's going to be too much. Going to be able to bring him down in the mid lane mage. Going to be the same thing for Dintola, as now he's in trouble with Spectro doing the damage here with the Achilles.
Oh, EXT covering the option. Jules trying to get closer, but he gets stunned out by Spectro. Fatal Strike being used just to get away. Jules' ultimate not up during this encounter.
And now it's just aggression all over the map. Snipe over the wall, just barely off the mark. Just didn't have any vision. But I love the idea to come over and give that a try. Just throw that ultimate out. But it's aggression all over the map here from ETs. I mean, we saw Oship going with the invade on the speed. Immediate rotation over to solo lane to help out there too. And the duo lane's coming out ahead. I mean, this is looking a little bit rough for No Ping to start off.
Because Jules ganked that duo lane with his Fear No Evil, the call from ETs immediately was like, okay, we can have a small window to invade the speed buff. And even if Jules on the Hunbat shows up, we don't have to worry about that big team fighting ultimate and find the pick. That's exactly what happened. They got a 2-for-1 even on top of it because they picked out Syphos, and that allowed even more aggression in the solo lane, being able to strip away the blue, find another pick onto Spexzilla, and then all of a sudden there was still more of a scuffle in the duo lane. Very unfortunate for Ufeli that got kind of sandwiched between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, in the end it just did not quite work out for them, and that's a good rotation here from the mid laner here for Ites. I mean, he's done a great job getting across the map. He was able to impact not just the speed buff invade, but also the fight over there in duo that we saw as well, as Oship is here for the speed buff spawn one more time, stripping it away from No Ping. They have been controlling, just as we predicted, the solo jungle side of this map.
Surprised that they didn't even go for any sort of aggression. Now they finally will onto Spectro. The Searing Pain a little off the mark.
That means it's not going to land, but it's not going to matter. Spectro ends up falling, but it doesn't mean Jules has to overcommit, setting up a kill for Oship as well as the support from the mid lane mage. That's 2 kills for 1, again coming out in favor of Ites.
Very clean performance thus far, and if they can find a kill onto Spexzilla as well, nice taunt, going to be able to heal him back up. Forces the meditation out of Spexzilla. Has enough mana to play with.
But Oship is here, blink in with the root. It's just too much damage. Spexzilla 0-3-0, just having a rough time on this hell. This is what you have to do when the sustain comp runs a mage in the solo lane. It's different from like the raw mid or the Guan Yus or Sylvanas.
You need to sit on this hell lane, and that's exactly what Oship has been doing since level 4. I like his presence in the solo lane because honestly, that could have been a turnaround if Oship wasn't there having enough mana to spam the heal, spam the damage. Margot Anna didn't have any more cooldowns to really find the chase.
It is going to be a Pestilence coming out from Margot as well to make life even worse for Spexzilla here in his direct lane matchup. I love this pickup from him. Not just the anti-heal, but tons of magical protections too. So hopefully that'll help him out a little bit further. Spexzilla, though, going to need more help from Jules, I feel like, in this solo lane totally to try and make it through this early game. Only about a level or so behind, but tower already down, repeatedly getting their buffs taken as well.
It just seems that everyone across the board is a little bit struggling on No Ping's side, at least experience-wise. Just now hitting level 10 was Syphos, as he was 1 level behind, and Oship getting the better end of Jules. Normally as a Hunbat's player, it's difficult to find the primary engagements depending on the positioning of your opponents, but it's a lot easier to find the cleanup plays. But when it's Jules being aggressed on at a speed buff, it's hard to find any sort of counter.
It is going to be the Gold Fury call, though, that's coming up from Ites. Meanwhile, the rest of No Ping is basically backed by speed buff, a little bit below half health now for the Gold Fury. Up in the air with the snipes as he fell. He's going to try and see if he can steal this away. Fear No Evil comes through. That's enough. No Ping is able to take it away. No one on zoning duty, and the long walk from speed to gold means No Ping pull one away.
Wow, what a play. That damage is just so low. The fact that it even stole it, but what's better about it is that the crowd control that it applies. Even though the damage is low, the fact that it was at less than 1% health, and it CC'd all the members from ETs. There's no return damage on the Gold Fury, so that was an easy and clean steal out of Jules.
And that call was a little weird because I feel as though ETs were kind of holding the Gold Fury, like they'd held their DPS on it. I think maybe to try and not get sniped out by UFEL, but in the end it sets up for Jules to rotate in and just kind of steal it. As now Avilis is going to go aggressive in the mid lane. The snipe actually lands, and he has the Scarab's Blessing, which could potentially save him, but not from the rotation from Margot, who patiently waits it out. They're going to turn their attention towards Dentola.
Dentola going to get executed by Spethro at 2-for-1, and the accuracy out of Silva during Darkest of Night hits the Searing Pain after the Celestial Beam. What a play.
That was the combination they needed, but it's not going to stop ETs from going for this tier 2 tower. Jules jumps in, but immediately just gets stunned out, and now he's feeling just how much damage Achilles support can actually do. Spexzilla can't find the heal to help out his jungler, but now they're just going for the kill. UFEL has made the rotation over, and he brings him down. Spethro gonna take a seat.
Not too bad of a trade, though, considering the tier 1 tower crumbled. No ping trying to run away this time. Spexzilla in a 2v3. The taunt from Margot secures the kill.
That is going to mean Spexzilla going to take their 4th death here as he heads back to base. ETs may not have been able to get that Gold Fury, but it has not stopped their aggression at all. Tier 1 tower comes tumbling down. They get a couple picks there in the mid lane as well. They got to do a little bit better securing these objectives. That just is not how that's supposed to go at all, but they're still not giving up their aggression. They're still going into their game plan.
The experience gap is what really matters, even though they're only up about 2,800 gold at 11 minutes, which could have been more. Obviously, it could have been around that 4,000 gold marker. They should be a little bit more patient. They need to make sure that Syphus is too far away from the action, because that Searing Pain can certainly steal it. And if they have to delay securing the Gold Fury from UFEL snipes, and that can allow another Gold Fury steal attempt by Jules. Unless they just want to bait out some ultimates and then look for a team fight, I think ETs are going to slow things down.
Margot again trying to strip away the blue buff, and that is going to work. Spexzilla, I don't know if he's gotten to see that yet all game long. He is going to come back and get these back Harpies, but Margot's done a great job sort of taking this lead. He's been able to establish himself with extra farm and solo, and helping with ganks in the middle lane, with taking down Jules whenever he comes over, trying to help Spexzilla as well. Great play so far from the solo laner from ETs.
Outside of the very first one that he got, the second one was immediately baited right over him, so he couldn't even pick that one up. And right now, I think that he's in a decent position as a level 12 Hell, having 30% cooldown reduction, Shoes of Focus, Breastplate of Valor. Can definitely fight 1v1 against Margot, but it's never going to be a 1v1. ETs have a game plan, and they're executing it consistently against this Hell.
And everybody on the ET squad is so capable of doing high damage. Even Spethro. I mean, yes, he is playing the support, but has the Warrior Tab Eye, so he's getting some decent power just from that into the Sovereignty. And I mean, he's ready to roll. We saw him kind of putting it to Jules. His Fear No Evil comes down to O-Ship. Overhead kick gets him out of that. But he tries to turn around for the root, can't find it. Did have to use beads, but he makes out of there okay.
Darkest of Nights making it so difficult to follow up from that Fear No Evil, as Syphus misses out the Searing Pain. So gonna walk away with this life on the side of ETs, and a lot of commitment from No Ping, which could get punished.
They've been willing to go all in on these engagements as No Ping. It's kind of into the plan of ETs. You'd think with their more like sustainy comp, they'd be kind of trying to force them to longer drawn out fights, but if they can get that all in commit around the Fear No Evil, they're happy to do it. So far has been No Ping. It hasn't quite worked out yet, but you can definitely see the game plan between the Raw and the Unbots.
And the thing is, ETs are defending their own turf at this point. You're in No Ping's jungle. They have to try to defend that. And that's what No Ping needs to do more consistently. We're seeing O-Ship kind of zone away while the rest of his team is on the Pyromancer.
Yeah, he is waiting for Spexzilla to come out just a little bit too far. The root does end up landing, and very, very low already. Execute through the Scarab's Blessing comes out from Spethro. One of the stronger matchups for Achilles here into the Capri.
You're looking for the Alquang, the Thanatos, and now the Achilles, recently introduced into Smite to be able to counter that Scarab's Blessing. A very unique mechanic interaction, which is very interesting how meta pans out during picks and bans. Dentola now trying to run away from the apple. He's not hungry for that one.
Yeah, knockup comes in, and O-Ship is able to take him down. Some people say God Milk. I say hungry for apples when I've got Avilis on my team hitting shots like this. I mean, it's been excellent from this mid lane Discordia so far. Now a 3K gold lead, and the Pyromancer all going the way of ETs.
It's going to be actually a Gold Fury attempt out of No Ping that recognized that a lot of ET's members were phoning on the right side of the map, and that gives a small window. Without Silva's ultimate, they could still fight and bait this out.
Yeah, the Gold Fury is still being taken. I don't know if they recognize it or if they're just being controlled too well. They drop the Gold Fury, go for the snipe, can't find that, and the Aegis comes out. Even if that snipe had been on point, the mid lane mage would have been just fine, and now the aggression goes in, and it's Ufel who's in trouble. Oh, Ship brings him down. I mean, that's the exact wrong way for that to go if you're no ping. That was almost a free Gold Fury.
That's true. They baited out a little bit to allow Silva to come closer. The ultimate out of Jules tried to set up the Searing Pain just slightly off the mark and allowed a clean disengage. ET's really capitalizing on no ping's transgressions, and normally it would be, you know, the team that has the lead to go for the Gold Fury. But whenever you're behind, you have to recognize those small windows of opportunities. But ET's a little bit too experienced for that. They recognize, like, okay, we invested a little bit too much on the right. Somebody go see what's happening on the left. And that's exactly what Silva did.
And that's what's tough about that, is because that no ping did that right. They had the Gold Fury incredibly low. I think Searing Pain would have confirmed it. And then Jules had the Fear No Evil to zone away Silva, as well as the other member from ET's that was rotating over. They just give up on Gold Fury and go for the kills instead. And because there was an execution error on that call, they get nothing. In fact, they lose a member, and ET's are able to punish.
Look at all that damage onto Jules from this level 14 Erlang Shen. That's very tanky. Mystical Male immediately after the Pestilence, trying to prevent some of the blink action if he's ever on Jules.
It is going to be a Gold Fury pull from ET's. It's well below half health. Dentola's nearby. Jules is on his way as well. He's helped steal one already, but too late. ET's grabbed this one, and now Jules pays for it with his life. Specthro happy to rob him of life at this point. ET's want to continue moving in, but it's a 5v4.
Clean 1-for-0 plus Gold Furies. ET's making their way towards the dual lane, blinking into the back line. Dentola stranded and isolated.
And then he drops the Scarab's Blessing on himself when he's almost certainly dead to right. That was not the call. Now Spexzilla could be in some trouble. Mystic Rush comes in on top of the apple, blows him up before he gets a chance to do any healing. Now Syphos has to retreat. ET's are taking everything they want.
Dentola had to use the ultimate on himself, but the problem was nobody used that time of the revival to get anything out of ET's. Nice root onto Ufeli, forcing him to back the root onto Syphos.
Good shot.
Damage could set up the snipes.
Ufel is able to find it. Oh, Ship at least does end up dropping, and they're going to try and heal up inside this raw sustain, but 4 members strong. They can push this if they want to, but it looks like that will not be the call. They back up. And totally, this is one spot where I don't know if I agree. I mean, I get why Khepri did put the ultimate on himself because he was going to die, but there were 4 members right on top of him. I don't know if anyone could have peeled that. Just go ahead and accept that you're dead there, I think, as now Syphos in a lot of trouble too. They even dropped down the, looked like the Horrific there, or was that the Cursed Donk? But either way, they grabbed him, and there's no way he's going to be able to heal.
Extra damage being received upon the upgraded version of that, but still not upgraded yet, just reduces some of the healing, making it a little bit easier to pick off Syphos. 19-5 as ET's are really starting to run away with this one. If they can start looking for this Fire Giant soon, they can start closing out the game.
They went to go upgraded, though, Tully, as soon as they backed. That Cursed Donk, man, into this matchup with the double healers, the Raw and the Hell, it's so difficult for them to try and deal with.
That's what you really need to do against a Hell, specifically because of the heal over time aspect from her third ability. Making sure that you catch that after is how you find the kills on some of these healing targets. Whether or not you have the Odin, the Sarkhet, the Sobek, you don't necessarily need built-in anti-healing in your kit. You just need to make sure that you actually invest into some of the relics and the items. Not only are we seeing the Pestilence out of Margot Anna and the Cursed Donk out of her, but Silva picking up the Divine Ruin. He's been very accurate thus far with that Strife and just the Unruly Magic. I'm expecting more follow-up damage because even if you might not hit those 2 abilities, the little balls after the Unruly Magic are a little random to the point that you could hit anyone.
We'll see if ETs are going to be able to find more damage there from Silva, who's been playing very well on the Discordia. 3rd on his team in damage just because Oship and Margot have been kind of bullying Spexzilla over in the solo lane. But it's been a great game from ETs, and to a certain extent, this is kind of what we expected for that solo jungle aggression to lead to a big win for them. But Jules has gone in just too far to check the Fire Giant. It's going to die to the apple. It is going to be Silva that gets credit for that kill. Dentola forced to retreat. Fire Giant, though, should be very free for ETs. Meanwhile, Ufel is going to split push her. The tier 2 tower recognized he could not help out.
Nobody just a little bit close enough to help out Jules, so he holds on to the Fear No Evil, not even trying to disrupt the Fire Giant attempt. No Ping needs to get something on the board, so that's what Ufeli's doing. He's going to hard commit to this left side Phoenix, and as a level 16 ROM, that pick-me-up steroid maxed out, but Oship has back to defend.
Oship should be able to get in there in time to stop this. Tier 2 tower in mid lane is going to be traded away by ETES, and Ufel actually is going to pay for this very likely with his life Aegis to avoid Mystic Rush, and Oship not going to continue the chase on afterwards, happy enough to stop him while the rest of his team pushes in to this mid Phoenix.
Surprised that he didn't hard commit to follow up.
Me too.
He needs to win on some of the cooldowns. He's baiting out some of the basic attacks, trying to get in, and he will get the overhead kickoff.
He was able to go take Ufel down eventually, and does kind of put the hurting on him. Now he's on his way to join their team for their siege. As in goes Margot, and Spexzilla yet again going to be the call. They put down the Cursed Donk to revive, not going to be enough, and not even going to come out in time. And Spethro's going to find the kill.
A nice hard counter matchup. They execute yet again, showing to be fruitful against Dentola's Scarab's Blessing. Spethro taking more damage than he bargained for, needs to back to base, and without that frontline presence, it makes this a little more difficult, but it's Oship that got here after the solo kill to be able to tank that Phoenix to get the middle one.
Yeah, for the most part, I mean, that went without Oship, really. They just were able to get that done, Tolly, and the big presence here from Margot able to go in, not just with the taunt, but with the Cursed Ankh. I mean, Spexzilla, not much he can do, and then Spethro on the Achilles perfectly prevents this Khepri from doing anything that it wants to do in terms of reviving. ET's just kind of have the draft here this game. I don't think this is a huge gap in skill. I just think that ET's composition is a little too strong.
The aggression worked out. That's what they were going for between this side lane aggression of the Warriors. I like the Achilles and the Erlang Shen. I'm surprised that it wasn't Achilles solo lane, but it works out at the end of the day because EXT is looking for that big buffer to be able to control the space and build his passive stacks. And that's what ETs were able to get off. This time it's no ping, forcing the Gold Fury.
They do drop the Searing Pain, but that's pretty early. Not going to be there for the confirm. He does, though, get it with that Celestial Beam, and that brings it down. Jules is going to pay for it with his life, though. Now Dentola in a little bit of trouble. The slow is coming out. The Strife comes out, and Spethro finds a double kill in the support Achilles. ET's on top.
No ping, trying to make a call and stick to it. I like that idea, the fact that they're not deterred from at least attempting to do something in this game. They saw that their middle Phoenix fell. They pushed out their lane, trying to get some wards out defensively, and the fact that there was nobody at the goal fear, No Ping's like, you know what, let's try this. We're already so far behind that if we can get this, we'll mitigate some of the bleeding. If we don't, then we can't really defend the Phoenixes anyway, so this was a long Hail Mary play.
Ufel has already been forced out by Oship. They are going to siege this Phoenix, but this game is kind of the case for the change on Xbalanque passive, though, right? 17 assists, no kills.
That's true.
This is that edge. This is the edge. That not even edge case. It happened a lot where you'd be doing really well the whole game and couldn't get it stacked. I know it's pretty strong and right now, but it's a little bit better than going 0-17 and basically having no passive, right?
That's very true. Sitting at about 6,600 damage on that Xbalanque. Sitting with a couple of stacks. Keep in mind that that buff is also pre-mitigated damage, so
sure,
it's a little bit more than actually 6,600 damage that he dealt.
Oship is going to be looking for the retreat path. Phoenix on the left-hand side did fall. ETs were able to come out in a very good spot here now. Only the Phoenix on right lane that they have to worry about. Fire Giant should be respawning here in about a little over a minute, and that means that the buff itself will drop off in about 10 seconds. ETs will likely pick that up and then come down and try and break the base here of no ping. But if you're no ping, I mean, it's very difficult to try and imagine coming back here in this game. I mean, the sustain just has not been able to work for them yet. Syphos is very good at clearing waves and defending on the Raw, but it's going to be a big ask for them to try and defend.
They definitely need that range to be able to do something with. The way Syphos and Ufeli did their damage, I believe it was onto Silva with those long-range snipes. That's what they could potentially do in this next Phoenix Siege if ETs get a little bit too frisky, but looking for the action in the mid lane. Dentola caught alone yet again.
He's down in the execute threshold, does have the Scarab's Blessing on himself. That was really close. They actually just are okay with proccing the revive and then killing him. Is going to be XT that ends up finding that last hit, and they didn't even want the Fire Giant. They just went for the fight.
Well, the thing is, the Scarab's Blessing, when you're not being revived, it still gives you that extra movement speed, so you can use it to still try to run away from your opposition. That's what Dentola tried to do, but ETs just had the range to catch the bug.
Now it's a 5v4. They do not have their main frontliner, and already they go in on top of Jules, do Oship and Spethro over on the left-hand side. Ufel's also in trouble as Margot goes aggressive into the Phoenix. It's at half health. Spexzilla is getting some good healing off, but now Oship comes in with the Mystic Rush. All Phoenix is down, and ETs regroup one more time and wait on mid Phoenix because it's about to respawn.
Oship definitely needed to zone the way he did because of all the damage that Margot Anna took. She was vulnerable to the potential long range from Syphus and Ufeli, but they were preoccupied running away from this Robin jungle.
Fire Giant is just about to come up, so that's what ETs is going to grab. Actually waiting around the corner are Oship and Silva to try and catch out an overcommitment, and the target is going to be Ufel. The trap worked perfectly. Now Spexzilla tries to go in, but Fire Giant has been dropped, and he's just going to be the target. Fear No Evil does help out. Big ultimate comes out from Syphos, but they still don't have the damage to get it done. Jules takes down XT, and now Margot is going to have to continue to try and chase on the Jules.
Spexzilla still able to run away, but he goes back into the opposition, not running behind the blue buff instead. Surprise, surprise. Probably the call was to group up and use that health sustain to continue the fight, but that's a 2-for-1 to allow the rest of ETs to at least confirm the Pyromancer. They're not going to go for the enhanced Fire Giant quite yet, but look where Jules is, right at the speed. He's just asking for trouble.
Yeah, that is where he's at, but they need to have Syphos go back because their Titan is taking a bunch of damage from the minions. He does finally go back and clear that gigantic Archer wave, but that's half damage now, or half health on the Titan, even lower. After that big play that happened in the jungle, that was like 2 trap cards it felt like went off there. There was one waiting in the blue buff, and then the perfect combination between Jules and Syphos from no ping. So it was a kind of a hectic fight. In the end, though, that still favors ETs pretty heavily.
ET's trying to send no ping to the Shadow Realm with their trap cards. Gonna root Dentola into place with a Strife. Silva looking for a little bit more action, but needs the cooldowns. Spexzilla just now reviving. 5-on-5 for the moment, but that Titan, less than 4,000 health. Very vulnerable without any more towers remaining, with left falling, with the right side Phoenix falling as well. There could be one last siege from ETs to seal the deal in game number 1.
And they could very easily just kind of dive past this Phoenix if they want to. But, I mean, they can also siege it if they want to try and make it a little bit easier. But with the Titan that low, with Fire Giant on all 5 members, with the big lead that they have, especially if they come through this jungle, because look at the dual lane. They have Ufel and Spexzilla pushed up pretty far. They're going to have to make those backs happen here soon, and there they finally are going to come regroup.
They wanted to make sure that there's no more fire minions that they had to worry from the left side with that respawn Phoenix. Shoving the wave that far away means that if ETs want to siege the left side Phoenix, they have to do it without a minion wave.
Now there's fire minions that are pushing in on the right side, but the entirety of ETs is in the middle lane. No one was in position to defend, and now the big ultra comes down from XT, and they're going to go right for the Titan. Totally no way to defend, just too much damage. ETs take game 1 over no ping.
Creating the chaos from EXT's ultimate allows the final siege. Beautiful play with the fire minions setting it up, putting the Titan at less than 4,000 health.
Yeah.
Easy cleanup.
And that's part of them being too aggressive there in the jungle from no ping a little bit. I'm not saying that the Titan was full health. They defend that, I mean, because they were pretty far behind, but the job was made much easier by half the work already having been done by minions.
Definitely the case. Minions, fire minions, you know, they can help out too every now and then.
That's right. Minions getting it done, but a great game there from ETs, and not too surprised to see them playing this well, right? Because we know that there's experience on this squad. We know how strong Oship is, but how about Margot playing so well around him? You mentioned Margot's experience already. We saw it here on display.
The aggression. She wanted even more aggression. Achilles does a lot of burst damage with the abilities, whereas Erlang Shen does a lot of basic attack damage, and that worked out very well. As long as Oship is there to confirm the roots, confirm the slows, it also sets up Margot Anna for additional basic attacks. You pop that steroid to allow you and your doggo extra damage, and then Margot Anna is just destroying Spexzilla's health.
Yeah, I like dogs, but I don't know if I like the way that dog likes to say hey, right, with all those extra hits coming in on those auto attacks from Erlang Shen, but you certainly saw its potency there in that matchup. And if you're on no ping, I mean, what do you do here differently to try and respond? Because you went for this double sustained composition and never got off the ground.
The thing was, they went for it knowing the strategy was the Achilles and the Robin right off the bat. That's such an aggressive duo combination that whether or not that was solo or support Achilles, you need to go more aggressive to fight that. You can't go something too passive because you're going to get exploited. The holes were clearly there out of no ping, and ETs filled them.
Well, the picks and bans are ready for game 2. So let's see if No Ping can make their bounce back here when we get those up on the screen. But curious, they picked that Khepri into the Achilles, right? The Achilles was one of the first 2 picks, I believe, that came out for ETs, and No Ping went with that anyway, and we saw that it really never had a chance to do the revive thing. What else does Khepri really do aside from revive you? I mean, he has a very nice long-range route, but I mean, that's
well,
not
the
it.
Rising Dawn also mitigates a lot of damage, or just prevents the damage from coming out, and that's not too bad considering there was also a lot of damage from Sylva's Discordia, just a lot of aggression. The way that ETs was able to group up, it was very easy to confirm multiple hits from the Rising Dawn. But yes, you're right. That is a hard counter matchup. Any execute just destroys Khepri.
We saw it on full display here in this game as No Ping making, I believe, the same bans here with the Thoth Havois, and the same here for ETs with the Guan Yu Serket. And that means we're going to get to see that Achilles again. It's still a flex pick. That could still go solo, jungle, support. Very good first pick.
Interesting to see where ETs are going to transition this. But now Oship doesn't get the Robin. No Ping making the adaptations after losing game 1. They take the second pick to make sure that Achilles and Robin won't go together.
Yeah, that was, I think, the big problem was that there was no way for Spexzilla to even get off the ground over there on that hell because of the Robin and the Erlong Shin combination. I know the Achilles is actually support, but the idea is basically the same. We don't want to have those 2 warriors having a bunch of pressure, so they pull those away.
Xbalanque for EXT worked out very well for the aggression out of ETs in game number 1, and I'm expecting the same to happen in number 2. This time it's Silva piloting the Raw, was respecting the accuracy out of Cyphers when he was he was under Darkest of Nights in a 1v1 against Silva's Discordia, and he still found the kill.
Well, I like this. The Odin is coming out for No Ping. Remember, I believe the Odin was banned away last time. We'll get to see that in action for No Ping. And into the Raw. It's a good matchup for Odin. Shuts down the healing. Has a hard time getting out of there. This is that. I mean, it's a strong Odin pick.
Not only that, it shuts down Xbalanque, it shuts down Achilles. They don't have those leaps to be able to get over the wall. And not only that, they're preventing ETs from picking it up, allowing Artemis more survivability in some of these team fights. And whenever people are trying to run away from the Odin in the cage, Artemis gets off more basic attacks on those targets.
Bologna and Unbot's going to be the bans here for No Ping. So again, trying to make sure that we don't have to worry about the double hunter, not thinking that this Achilles is going to be the solo laner that it seems. And ETES, just like we saw in that first game, banning 2 Guardians, going to ban the Athena and the Get.
Athena has just made its appearance in Season 5.
So strong.
The late spring, early summer. Some teams wanting to first ban it. Other teams will kind of let it go very late in the draft. Secondary ban. A little surprising, and Terra coming through as well. Nice stuff.
That's my analysis on Terra. She's good.
Nice.
Earth and Fury, I mean, the wall clap, the root, I mean, the sustain.
It's great.
Terra's an excellent pick in the support role. And I love the combination here. I mean, the Terra Artemis dual lane is very scary. If she can land that stun into the trap, I mean, you're dead. That's it.
It's difficult to siege into Terra Artemis combination.
Yes.
The boar ping-ponging around creates a lot of chaos. Almost more chaos than Darkest of Nights actually can from EXT side. So we'll see how that pans out in team fights. But laning phase should be interesting because it's going to be another aggressive support.
That's right, yeah. Looks like it is going to be either the Erlong or the Achilles. I'm thinking probably the Achilles this time, and they'll put Erlong over in solo. But the Fenrir coming in the jungle role for them, it's a bit surprising. I mean, there is the CC immunity that's available to Artemis. The overhead kick from the ROM can usually get him away pretty well. Scylla will also be CC immune. I mean, who's the big target he's trying to grab?
Terra. Terra's going to be the target to kind of kill her before the Earth and Fury comes out. Try to get that burst damage going off. You can maybe also try to look for the Odin potentially. Not only that, I think ET's needed some sort of a leap god to be able to get over the Odin cage. So there was Fenrir, that's one popular pick. Hunbats was banned away from No Ping, so they couldn't lock that one in.
Well, it is going to be the Fenrir that they've selected, and we don't get to see a whole lot of Fenrir anymore, but I like it when we do get to see him played. When he's ahead, he can be very oppressive, right, with the stuns. He has so much damage on Brutalize. Even if he doesn't get all 4 hits off, it's still a ton, and great setup for the rest of his team. But, I mean, I'm liking this late game from No Ping a lot. I mean, Terra, Artemis, Scylla's big late game damage, and Odin to lock them all in. That's a scary No Ping draft.
If they can get the setup, I think No Ping just straight up win these team fights.
I agree.
Scylla alone, it's looking really scary for them. That Earth and Fury mitigating a lot of damage from ETs, boosting the damage out of No Ping. Things are looking on the up and up for Noping.
If they can get this draft, you know, to get started. Aggression clearly is the name of the game from ET's last time. I liked Noping's team fight last game. It just was that they never got a chance to get going, right? So if ETs don't let them get off the ground, then it almost doesn't really matter for Noping. So they've got to do better at that. And I think they've got some tools to get that done this time a little bit better than last game.
With the hard counter matchup of the Odin into the Raw, things could be exploited this time from ET's side.
And so it looks like from what we're seeing that it is going to be the Odin in the solo lane. So I imagine it's going to be him going up against the Erlong Shen. I mean, how's that matchup go for the Odin? Because I feel like Erlong Shen has the potential maybe to do some interrupt here on Odin's damage.
You could definitely look for the knock-up, the turtle knock-up as soon as the Odin lands, preventing that bird bomb combination from really going off, but not going to be the case quite yet. Still needs a couple of levels for Spexilla to clear, and Margot Anna probably can continue to play aggressive, going for that 20 physical protection with the tier 1 breastplate, whereas Spexilla trying to get some mobility online and finish the boots before Margot will.
And this sounds to me like Margot really does want to come in and kind of box early on, wants to make sure he's not taking too much damage, or that he is going to be trying to go for that interrupt so that, you know, if he is going to be getting hit by at least the jump, you know, wants to try and make sure he's not taking much damage. So I like the idea from Margot going into the matchup.
And not only that, Spexilla is going to prevent any sort of healing from Anna's side of things with that big taunt after the 4-second heal. EXT is still trying to look for the pot shots, and the beautiful thing about EXT using that branching bola, it uses 3 mana every single shot, but because you start off with 15 MP5, you're basically getting that back every single second.
It's pretty great now being the Xbalanque. It used to be all kinds of mana trouble. Actually, good poke coming out from the dual lane of no ping on this Bethro, but they decided to go over here instead of clearing the wave, so they could lose out on some farm. Sprint comes out from no ping in response. ETES uses their own. Bethro now is on the retreat path. The slow's going to land, but won't matter too much. He just barely makes it out.
I'm surprised that he didn't use EXT as a body blocker. Normally, you want to be the support body blocking for your hunter, but in that case, honestly, use your hunter, because a couple more crits and you felt he would have found an easy first blood, but barely able to walk away with that one. Also, No Ping actually kind of sacrificed a few minions to be able to chase that down. It stops the purple buff invade, so it doesn't allow ETs any sort of momentum.
I do wonder, though, if that might benefit XT. I mean, if Xbalanque can get some extra boxing in early without having to give up anything, I mean, he's happy to do it. He did have to use the beads because Dentola left out a nice wall and has to worry because Jules is now here for the rotation in, and the root's going to land right into the wall. No beads to save him. No ping do indeed punish that exact relic cooldown.
Only level 1. He didn't have his dash to get away. He actually tried to use it there. He auto-attacked the air towards his tower. He thought that he probably had it, but not the case this time around. Sypho's going to avoid the jump perfectly away from Oship, and that's a good thing because if you get hit by the jump, not only does it do a bunch of damage, but it reduces the cooldown by half.
And that's exactly the situation I was going to say is I think that if XT gets out of there, then it benefits him unless they punish the beads being down. And that's exactly what they do immediately. They have the rotation over from Jules, the root into the wall. There's no way for XT to make it out. And they do it so quickly, they might have a chance to do it again. It's another 70 seconds on that beats, even still.
Dentola can easily set up the damage out of Ufeli. Spexilla not having the easiest time in this matchup, whether he's playing the health or the Odin. Margot Anna very comfortable on this Erlong Shen.
Clearly. Prioritizing this pick, which we don't see a whole lot of elsewhere. I mean, it's not as if it's never picked, but it's certainly not like a universal top pick, this Erlong Shen. It's something that he clearly feels comfortable on and has played very well on, and even likes his matchup here into the Odin.
It was very popular in Season 4 with the Death's Toll, being able to get a lot of sustain back from that item and being able to extend that lead in the laning phase to the Fire Giant Elementals. But in Season 5, it's kind of fallen out of favor. Oh, look at that wall!
That was perfect. This time it wasn't so much for the stun, but for blocking the path that the actual Rising Jaguar was going to take. Now Ufel comes in and tries to follow up. If only the Artemis had been there a little bit sooner.
That's the kind of MVP high-tier caliber play that's going to extend you beyond your own region to compete with the best of them with plays like that. If everyone can min-max plays like that, even catching out some of the dashes, you're going to be able to find those early game advantages to start snowballing.
And now they've got Svethro and XT kind of pushed in underneath their tier 1 tower. This is a nice bounce back. I mean, certainly No Ping have not you know, run away with the game or anything like that, but this early game went pretty freely to ET's last game, and No Ping, through better picks and bans and better play early, I feel like have kind of turned that around. They're going to make ET's play against them straight up.
It's working out so far. Silva actually uses ultimate in the mid lane, trying to help out Oship follow up as Margoanna still being that big old bully in the solo lane, using the root for the damage, also to proc that Warrior's Blessing stacks. One stack above Spexilla, so getting the evolution first is a big deal in terms of surviving the jungle ganks if they come.
And I'm a little surprised when you bring up those jungle ganks, because there have not been much of them. We saw a lot of attention from Jules and Oship in the solo lane last time. Now, there was a Hell there, so I get why you might want to be over there a little bit often, but they've kind of just forgotten, I don't know, forgotten about it, but left it entirely alone. It's trouble for Spethro now with the board.
Trying to find the trap. It will allow more basic attacks. Ufeli with his first kill of the game and another assist, being able to start getting a slight advantage over EXT. That's still a level 4.
That's the combination, though, right? It's the wall into the trap and the board there to follow up. Now, Oship, though, does want to come in and try and punish. Bead still available for Ufel. The wall going to help try to cut off any more auto attacks, and the duo lane, No Ping, able to survive the reverse gank from Oship.
That's the one disadvantage of Brutalize. Like, yes, you do chase your targets, but only level 5 Fenrir with no physical defense or health. You don't want to necessarily Brutalize into their tier 1 tower while there's a Terra wall waiting to stun you out. And min-maxing the positioning of the wall, being able to also intercept some of those basic attacks out of EXT keeps his hunter alive.
Yeah, Dintol, it's made a world of difference seeing him on this Terra as opposed to the Capri on a matchup where he's not just kind of hard countered by their picks in general. He's looked so much better for this squad. I really think that was part of the problem for them in game 1. Though, to be fair, with the trouble Spexilla was in, I don't know how much it would have changed anything, but he looks worlds better.
Margot knocking up Spexilla. Doesn't want to receive that Odin Cage quite yet. Might need to pop that heal outside of the Odin range just to be able to get that healing, because as soon as that taunt comes through, Odin Cage will certainly prevent all of it.
Especially if he recognizes there's not much kill potential. Like, if he's not going to be getting a rotation from Oship on the Spexilla, go ahead and drop the taunt just for the heal, like, onto nothing, and make sure you get that sustained, because if he drops the cage, you will not be getting it.
Spexilla not in range to get the damage off, but it's going to allow the counter rotation. Even though Margoanna doesn't have those archers to her advantage, able to still duke it out with the best of them.
Fighting over these mid-harpies now with Oship. That's his jump. He takes a big chunk damage from Syphos, and because of the Darkest of Nights, couldn't find the I'm a Monster. Now Jules can go in aggressively with the Mystic Rush. Syphos going to come over the wall with that Sentinel to try and help out, but Sprint gets him out of there.
Oh, Spethro making the clutch rotation. Syphos' Sentinel is down, but he misses the Fatal Strike. Needs to land one more basic attack, and will do so. The Root buys a tower shot on top of it. Jules just needs to follow up.
He does land the root and the overhead kick. It's just not enough damage. Jules almost able to come in and punish off a great play there from Syphos, but too many missed abilities there from No Ping throughout that prolonged engagement. They couldn't quite get it. But now Dintolas here. Spethro going to be the target. Goes in for the dash on the roots. Brings him low, but not enough for kill potential.
Didn't use that Earth and Fury, which does damage over, not damage over time, but if you collapse all 4 of those stones, you get 4 sources of damage, which you can do after you break through your own monolith, transforming it into a damage over time minefield. Proccing the Terra's Earth and Fury maybe would have found a kill onto Spethro, but still saving that for a rainy day. Can now maybe help out Ufeli. Unfortunate timing for Ufeli.
That's good, though, for XT to at least get that boar on cooldown, but it's a 3-man grouping here as No Ping want to try and strip away this red buff from ET's. But this is a good stun right into the damage. Oship jumps over, and Silva has the damage that they need. Syphos drops the crush to force everybody away, but a great punish from ET's.
Oship has been doing a good job juking a lot of the damage from Syphos. He uses another Unchained, has to use the Ragnarok to get away, but a beautiful overhead kick prevents it.
Way to get the punish. Jules with a double kill now for No Ping, punishing both Spethro there and Oship. The root, though, from Syphos was able to set it up with a good combination. And now they're trusting Jules to come in and find the root to set up for I'm a Monster. Maybe a little too early on that.
I don't think that he had the cooldown for the root. I think it was already used, but not in range for the Prada Onslaught. Just too much mobility from Silva's passive being able to stack that up.
Now the Jules make the rotation to the mid lane. Silva actually taking a ton of poke. Sentinel used. Sickum comes in, but Jules finds it with the overhead kick, I believe, and is able to get it done underneath the tier 1 tower. Yet another kill for No Ping. What a difference it is for them here in game 2, especially with Jules on this Robin.
Uh-oh, Spethro's here looking for the execute, but the meditation out of Spexzilla will not allow that one to happen. And I like the Spexzilla rotation because, number one, he covers the option. Even if Silva wasn't going to die to that tower dive from Jules and Cyphus, the Odin jumping over the wall certainly would have. And then he makes a defensive play to save the mid laner's life.
Just an excellent play there from No Ping. They look so much better here in this game, too. I know I've been saying it a lot, but I mean, game 1 got away from them very, very quickly, totally. And I was even saying it during game 1 that I didn't think it was a big difference in like the skills or capabilities of these two teams. I just think that the picks and bans, they got out drafted. This time, No Ping have done a much better job limiting the aggression of ETs, giving themselves a composition where they can be more even, trying to move throughout the laning phase into the mid game, and they look much better for it.
I mean, Robin jungle is pretty good. It doesn't matter what team it's on. You're able to do the damage, you're able to avoid the damage as well. So you're covering both bases, and that's why No Ping has that lead, 4-0-0. It's Jules that almost has 100% kill rotation. A lot of a different story compared to the last game when he was playing the Hun Bats, waiting for the action to kind of happen to him and then react to it.
Still has that jump available, so no trouble for Spexzilla over in solo. Chip, though, wants to call problems for Jules, who does use the overhead kick and the Mystic Rush to avoid getting pulled, and gets the 1v1 on Chip, dunks on him, and puts him down. Now with the stun coming out, Jules could be in a little bit of trouble. Earth and Fury, but it's too much. XT is able to find the shot.
Ufali trying to save his mid laner's life, but Silva with a solo kill on the side lane. 2v3, favoring No Ping still. Or, sorry, favoring out ETs as they kind of disengage for the moment. Solo lane with a jump down from Spexzilla. That Mink form will be used, but that Odin cage being used defensively just to buy him a moment.
I kind of get it. It feels like all the fights have been in favor of No Ping, so you just want to give it to him. But they were able to get the good punish there on the Jules after Oship had already fallen. Excellent play from that Robin earlier. Cyphus ends up falling as well to Silva in the jungle. And that's how ETES are able to get that fight to go their way. Despite No Ping looking better in terms of fighting it out, it's not as if they have a very big lead or a lead at all. It's actually ETES who are a little bit ahead gold-wise, and this Pyromancer is going to help out with that a lot. They catch No Ping napping a little bit.
About a 1,200 gold lead, 1,500 experience, and Jules able to really just outplay Oship in some of these 1v1 encounters. The first time that Oship died was because the overhead kick negated the Ragnarok. So Oship this time around waits for the overhead kick completely to fizzle away, but then Oship gets outplayed by himself because Jules just goes up and down with a Mystic Rush, doing a lot of damage and absorbing the Ragnarok. Oship had nowhere to go, but still ET's on top, ever so slightly in the gold department.
But Oship should have recognized this, right? We were saying in picks and bans that the best target for him is probably going to be Dintola, right?
Yes.
It is going to be difficult for him to try and get the Robin and the Scylla and even the Artemis to an extent. So taking that fight in the jungle against the Robin, probably not the best call, but does allow for Jules to make the nice highlight play.
This time, Spexzilla is the one invading the blue buff against Margot, and no longer shall he get punished when he's playing the Hell. That's what kind of happens when you're playing an aggressive warrior that can make some of those plays happen. And you're right, Oship getting a little bit outplayed. He needs to play almost the same way Jules was playing last game in terms of being more reactive, just kind of waiting for the action to unfold. Listen for the call-outs from his teammates. All right, Robin's ulti's down, overhead kicks down. Once those two abilities not available, then you can go on Jules.
Snipe lands on the Cyphus already, and execute Threshold. Spectro, though, not going to go for it. Instead, the target is going to be Dintola. Things working a little bit better for them. It ends up being a 1-for-1 double kill for Jules, and NXT finds Cyphos as well. Now Silva in a little bit of trouble. Triple kill for the jungler for No Ping. Jules is on a rampage.
And trapped in a cage. EXT nowhere to go. 4 dead ET's members. No Ping looking so strong that they're moving towards the Gold Fury.
And that's going to be the call from them. Ufel still standing, so he can come over and grab it. Margot is going to make the rotation over to try and stop it from doing it, but now it's a 3v1. Goes into the taunt, but the stun comes out. Might be able to get this heal off in time. Not even Ufel punishing him before that even comes through.
Takes 4 seconds to pop that heal, just in the nick of time before it popped. Found the kill. Thorns not going to be impactful to finding the kill onto anybody. And ETs with an unofficial deicide on top of a Gold Fury. It's No Ping, actually, that gets the lead.
Noping looking worlds better here in this game, and Jules kind of saving that fight in the mid lane because that was a nightmare scenario for them. But yeah, look at these grass, just a big swing straight down in favor of Noping because despite their good early game, they didn't have that big of a lead really, or a lead at all. ETs had kind of still been holding on to it, but now finally they've moved about 1,000 golden XP in their favor.
That's a roller coaster that I don't want to be on if I'm ETs. It's always scary on the top of it, just to be able to look down and then all of a sudden, whee!
They're going down, and you're going into an 8-1-2 Jules. That's what's waiting for you at the bottom, as this Robin that they just do not have an answer to. And part of the problem here for Noping going forward is that Cyphos is a little bit behind, but it hasn't really mattered. Silva finds the snipe and deletes him. That's the 4th death now for the mid laner. Forgive me for bringing his name up, because apparently that put a big target on his back.
Silva is just so good about finding those long-range snipes onto Cyphos. During the Alma Monster, you're pretty stationary, but hold that thought, because Dentola finally going to get picked up in the mouth of Oship. Spethro to clean up.
This is what makes ET so strong. Yes, they may have lost that fight, had 4 members die, even the 5th for the unofficial deicide come later on, but they recognize where they can catch you out in the jungle, when they can find the punish. Silva gets a great snipe. They go aggressive on Dentola with the pull from Oship, and now they got this tier 1 tower and maybe even more. They
could definitely look for at least a tier 2 with the minions right beside them. They don't have EXT next to them for the true burst potential, but with Jules right around the corner, he's looking to defend.
Mystic Rush does not land on the Silva. That's part of why he's able to make it away with his life. XT does finally join the fray, but they have got to give up on this tier 2 tower push for now. Jules, though, going to continue to be at the front and see if we can find even more action, but at this point, ETs are disengaged.
Looking pretty clean thus far, as Noping defends their tier 2 tower after losing the tier 1. Puts ET's back into contention. Still a very close game. Well, only 300 gold separates these two teams, but the experience between these two mid laners is starting to falter.
Yes.
However, Noping has the better edge in the jungle.
Spexzilla is going to come in and drop the cage. I'm a monster's waiting. Spethro is the target, and Jules gets the last hit necessary to bring him down. Over on the right-hand side, Margot trying to make his rotation in, but Noping have now gone for the disengage. They pull Spexzilla back in with the taunt, but he's a tanky Odin, and he's got no problems walking away.
Ufeli take a little bit of damage from the Celestial Beam, but just walks away. The rest of Noping going to heal under the Monolith for the moment. So sustain on both sides, Raw versus Terra. Definitely favoring the Raw as the game kind of progresses forward, but still a good temporary solution.
I don't know, man. I know Cyphos is struggling a little bit, but I mean, this is kind of like the best 0-4 and 6 behind 3 levels I could ask for. If I've got to be in that situation, Cyphos has been doing what they need, even though he's kind of been the target from this ET squad a little bit. So I know he's behind experience-wise Silva, but still have an impact.
And there's always going to be that late game hyper carry potential out of the Scylla. Despite how far behind you might be in the early stages, 0-4 or 0-6, 7, it doesn't really even matter, because all you need to do is start hitting some of those Alma monsters as long as you wait for the proper setup. And they certainly have it between the cage out of Spexzilla, between the stun out of Dentola, the ping pong boar from Ufeli. There's a lot of setup for the Scylla late game.
Pyromancer going to be the call here now, Tully at half health. The rotation could be coming in from Margot. He's on the back side, but it's a little bit too late. Pyromancer goes to them, and the target yet again is Cyphos. Despite the fact that he is behind, they continue to seek him out in these fights.
Defensive ultimate from Spexzilla allows the rest of his teammates to disengage after the Pyromancer, building off of a 1,300 gold lead. It's still small enough to get some sentry wards under their belt to be able to position themselves for the next Gold Fury, respawning in 1 minute.
Tier 1 tower in Soul Lane going to be the target, and Noping are not in position really to defend it, especially not into the heal. So ETs are going to be able to grab that, and this game's still very, very even. Oship jumps in, can't find the target. Boar is going to come out, going to go for it, but not land on a Spethro. Sprint going to get ETs away.
The root is good, but Mario Anna uses that knock-up. Cyphos was walking in a straight line, and Silva takes him out with both abilities.
That's what I'm saying. They just somehow find him in the middle of a fight. It's not like he's doing anything wrong, and now Oship is the one jumping in aggressively. They've managed to at least make this a 4-on-5 fight. Meanwhile, XT going to continue pushing over in the duo lane for E-Test since he's not here. Coming in for the dunk is Spexzilla, doesn't really land. 2-man root comes into the stun from the walls, and Jules dunks over the top with the Mystic Rush. Double kill.
The bait is so real. Margot Anna now trying to retreat what was looking like a great 4-on-5 fight for ETs is starting to turn on his head. XT is able to split push in the dual lane to try to get the tier 2 tower, but at what cost? Losing 2 members could mean losing the Fire Giant.
It's been a great game here so far for
they see.
No Ping, but they've got to make sure they come over and try and stop this Fire Giant. Tier 2 tower on left-hand side falls. Oh, Ship is in a lot of trouble. Spexzilla and Ufel are more than enough. They work together to bring him down. If they want to go for the Fire Giant, now's the chance. They've got 5 members up and only 3 for ETs.
They have the burst damage out of Ufeli, but they don't have the secure from Syphus. However, they don't have to worry about the steal potential from Silva, as he's still dead as well, trying to make his way downtown. Syphus still in the mid lane.
It is going to be the knockup that lands on the Spexzilla, but he can handle it. He's an Odin. Margot is going to be the one to focus in on. He goes in for the knockup right on top of the damage, and the Fire Giant, he brings down Ufeli. Now can he steal it away? No Ping to secure it, and Syphos is able to find the kill, but XT is now here to try and punish them on the retreat path. His branching Bola takes down Jules, finds 2 kills.
Trying to separate himself away from the jungler, was not successful in doing so, but still walking away cleanly with the Fire Giant. They don't get it on Ufeli, and that might be an issue in terms of sieging some of these towers, but still having it onto Syphus Sicilla that's sitting at level 15 could be a good look.
Goes up into the I'm a Monster, does not quite connect for max damage. In fact, XT is able to come over in combination with Spectro and find another kill. ETs are hanging in there. In fact, ETs are in the lead despite the fact that it was No Ping who just went for that Fire Giant. And look at those graphs, Totally. I don't know if you could ask for better graph than that. Just up and down, back and forth. These 2 teams are so close.
Looks like my heart rate watching this game, honestly, between how much action has popped off. 16-12 in a 20-minute game. More than 1 kill per minute.
Dropping down the cage. Silva going to be the target. No healing for you, and a big chunk comes out from the Bird Bomb. Silva kind of recognizing he was dead to rights there.
Level 17 Raw can escape the level 18 Odin clutches. Also with a Relic Dagger to be able to find more blinks if necessary. Ragnarok is going to pull in the Odin, but he's a very tanky Odin.
Trying to get away from those autos coming in from Ufeli. Oship jumps in. Does not have those runes up for the stun, and now Margot going to be the target. Is going to be able to get away, though, with those transformations. XT's right there with him to try and follow up, and No Ping have to back off.
The rest of No Ping thinking about potentially looking for more, though, because the Gold Fury has been started out. Oh, Ship trying to make it happen, but he's going to get stunned out by the boar if he's not careful.
Yeah, the boar is going through the team fight and causing a bunch of havoc, but XT not going to stop him. He finds a kill right before he ends up falling down. Spexzilla drops the cage, and I think Spethro had no way out, and Ufeli is able to find the damage to get him down as well. 2 drops for ETs, whereas No Ping have only lost 1 member, and Margot's going to be the next one. Ufeli gets a double kill, and they've now taken down 3 members of ETs.
What a beautiful trap to be able to lock in an additional ETs members with this 4-on-2 advantage. No Ping now going for the Gold Fury. Silva is right around the corner, though. Could look for the Searing Pain.
They're going to need this Gold Fury. Silva is waiting, but it looks like they leased it for the moment. Now that they've got Dentola to push him away, they can safely grab it. Maybe not. Silva's back, but just not going to be able to find the shot in time. No Ping grab the Gold Fury.
Needs to make sure that he gets away from the clutches out of No Ping that wants additional blood. He has the movement speed, but he can't get away from the cage. There is no Phantom to save him.
The snipe comes out, and it does hit Syphos again because apparently things are just drawn to the face of the mid laner for No Ping, but it's just not enough totally. They end up taking him down with that Odin cage, tier 1 tower, Gold Fury, and the kill, all going the way of No Ping. They want this tier 2 as well. Spethro and XT, though, are here to defend.
They could definitely get it with the minions being here, eliminating the backdoor protection. This level 17 Artemis doing a lot of damage. Look at Oship in the backline waiting for his prey.
He is waiting around. He jumps in, and the target's going to be Dentola. He goes up for the Ragnarok, but can't find it. Syphos waiting for an I'm a Monster target. Can't hit it, and Margot is the one that's going to find the kill. XT couldn't find the shots, but Oship just a little bit better. Jumps over the wall and finds that kill. Now Spexzilla is the one in trouble. Meditation may have healed him up the cage to give himself a little bit of room, and he is going to be able to get away.
Wow, I thought that was going to be at least one more victim out of No Ping. Overcommitting a little bit. They did take out Silva. They did take out the tier 2 tower, but losing 2 more members gives some freedom for ETs to look for at least a tier 2 tower in mid that it's on its last legs.
I can't believe we're only 22.5 minutes into this game. It feels longer to me.
That's true.
They have just been fighting.
No Ping on their own scoreboard has enough kills, almost matching the minutes on the clock.
That's right. I mean, they've just been constantly throwing down as Oship is going to chase out Jules. Tier 2 tower in mid lane falls. ET is going to grab a little bit more global gold for their pockets. They've got a bit of a 5-man grouping here, but that is not deterring Spexzilla, who's going to jump in for the dunk, put in good damage, and now has to fall back.
Trying to make it more action is No Ping, now reviving a little bit. Syphus and Ufeli trying to get a little bit closer. It's going to be a 3-on-5 while the rest of the two are rotating, and that's all they need to find a kill onto EXT.
Yeah, the Phantom may have come out, but it didn't matter. He was stuck still trying to fight inside the cage. Margot is now going to be the next one that's in trouble. Jules is going to come in, has the root available in just a moment, but the knockup means he's not going to be able to land it. There's that root, and that's the rest of the damage they need. Jules finds the kill.
Fire Giant not due to respawn for another 30 seconds. 5-on-3 advantage for No Ping to at least secure themselves the remaining tier 2 towers, grab another 3,000 gold if they want collectively, or just wait it out. They have the exact timer, so they're gonna create that little buffer zone to secure the secondary Fire Giant.
And there's still plenty up on the map for them to break, even if they do grab this Fire Giant. 2 tier 2 towers for ETs, as well as 3 Phoenixes. Jules catches out Oship here in the jungle. Root and Crush both come through. Mystic Rush goes over the top to force out the Ragnarok. They do not kill Oship, but they force him to retreat. Now Spectro going to be the next target. He does get stunned, and the follow-up is going to come out from the boar. Has to use Fatal Strike to evade.
Gets the CC immunity, prevents himself from being immobilized, will escape with his life. But No Ping are on the prowl for this Fire Giant. That means Silva has to try to get closer for the Searing Pain to steal it away. It's going to be a 50-50 coin toss against the Yama Monster, but ETs wants no part of this one, actually.
So instead, No Ping just going to secure the Fire Giant for themselves. Syphos, I think, a little bit late on that Yama Monster anyway. So probably a good thing that Silva was not around, but in the end, No Ping are able to grab that Fire Giant for everybody. And these team fights, I mean, they have been all over the place. They've been big bloodbaths, but a couple of the key things totally. This Odin cage, Jules on the Robin has been untouchable, and Syphos, even though he's been a target, has been getting his damage off.
It's been a lot of damage off from No Ping's side. Specifically, Syphos that needs to be able to get back into the thick of things. Because of all the team fighting action being back and forth, he's been able to catch up. He's been that magnet for Silva's damage.
Seems like
the
it,
Searing Pain, the Celestial Beams, there's a bullseye on Syphos' head, and the great accuracy from Silva to really exploit that. But this is where the drought from No Ping is starting to take into control between the Terra's control, between that Earth and Fury. You got the space control from the Odin cage, forces out a double Phantom from ETs, which certainly would have preferred. Oship definitely would have wanted Blink in that case, but having to deal with the Odin cage, it forces you into a situation that you might not necessarily be used to.
And now they have to try and make the defense. This double warrior and the Fender jungle composition not going to be as strong when they're even or even a little bit behind, which they are now, and trying to make their defense. I mean, they do have Silva on the Raw, which is great when you're defending with all that long-range clear. But other than that, I mean, how is the defensive comp of this ET's team? I feel like it's not that strong.
I mean, Ragnarok could be a good look to be able to burst Dentola, put him even closer to the Phoenix, maybe catch out Spexilla that doesn't have CC immunity either before the Odin cage comes out. Those are your options. The long range from Silva and just the repositioning out of Oship.
And Dentola on this Terra already strong, but even stronger it feels like in these sieges, is going to be able to go into the ultimate and with that Earth and Fury and try and make those sieges a little bit easier with. It feels like it just does so much. It helps your team. It weakens their team. There's going to be the heal over time that's coming out, the increased damage. So let's see if Dentola can find a big one. As Spexilla goes in, and he does drop the cage already. XT is incredibly low. Darkest of Nights gets a couple good stuns, but Jules finds 2 big targets on the backside. Double kill as Oship is able to find one for himself. But all of ETs are on the retreat now.
They're not done yet. Jules is going for a triple kill. Spectro trying to run away, but it's Dentola chasing him down. A quadra kill for Jules. He's not going to find the Penta with Spectro under the fountain, but he can certainly find the game to extend it to a game 3.
Well, but a bit of an exclamation mark on this huge performance from Jules in game 2. This Robin has made a world of difference. Spectro is going to come in boldly and fight the 1v3, but Jules is right here to try and put the hands on him along with Dentola. The dunk is going to come out as well from Spexilla. The cage to trap him in. There won't be any healing, and Jules gets the deicide and the unofficial pentakill with that 5th one coming out. This should be a game for No Ping with no one left to defend. The Titan down at half health, and No Ping want to force this into a game 3.
What a performance out of Jules, going from the Hunbat into the Robin. Needs to back on out there because 2 members revived. Silva and EXT looking to make something happen without Fire Giant for another 40 seconds. around their waist. They want to make sure that they don't give anything back in return. Ufeli was dead, so they don't have the Hunter damage to close out that game.
And that's part of what Oship was able to help get done for them too, was find some kills onto the carries so that they wouldn't have as much damage. That's why we saw the confidence coming out from Spethro to go in 1v3, because yes, they had damage, but they didn't have carry damage there like from Syphos or from Ufeli, and they're able to get that Phoenix, but not quite get the Titan. Still some work to do for this no ping squad. They want to bring this down. ETs kind of saw the light there for a moment and said, no, not just yet.
They wanted it. You can definitely tell by the look in their eyes as they walked into the Titan room, but they're still far enough ahead with this 12,000 gold lead that they can look for even more with this Gold Fury, extending it beyond 13,500 almost. And the Fire Giant respawning in 45 seconds. I don't see a world where ETs leaves their base to try to defend that objective.
No, I mean, at this point, it would be very difficult for them to go out and try and fight into this. Their Phoenix defense last time was good enough, right? It was enough to stop them from being able to go grab the Titan, so give it a try and try and make it a little bit cleaner here on the next try as Pyromancer does go down. They've got to push up this wave in right, though, and make sure there's not too many minions, fire minions coming in. Have to worry about as well.
A little bit of a waiting game. ETs hoping that no ping overextend beyond that Phoenix into the throne room, but a little bit too prepared for that is no ping. They want to cross all their T's, dot all their I's, do the signatures and the initials before they close out this game, waiting for the enhanced Fire Giant to respawn, and there it goes.
No ping should have no problems confirming this one, and ETs are going to back up and just try and defend. But Oship did a great job jumping into the back line, trying to help set up for Silva's damage as well. It was two waves of initiations from no ping, though, into the Phoenix. You saw Dentola go in, but at the exact same time, Speckzilla blinked in and dropped the cage, and the burst damage came in all at once. ETs have got to try and spread a little bit more and not be so susceptible to that big grouping from the cage.
It's going to be important, like you mentioned, to group up as a unit. If they can find somebody isolated out of no ping, that could be the way to get back into the game and wait for a 4-on-5 situation. But the way no ping has been grouping up, that doesn't seem to be the case. And with a Fire Giant enhanced buff around their waist, they could be looking to close out the game this time for real.
No ping. Want to try and do it one more time. Take two coming out for the squad in Brazil, going up against ETs with that, as we said, HRS experience on the side of Oship, who jumps in, can't find it, has to brutalize away.
That's what he was looking for, the stun into the Ragnarok. He didn't find the first one, not going to try to go for the second one and force it with a two defensive option out of Jules between the overhead kick and the Mystic Rush. Dentola looking for the zoning here, pops the Mad Guy's cloak, and the Blink Odin Cage engages.
It's the same two ways of initiation they used last time. Ufeli finds one kill, XC falls to Jules as well. Ragnarok is going to come out. They try and hold Jules in place, but Silva just does not have the damage. Oship in trouble. Snipe comes out, not enough, and Syphos is able to take down Oship as well. 3 quick kills come out from No Ping, and they give up no lives to give it done. Next up is Margot in trouble, and I think No Ping have a much better shot this time at actually taking game 2 and forcing the game 3.
They're going to try to go for Silva. The crits are coming through, but a nice knockup from Margot, keeping the mid-mage alive a little bit further. Titan, very low, finally goes down. We're going to game 3.
That's right. It's going to be a game 3. No Ping are able to force that one to come out this time, even into a very, very strong ET's roster, and they made some great adjustments. I think that the biggest adjustments they made were in picks and bans, but they played the game much better this time as well. They did not let themselves fall behind by so much early, and they ended up looking a lot better for it.
Dentola on the Terra, the way he kind of played the laning phase, very remarkable stuff. It gives a lot of freedom, honestly, for his Hunter, Ufeli, to just do what he wants on that game with the Artemis, and on top of Jules playing the Rav, and a great momentum shift, being able to really counter Oship's Fenrir in the 1v1 encounter.
Yeah, there were a couple times where he did exactly that. He was able to get off to a good start, but even when he wasn't just straight up boxing with Oship, he was everywhere on the map, having an impact and setting up for the rest of his team to do well. I mean, there was a point where Syphos in the mid lane was behind like 3 levels, behind a bunch of gold, and had been getting killed. It felt like every team fight, but they kept the team so relevant. Syphos kept farming and eventually got to the point where Scylla was able to just do the Scylla damage, man.
It was because Jules was so far ahead of Oship that even though Syphos was struggling a little bit on the Scylla, it allowed him that freedom to come back into it. Great picks and bans in game number 2. We'll see how this time ETs adapts to the draft from No Ping, because that was solid. The Terra probably going to be looked at after that early laning phase performance.
And it's been a very concerted effort from ETs to go with aggression. They've gone without Guardians yet in any of these games. They've gone with the I think it was triple warrior in game 1,
Yes.
the double warrior here in game 2. So I want to see if they want to continue that, or if they want to try and get a little bit more control in these fights via some Guardians.
They definitely need it because the way that the adaptations occurred, rather, from No Ping made it look like ET's strategy was not going to work in game number 2. But
yes,
as long as they can find the grouping up, I still feel that Margot Anna had a 1v1 advantage enough in that Erlang Shen versus Odin laning phase that if Oship did make those rotations, could have maybe found some kills on the Odin,
Sure.
allowed Margot the freedom that she needed to make those rotations in mid lane.
We're going to get into that game 3 here in just a moment. To be a quick break, so go ahead and grab a drink, and we'll be right back with you for this exciting conclusion. Welcome back to the SMITE Global Series. Finch here. I've got Anatoly with me, and we're taking a look at Brazil. And it's been a very close set here so far between No Ping and ETs, and they're going into that game 3.
A lot of action between these two, specifically
Yes.
the Robin jungle. That's been the reoccurring theme, whether it's Oship or Jules piloting it. Both of them had a remarkable game. That's going to be the one pick that I think that's going to be contested over. And on top of it, Dentola playing the Terra in game number 2.
Yes, he looked so much better on that Terra as opposed to playing on the Kepri, I believe it was in game 1. But picks and bans are ready for game 3. Let's go ahead and get those here on the screen and see if ETs want to keep going with this warrior-heavy composition that they used. Maybe No Ping want to go back to the sustained comp and try that a little bit differently because it never really even got off the ground for them in game 1. I'm excited to see what they try and prioritize.
I don't mind ETs playing this aggressive triple warrior composition. I just want to see Oship assist Anna a little bit more because she is so aggressive in that solo lane. It doesn't matter if it's Hell for Spexzilla or the Odin. She's just going to be an absolute nightmare. And if there was a little bit additional assistance, Oship could help find those kills.
Hobon Thoth getting banned away. Those are the bans we've been seeing the whole time, and that means, yep, Serket going to be banned away by ETs and the Guan Yu. So no adjustments being made there. But with No Ping as the first pick here, if they want to try and grab maybe this Achilles, maybe this Robin for themselves right now and take that away, I think it would help them a lot.
And that's exactly going to be the case.
Yes.
Jules playing the Robin yet again. ET's probably going to prioritize the Terra, if I were to guess. Agni, though, a good defensive look to be able to escape the clutches of this Robin jungle.
Yeah, very strong in the mid lane, not just for the safety factor, as you mentioned, but can kind of help peel him a little bit off of him. Good long-range damage and control that he provides as well. And they're going to pair that with the Xbalanque. This has also been highly valued between these two squads. Does mean, though, that No Ping has the option to go Achilles if they want.
I think EXC was playing it in all 3 games thus far, going to do it again here. And that's not a bad idea with how much confusion that it creates with the Darkest of Nights. It's difficult for even a Hou-Yi to properly place the Suns.
That's right. It could be a little bit difficult depending on when he ends up having to try and use that in the fight, but it is going to be the Achilles. So the double warrior, very aggressive warrior composition is actually going to be going over to No Ping this time instead of ETs, who played it so well in game 1. We'll see if maybe ETs want to go back to what the Erlang Shen, I believe, is what we've been seeing over in the solo lane this whole time for on the side of their solo laner.
Trying to get it for Margot Anna could be the case. We'll see if No Ping bans that away, but Spethro not going to get his Achilles as No Ping takes that away, but still more Guardian bans from ETs. They really respect that. No Ping trying to make it happen with the Guardians. Dentola is such a good Guardian player.
That's interesting. You know, they recognize the Guardians are good, but they don't really want them themselves. They're like, y'all don't get to play them. If we're not playing them, nobody is. That's going to be the call here from ETs as they take the Gab Athena off. Same bans that we've seen, and I love this adjustment from No Ping. This is what's been played in the solo lane by Margot every game. Take that away from them. Force ETs to show they can win on something else.
I mean, there's still a lot of aggressive warriors that you can play. There's Osiris, there's Bellona. You can even play Chalk if you really want to. Just spam those abilities every which way you look. As Fafnir is going to be the case, trying to get more attack speed for the Xbalanque.
Fafnir's not a warrior. What are y'all doing?
That's different style from what we saw in game 1 and 2.
What are they doing? No, I'm just kidding. They're certainly okay to pick this guard. It's a little bit different from what we've seen from these first 2 games. It does mean, though, that Terra's going to come right back for No Ping, and I'm loving their draft here so far. They are able to pull away the Robin and the Achilles from ETs, the Terra, which you saw them play so well last game, plus that big damage from the Raijin. I mean, I'm liking this draft.
That's a lot of damage and great setup. It will be the Bellona for Anna, trying to be aggressive. It's probably going to be the Achilles in the solo lane. Not the easiest person to bully.
No, not at all. In fact, a decent matchup for this Achilles if he is going to be the one over there in the solo lane, but we will have to speculate no longer. Game 3 is ready to roll, and it will be Speczilla piloting the Achilles in the solo lane. Going to run right into Spethro, who's been playing the very aggressive Achilles, I believe,
he doesn't get the dash. He doesn't have the dash.
Collapse onto Fafnir, who could be in trouble.
The sprint is good, forces him to get away, forces even the beads out of the aggressive dash out of Silva, so not going to have that for about 2.5 minutes time. So an early rotation from Jules can exploit this level 1 Agni.
Already vulnerable. The sprints had to be used on both sides as well. The sprint on the side of Dentola looks like is upgraded, but that could certainly net an opportunity for No Ping, especially with Jules going with the blink early, foregoing the safety of the beads, even into the Unbots, instead going for the blink so he can make those big rotations. We'll see if he goes for Silva.
Dentola on the backside misses the stun onto EXT. Doesn't have any sort of follow-up damage from Ufeli, but you're mentioning the Blink Relic selection for both of these junglers. I love it for Jules because Robin always has those 2 defensive options, but for the Hunbats not to get it, a little risky considering that if he gets locked down from Jules and Cyphus's Taiko drums, you can use it to fear/taunt your opponent to consistently allow more damage to come through.
Silva going aggressive there in the mid lane as Margot continues to duke it out against Speczilla in solo lane, but a bit of a different look from the duo lane for ETs this time. Spethro on the support getting punished a little bit here early. Ricochet lands, but not quite enough damage. Spethro backs up and is still going to be alive.
EXT just still trying to build the stack, so he is very comfortable if Spethro is the one receiving the damage instead of himself. I like the fact that the Achilles on Speczilla was hugging that blue buff wall, getting experience on both fronts.
And Dentola kind of stepping forward and zoning a little bit there for ETs to make sure that Ufeli has plenty of space to go in and find his own damage. Meanwhile, we'll check back in with Jules. Looks like not able to find an early punish here onto Silva on this Agni, despite not having the beads. It's still a long time, another 50 seconds, he won't have them. And Jules is right here waiting, so if he wants to go in, he has a little more time to get it done.
Doing the left side mins at the moment. They could look to blink in if they really want, but still holding on to the dash in the mid lane. Silva not going to get caught slipping quite yet. Soloing though, Spexzilla and Margoanna trading on blows, and this time it's not that huge health disparity for Spexzilla. He's able to actually box into this matchup.
Yeah, he looks like he's having a better time on this Achilles for sure in the solo lane, even up against Bellona, who can be a bit of a lane bully in her own right, but there's so many tools available to Achilles to sort of mitigate the bludgeon damage. Even though she'll still have the auto attacks, he can kind of dash around, avoid some of that damage. It's a good matchup for him.
Yes, he can stun out the bludgeon. He can also keep up the sustain with that Radiant Glory. Oh shit, he teleports in, but holds on to that overhead smash for a little bit. Meanwhile, in the dual lane, VICS and Spethro getting slightly bullied out. The purple buff was not stripped away, as both of the supports getting their own respective purple buffs, both mid laners getting their own red buffs, so things are looking nice and clean in the duo.
It's a moment where they have a second to breathe as both speed buffs just came up, which is where our junglers are heading to now. In fact, it's actually a back timer for Oship, who is going to head back to base after picking his up. XT yet again forced to jump away in the dual lane, and everyone has a little bit of time to breathe if they're aware of those timers.
If we could talk about what just happened in the mid lane, though, that was a little bit of mind games. Silva clearly telegraphed he was going to dash towards his own lane, and because of that little mez disrupt from Syphos' jump, it prevents him from hitting the back two archers. Now that Silva sees that that's going to be the option from Syphos, he can maybe bait that out again, but this time, after the jump, instead of dashing the wave, just dash aggressively and kill him.
Yeah, just punish it once that Thunder Crash is on cooldown. As there is a big rotation from ETs. They bring everyone, feels like, except for Silva over to confirm that red buff while Silva does the mid-harpy, so they don't have to worry about that one getting taken away, and instead they come back and grab their own and head back towards mid lane. But you talked about some of those mind games, trying to bait out other people's abilities before you go in first. Syphos now could be getting caught out. Those bombs are coming in, but no real follow-up.
Margot struggling a little bit in this matchup. She can't effectively clear because of the bludgeon being canceled, and even though she could still AoE basic attack with that hammer, Spexzilla is doing a lot of return damage every single basic attack.
Blink in from Jules. Mystic Rush is going to chase him down, and the root lands as well. The stun comes through, but I think he still had the beads. Doesn't matter either way. Ufeli gets the shot with the ricochet and brings him down. First blood goes over to No Ping.
Doesn't even need to bounce it off of a wall. He just shot it in a straight line. Nowhere for EXT to go. First blood going to the enemy hunter. Still duking it out as these two. And this could be a risky thing, because if Margoanna uses that Eagles rally offensively, then Spexzilla can now begin to use that fatal strike. So it's a game of chicken between these two ultimates.
It often is in the solo lane you're trying to see if you can bait the other person to use their stuff first. Unless you're like Margot and you're in the lead, then you can jump in aggressively and force out the meditation from Spexzilla.
40 seconds remain on Margot's meditation, but that's why she needs to kind of sit in that Scourge weapon wielding stance, being able to get health back every 3 shots.
XT in trouble again. Ufeli drops down the Suns onto the Chibalanke. I believe he just got back to lane as well and punishes him mightily. That's 2 kills now for Ufeli in that duo lane to make things even worse for the enemy hunter.
Just not having the mobility, not having the beats to get away from that slowing minefield of the Suns. No Ping with 2 quick kills, both of them going to Ufeli, and for a Ho Yi to get that under his belt this early in the game, it's going to be really scary, because now he's completed his Devourer's Gauntlets to build some of the lifesteal, even before EXT finished off his.
Just a little bit ahead in XP over XC, and it's helped out since XC doesn't have his ultimate to respond with just yet. It's been a big advantage for him. They're going to try and use this lead to come over into the jungle, but it's too bad for them that Silva and Oship are there to defend that red buff, so they're not going to be able to strip it away. And XT will take this time to happily farm up and try and get to that level 5, as Devour Gauntlets are already done for Ufeli.
Dentola was actually zoning long enough to allow Syphos to secure that red buff if he really wanted to, but instead opting to Thunder Crash away, still holding on to the Taiko drums, really respecting that follow-up damage, Silva's range on those bombs, and the threat of destroying the monolith is good enough to force the dash out of Silva.
That was all that it took in that situation. Silva recognized that he didn't want to get rooted. There wasn't really even anyone that close to the follow-up. Syphos is there now, but I don't think he was really even in the picture, so Silva doesn't commit too much, but it's always just better not to get controlled by your opponents.
Both of these solo laners still yet to back. Finally, Spexzilla making the first back because they opted for the meditation. Nice job by overhead kicking that initial bomb stun, as Silva was not able to steal away any of those mid harpies, but he's walking aggressively underneath because he has some backup. Spethro and Oship right around the corner.
Now the root, but a good hammer from Spethro. That was great to stop him from going in for the root, and the follow-up was certainly there that time in force from both Jules and from Sypho. So instead of seeing that whole movie play out, he kind of just stopped it right at the beginning and walked out of the theater.
Oship, though, trying to make the play happen onto Dentola. The Earth and Fury can't even pop off during the CC chain.
Just gets collapsed on there. He took that pathing into the jungle kind of alone. He did not have Syphos and Jules there with them, and they did a good job dropping the Fear No Evil, the ultimate from XD as well to create that confusion, and ends up collapsing on the support, no problem.
That's the one way EXT can get back in the game, honestly. Every single time that he uses that Darkest of Nights, getting some of that assist gold allows him to bridge that gap to finish off the Devil Gloves for himself.
Nice, easy assist there for XT as Oship is making the rotation.
Wow.
Cannot stop Ufeli from getting soloed in this Hunter role. And Oship doesn't want anything to do with this fight in the 1v1, giving Ufeli a lot of respect, despite coming in with that dash down.
I mean, Ufeli still had the Suns, and without Fear No Evil, that's not a fight that I think a Hunbats can take, even if the jump is down from the Hou-Yi. Still having 25 stacks to the Devil Glove, so a little bit of lifesteal.
And now it's time for the tight go drums. Silva, buddy, I'm sorry, but everybody's here in your jungle. Even pulls, gets a pullback on his Spethro and pulls him back a little bit in, but it doesn't matter. They find a nice clean pick there in the jungle, and Ufeli having a game for himself. 3-0 already, level 8 on this Hou-Yi.
Looking very clean thus far. Spexella's dash is down, and he didn't reset it again.
They're going aggressive underneath the tier 1 in mid lane, though, Toli. The backside, here comes in Oship. Does not have the Fear No Evil available just yet, and so he has to back away from the damage coming out from Syphos on the Raijin. They might even be able to threaten this tier 1.
Very low is that tier 1 tower. 8 minutes into the game, but not too many minions to tank that tower, so they'll disengage for the moment and get some of these neutral objectives. These mid harpies are very valuable if you can secure both of them every single respawn.
It's going to be the call here. Ufeli going to come just grab his red buff, and despite that aggression there in the mid lane, No Ping couldn't find anything. That was actually really good timing from them. Maybe a little bit of just convenience for him, but Oship had a great wraparound, but just did not have that Fear No Evil yet. I think he was only a few seconds away from having that available, and that could have been a very big punish, but instead, No Ping can aggress into the mid lane, face no punishment, and just kind of leave.
It's looking pretty clean thus far for No Ping with a 4-1 lead. They did have that one little scuffle onto Dentola, but other than that, a lot of action in the solo lane with Oship right around the corner, but not taking the bait outside of his tower. Spexilla hiding.
They want to go aggressive underneath the tier 1 tower. Eagles Rally is used to cut the distance. Fear No Evil from Oship is good enough, and Spexilla falls over in solo lane. Jules, though, is going to come up and grab his own buff. No real way to punish this aggression from ETs.
So Spexilla had to Fatal Strike there just to make sure that he wasn't going to get caught under that Fear No Evil, but Oship's patient to blink in, bait that ultimate, and then chase him down with a jump to secure the Fear No Evil after the Fatal Strike is down is what separates a lot of just players from being, you know, above average versus elite status. Oship, a great play out of him.
And he was instrumental in their kill they got onto Dentola as well in the jungle. Oship kind of helping to keep ETs in this one despite the strong start from No Ping here so far. We'll see if he can keep that momentum going, because it's been a slightly quiet game here from Jules compared to what he was able to do in game 2. It's really Ufeli who's been popping off.
That's very true. Oship with 2 kills for himself, but it's 2 assists for Jules, being able to still make a statement and a little bit of a splash every now and then. What's the most important thing to notice is the fact that EXT still struggling a little bit, and the fact that he hasn't completed his boots, whereas Ufeli has Ninja Tabi already completed, gives the Hou-Yi rather a lot of 1v1 potential, whereas EXT just needs to just retreat under the tower, look for the free farm to catch back up.
And Ufeli, certainly a strong enough player to capitalize on this time and the advantage that he has as he comes down to split this farm with Jules there on that red buff. Instead, is going to head right back to lane. Not able to really find anything up on the map to try and strip away. At this point, Gold Fury is up. We haven't seen anyone try and pull that one just yet. And with this lead and with some of these ults they have, they would not have a too hard of a time confirming.
Ooh, both junglers are right around the corner, but Oship walks over a ward. That's why Jules hides beneath the Gold Fury, trying to make the counter rotation happen.
Beads comes out from Ufeli, and the stun and the Mystic Rush inside the Suns. Oship just barely survives. They don't really have a way to close this gap, but Jules is still trying to. He has Blink. He just needs to get out of combat long enough, it would appear, as Margot's going to continue to go aggressive on the solo. Now we see Jules go in aggressively, but cannot find Ship. That Blink was used. It's now on cooldown, as meanwhile, Silva continues to fight here in the jungle.
Sypha's trying to run away here. He thunder crashes before any sort of dots come through. Now, using the Taiko drums onto Spectro, but needs to watch out for the hammer.
He does manage to juke the hammer, and Spectro goes to transform, but he'll die as soon as he lands. Ufeli finds the shot to move up to 4-0-0. Spectro falls yet again in the jungle, and Sypho's just barely clinging to life there.
Trying to run away in the duel lane was Oship after the blink for the counter blink, but then the rest of No Ping collapsed in the jungle, making sure that they find Spectro. That was so close to finding the kill onto Syphos that just narrowly avoided that Agni dash damage over time.
And what a call from Syphos, because he could have like feared him away with that last hit from the Taiko drums, but I think he went for more damage as now Ship goes in aggressive. Ufeli does not land the ricochet, but stun comes out. And Ufeli, undeterred, goes in aggressive. So does Syphos, and I think Ufeli is going to jump in and dive bomb on top of Silva for a rampage. 5-0-0 for the Hunter for No Ping.
What a start. That's the dream start. And a lot of hunters have been relatively quiet in Season 5 because of just a lot of the itemization choices and being able to, for Assassins to get off the early momentum, as there was a nice clean picked off onto Syphos in response. ET's answering back in kind.
Now there could be trouble here for Dentola, but not with Jules making the big rotation. But of course, Ufeli somehow comes in and gets the last hit to take that kill. Now Spectro in a little bit of trouble with that mark on top of him. They're going to push aggression onto XT in the mid lane. They find him, does Jules, and now they can try and collapse on the Spectro, who does have the jump. But Jules not done. Mystic Rush to force out the Draconic Corruption.
And that's going to be a favorable trade for No Ping every single time. Not having to worry about that AoE coerce, and the huge burst damage out of this dragon gives more team fight freedom for No Ping to make these isolation 1v1 plays, even being rewarded with the back camps.
Uses the ultimate there, does Margot, to avoid getting executed by Spexzilla, it would appear. But the rotation from Jules is just too good. Even with the meditation coming in, I don't know if that'll be enough. Jules dies on the tower, but can't find the last couple of enhance necessary. And Margot dances a little bit, knowing that he survived the gank.
Anarchy Bologna showing the chaos happen in that solo lane. Surviving 1v1, surviving 1v2, it doesn't matter. Still confident to sit in this lane. Not gonna back, wants to absorb this whole minion wave before backing, abusing the timing from Spexzilla. And on top of this, might get off some damage to the tower with this next wave entering.
Is going to be able to survive there is Margot Anna in that solo lane up against Spexzilla and Jules. So not quite everything falling No Ping's way, but just about everything else has been going so well for them. And Ufeli continues to be up near the top in terms of net or the XP per minute, only a little bit behind Margot Anna, the opposing solo laner. Almost unheard of for hunters to be doing this well at this early in the game.
That's true. Margot Anna definitely needed to use that meditation to barely survive after using her own ultimate to avoid the fatal strike. I didn't really see if Spexzilla had his meditation up, but he was too low to continue the tower dive alongside Jules, so a slight disconnect, not allowing that kill to happen. No Ping, though, sees a window, looking for the Gold Fury, but EXT right around the Gold Fury, making the call.
Yeah, ET certainly know that this one is happening. Silva's kind of really far back, like towards mid lane, but Gold Fury has been dropped. Earthquake Fury really only kind of hits onto his own team, so they're not going to get the other half of that effect, and they come right back towards Gold Fury with Jules on the zone duty.
Good entire baiting out that Earth and Fury, respecting the fact that the Fear No Evil was a possibility, but this Gold Fury, less than 1,000 health, and considering Oship still had Fear No Evil, didn't pull the trigger to make the play happen.
I'm a little bit surprised, and to the point where I would say I don't like that ETs gave that up there. I think they had a chance to make that fight happen. At least go in and try and force them to use a little bit more,
Try to defend it with the Blink Fear No Evil. That's a huge disruption. I think it was, what, game number 1, where it was Jules stealing the Gold Fury with one Fear No Evil?
Sure. The tier 1 tower in right does end up falling, as the rest of No Ping are going to group in mid lane for this tier 1 tower. Darkest of Nights does come out, and Jules kind of standing alone with the tier 1. Silva has to dash away on the backside. Taiko Drum's going to come out, and Oship is the target, and Jules finds the last hit necessary. Margot has Ufeli. This could be a very important kill if he can find it. Bludgeon, and he does bring the hammer right down, taking Ufeli right out of the fight.
Up and down right onto Syphos. He needs to find some more return damage. Sprint being used, trying to save the mid-mage's life. Fatal Strike narrowly avoided. Even Meditation just for good measure. She is a wild one as she goes in the backline. Syphos will take her out, but not until EXT responds with Jules.
Margoana might have fallen, but what a team fight from the solo laner from ETs to help set up the 2-for-2 trade, while the rest of No Ping have got to retreat with their tail between their legs. They went a little bit too far forward, and the solo laner came in and put the hammer down in the mid lane. ETs, they may be about 3k gold behind and giving up that gold fury, but they've not given up on this game. They're ready to fight.
They can still easily combat into this. The huge crowd control with Oship, the huge space control between Spectro's Draconic form. That's what you're really looking for to defend some of these towers. Now, that tier 1 was already too low to do anything about it, but these future ones are still healthy enough to keep alive and trucking. And No Ping, they should have known that they were a little bit too low to make anything happen. And without Dentolo's ultimate, that was a fight that was almost destined to at least be responded to.
Silva is in trouble. The stun does land, but Syphos doesn't really have any more follow-up. Didn't want to commit the Tycho drums there with the Aegis still available for Silva, so they fall back in that mid lane, but 10-5 are the kills for No Ping. They have for themselves about a 3,000 gold lead, or just about 2,500 experience as well. But ETs are showing they certainly can fight back into this, and Margoana over here in the solo lane has been a big part of it so far, at least in that mid lane defense, surviving these ganks and harassing Ufel.
And with the Margardian mail, she's able to really start flexing all over this Achilles that's going to receive a lot of a reduced movement speed and attack speed. So Speczilla can't fight that 1v1 any longer with how much physical defense not only Margardian mail provides, but you add the mystical mail on top of it. The health that Margoana has is good enough to build high enough to get away from that execute threshold, synergizing very effectively with the meditation.
And I get why ETs play so well with the Achilles, because it's clear they know how to play very well around the Achilles, even when it has to be defensive, using those meditation baits very well. But it's a 3-member gank on the Margoana. Goes into the bludgeon, overhead kick to immune the damage, but at half health still, and very comfortably walking back to the tier 1 tower. Now Oship has made the rotation along with the rest of ETs to try and aggress. Goes in on the Speczilla. He's going to be the target. They do drop down the Fear No Evil, but the response damage from No Ping has been very strong, and Jules finds a kill.
Margoana with the bludgeon right on top of the Raijin. Rooted in place is Spectro and Anna trying to survive under their own tier 1 tower. The dragon falls down. The Bologna trying to run away. Silva with the bomb, but no stun on top.
That's because XT's not here. He's split pushing the tier 2 over and left. Margoana is going to end up falling to Speczilla, who grabs a double kill for himself as they take the tier 1. But this is a somewhat decent trade. I feel like XT was never going to be able to make it. He did drop his ult, come grab the tier 2 tower, and keep going until they send somebody back.
Somebody has to back to defend this Phoenix, but honestly, they might not even need to, with Syphos responding in 10 seconds. Still covering the option is going to be Jules. Doesn't want to lose the tier 1 tower potentially in mid, while the rest of his team gets the Pyromancer. And I'm surprised they don't just straight up go for the Fire Giant with the late game Hunter right here.
Well, now they're going to go for it, but it's a difference, I would say, of about like 5 to 7 seconds or so.
Yep.
And that could be a big difference. Silva now is on the rotation, unchecked. There is a ward from No Ping. They know he's here, and they are going to come right for his life and push him away. Fire Giant's still aggroed, but now Spectro's here. This is the difference in the time they spend on Pyro.
The Hou took a little bit too much damage, needs to disengage from this one. Here comes the rotation from Oship, but he's forced to jump away with all the follow-up out of Syphos between that Raiju and the Percussive Storm. That AoE chain lightning is not something you want to deal with all the penetration he has on top of that spear, the Magus.
But that play was so important for ETs because of what XT was able to do. Look where he is now, level 17, actually experience-wise, out in front of Ufeli, who was kind of bullying him all lane long.
That's true.
Getting all that solo farm and catching back up. Yes, they lost to tier 1 in Pyro, but that's all they lost. And now they have a very relevant Xbalanque.
It's not too bad to make that kind of a trade happen. As long as he starts grouping up for these additional team fights, ETs should be in a good spot. Even if they lose this Gold Fury, not the end of the world.
Yes, I agree with you. This Gold Fury, they wouldn't want to give it up, but this is No Ping recognizing a gap in ET's vision and control. They grab that Gold Fury, and now they're ready to group up and make the fight back. Speczilla committing the blink on the XT when I was just saying how he's finally caught up in levels. They start to bully him out. Silva has shown up as well and dropped some control, but Dash is right back under the tower.
Jules can easily make the blink happen if the beats are down. Jules, though, is in a lot of trouble with the Fear No Evil. Forced overhead kick away, using the Mystic Rush as Margot trying to chase that down. Can't do so, though.
Ufeli's going to be the target, has to use beads and Aegis, and has to dive bomb away. They forced out both Jules and Ufeli, but the Tycho drums
Look at the
is
back.
just too good. Silva ends up falling. Jules on the backside with the blink, and now he's looking for Spec Throw as well.
He gets OSHA very low, forced to retreat. Spexzilla, though, could be in a lot of trouble. He's trying to get sandwiched. Spectro with the last hit onto Jules. He's going to get chased down by 2. Ufeli taking him out as Syphos narrowly avoids the depth. Spexzilla still zoning in the front because on the backside is Dentola looking for EXT.
Now they're coming back towards the mid lane. Spexzilla is now in trouble, and it's Dentola who's going to have to try and box it out 1v3. Everyone else is too low HP to try and stick around and help out. ET's done a great job turning this fight around. Syphos' Tycho drums, by the way, help save this as Dentola does eventually end up falling, but that's what's set up for Jules to go on the backside and find that kill.
A 2 for 3. Margo Anna very healthy. Could look to siege this tier 1 tower, but not with the Hui and the Raijin right around the corner. So it's going to look for some farm in the enemy's jungle side. Not that big of a deal. Fire Giant was looked at by Noping earlier on, but a little bit too late after the Pyromancer. I think that if they honestly started it right away, they had the opportunity to secure it.
But Noping start that fight in the mid lane. I feel like it was their aggression. Spexzilla blinks into the mid lane on XT, and in the end, it ends up being a 2 for 3, really, in ET's favor, despite the way they start that fight off. I mean, what went so wrong for them there?
The problem was not Spexzilla blinking in. The problem was Dentola using the ultimate on a solo Xbalanque under his own tier 2 tower without any additional follow-up. The rest of the team fight, ET's was comfortable not having to worry about their own abilities and basic attacks having that negated damage, the heal over time from No Ping's Dentola. So it was a very effective timed fight out of ET's.
And they got the priority targets early on. They didn't kill Jules early on, but they forced him out of the fight right away. Then they turned and they forced Ufeli out of the fight right away. So when Syphos goes over the Tycho drums and it gets like 3 people low, I mean, what's the follow-up for that? As Bethro jumps in aggressively, ready to start another fight. Margo is going 1v3, but happy to take those trades as Spexzilla takes some damage on the right-hand side as well.
Needs to sustain a little bit with the Scourge, potentially. The rest of Noping aggressing forward. There's the Earth and Fury. Defensive, fear no evil. Spethro in the execute range, but the meditation gets him above it.
Mystic Rush comes out from Jewel. He's diving in aggressively. Draconic Corruption, but lands right back down to the Suns and the damage and all the nonsense coming out from No Ping. Silva is the one that finds a return kill as Oshif goes in aggressive. Dive Bomb comes out to try and bring him down, but Silva finds a double kill for himself on the Agni in the mid lane.
There's so much chaos in the front that Silva's able to just drop the bombs on him, finding 2 quick kills. Now it's Margo Anna baiting herself out, trying to look for additional follow-up. A triple stun out of Silva. The rest of ET's not interested in chasing because there's still a lot of return damage potentially from Ufeli. Those jungle fight skirmishes with the Ricochet, you gotta watch out for that one.
So yet again, another bloody fight that gets started up there. And this time I felt like it was ET's kind of forcing the fight in the jungle with the jump in from Spethro. And even though a couple members died, no one's able to find anything substantial off the back of it. We're 24 minutes in. Noping's early lead has all but evaporated here at this point. This game is very, very close. In fact, the experience has gone pretty heavily in favor of ET's, dropping all the way down.
About a 4,500 experience lead. At 24 minutes, it's not the end of the world. It's not like a 3-level differential the way it was in the last game where Jules had over Oship or where Syphos was suffering over Silva. Both jungles and mids are very evenly matched this game.
Pyromancer being looked at by ET's, and no one really around from No Ping to stop this one down to half health. The rotation's coming in from Nintola, but I don't know what a lone Terra can do, and Pyromancer going to go without any contestation over to ET's.
No possible way to steal that one, but a Pyromancer at 24 minutes, not too worried about that one. The ultimate coming through. Fear no evil, nowhere to go for Syphos.
Take that right out of the fight early. Now Dentola, the next one in trouble. Drops Earth and Fury, just trying to keep himself alive, but Oshif is there. The big grouping from ET's pays dividends as they find 2 kills and the tier 1 tower in mid lane. I think they're going to keep on pushing with that AoE coerce. They want the tier 2 as well.
It's a 5-on-3 without Syphos and without Dentola. They need to rely on Ufeli for the long-range defense, whereas Jules and Spexzilla can buffer in the front line. This middle Phoenix is not looking very healthy.
Blink comes on the backside from Spexzilla, but they have the return damage. Ufeli drops down the Suns to force them back. Margo's low and has to retreat. This mid Phoenix might have been a little bit ambitious as Jules goes on the backside for Margo, but pays for it with almost all of his HP. They try and go in aggressive as XT, but can't find the damage. Margo instead drops the ultimate onto Ufeli, who gets stunned, controlled, and blown right up by Silva. Mid Phoenix now in their sights.
trying to make it happen onto Spexzilla. Margoanna walking away from the execute threshold. Taiko drums are banging away. No Phoenixes stripped away. ETs, they split their forces. They had Oship try to split push to the left-hand side. Jules leading the charge for No Ping, trying to find anybody.
He wants to keep going in, but getting deterred there by Margot. They do find some control on top of him with the Thunder Crash, with the Mantle. Gives him a little bit of time. Not enough, though. Jules comes back in with the punch and brings him down. And now he wants Silva, who turned back around. Aegis keeps him alive for a moment, but Jules is not done. Not with Dentola here in backup.
Oh, Spexzilla trying to lead the charge with that Earth and Fury. The root catches Silva right at the tail end of it, but the Fear No Evil, there is no follow-up. The tier 2 tower, too much to handle.
Everybody else on No Ping was just too low, and that was great. The Earth and Fury into the root. I know they were low, but I think with that extra big Terra ultimate, they might have been able to keep going into that team fight. Instead, ETs make a good defense. They don't get the Phoenix, but they get the tier 1 and the tier 2, and they're able to make it back out.
It's so hard to siege against this Agni. Those bombs are making the difference for ETs, whether it's offensively or defensively. All their tier 2 towers still remaining strong, as Cyphus doesn't have the same sort of range without his Taiko drums.
21,000 player damage, almost at 22,000 really for Silva, and that doesn't even capture, as you mentioned, the way that he's been disruptive in these team fights. I mean, Jules wants to blink in and get off his kit, but he gets interrupted all the time by Silva or by Oship on the ultimate or by Specthro with the hammer. It's just very difficult for No Ping to find a flow in these fights.
Looking for the Fire Giant as ETs, their first attempt in game number 3. They're gonna leash it for the moment because they identify 2 frontliners are coming on in. Wrapping around the corners, Jules sitting at less than half health is the Fire Giant. Oship dealing some poke damage, but the ring is coming out.
And Jules is going to come in on the backside. Spexzilla is already very low, but the Taiko drums come in, and he's forced to use them defensively. Is going to be the mid laner. Now Jules able to find Oship and bring him down. Specthro in a lot of trouble. Spexzilla finds that kill, but Silva returns the favor with a kill of his own. He's got to retreat, though, from those autos that are coming out from Ufeli. Jules gets the double kill. 4v2 now for No Ping, who have turned this game on its head.
Spexzilla blinks in, dashes forward. EXT forced to use the Aegis, narrowly avoids that Fire Giant knock up, surrounded by 4 members. It's a 4-for-1 as only Cyphus out of No Ping dies. Too aggressive with Silva on the dash. He needs to be more in the back line to just set up the bombs.
And ETs were the one that were taking the damage from the Fire Giant. They couldn't get the zoning that they needed. No Ping were right there at the line of the ring, and they were able to get off too much damage, as you mentioned. Cyphos may have fallen, but a good Taiko drums from him as well. And that fight just ends up going the way of No Ping. Now they've got Fire Giant, 4 members up, and plenty of towers and gold off the map to try and strip.
What can they do with it, though? They're going to get a tier 2 tower, but with a lot of ET's members respawning, that Phoenix looking really risky to attempt without any sort of minion waves, as it's all the way down where the tier 1 used to be out of No Ping.
It is going to be the fallback for No Ping. They got that tier 2, but they can't do much else. But they've got this Fire Giant for a long time still, like another 3 minutes or so, a little bit more than that. And there's tier 2 towers for them to go grab, get a little bit more farm, and try and catch back up. But totally, this game is so close between these two teams. We're in the best of 3. Game 1 may have been a bit of a stomp, and ETs were able to run away with it, but No Ping stick it out in game 2. They bounce back in a big way. Now here in game 3, they're the ones with the Fire Giant on everyone but Cyphos and ready to make a big play.
This whole entire set is honestly just a barn burner between these two. So many kills between them. 22-16 at 29.5 minutes in as Ufeli starts up the Gold Fury. Both of these teams really knows what they're trying to do with each other. They have so much experience battling against each other within their own respective region that whenever they can identify the aggression, the counter-aggression's already there.
Big grouping from No Ping. Looks like the call's going to be the duo lane tier 2 tower. Spexzilla, though, or Spexzilla rather, a little bit more concerned with, I guess, grabbing those oracles. You know, pretty important at 30 minutes to make sure you get that farm. And now the rest of the team is going to take down this tier 2 tower indeed. Oship is looping around the backside. I think ET's want to defend, fear no evil, pin Cyphos up against the wall, and Oship forces him to Thunder Crash away. Actually has the jump and kills him inside the Taiko drums, but Silva falls as well. Jules comes in and takes down XT. They're able to find a couple big kills or No Ping.
They're fighting outside that tier 2 tower where it used to be outside the Phoenix on top of it. What a play out of Oship, but the rest of No Ping, they didn't even try to save their mid laner's life. He didn't have the Aegis available. I think his beads just came off cooldown now. but the rest of ETs were a little bit too aggressive as No Ping was able to respond with Silva's death and EXT.
Mid Phoenix is going to be the call. No fear, no evil to worry about for No Ping, as that's already been used. Oship comes back from Ufeli, but catches a big crit and has to retreat. He drops right back down while Jules actually chases down Oship. Phoenix on left-hand side's already been taken, and they're turning their attention on this left-hand side towards Smethro.
Oh, if they can find another kill, this might be game. He's in execute range, and he finds the first one. Second one, not in the execute range, but this could be game, Finch.
Silva is going to be back up here in about 5 seconds. Margot lands a big stun. That lands on top of Ufeli, who's forced to retreat. Margot once again making the hero plays, and No Ping have to retreat yet again.
Wow.
One Phoenix has been taken down, but they couldn't go any further.
Amazing stuff out of Margot Anna, just holding her own, and she was eating a lot of crit damage. Honestly, like 450 damage crits, that's nothing to scoff at, but with enough physical defense between the height of the Nemean line, that mystical mail, Margardian mail, and the health on top of it, she's able to make that kind of play happen.
Now, Fire Giant is going to be falling off in about 40 seconds here totally. Then about a minute after that, the actual Giant himself will respawn. Tier 2 in mid, though, they don't want to wait any longer, do No Ping. They want to try and siege this one now, and ETs are not going to try and defend that, so they fall back. Only 2 Phoenixes remain to defend that Titan for the red squad here.
I don't mind this play whatsoever from No Ping, just getting that tier 2 tower before the Fire Giant spawns, simply because you need to make the Titan as vulnerable as possible before hitting that last nail in the coffin. As ETs were like, yeah, we're not gonna really try to fight over that. We're cool.
And that's the right call, especially 32 minutes here into the game, right? That tier 2 tower, just not as big a deal as some of these builds for No Ping are being finished up. Kin Size just came out for Ufeli. Voidstone coming out for Dentola. That's going to help out a lot in terms of making Syphos' damage even better later on in this game while adding a little bit more to himself. No Ping are ready to come in and ready to rock.
And it's up to ETs to hold that rock from going down this hill, because it's not looking very pretty for them. They need to find that long distance freedom for Silva and EXT to just do their job, and Margot Anna has been that frontline buffer, but because of how sporadic and chaotic these teamfights have been, the positioning from both teams have been just all over the place.
Oship made a commitment in that last fight, though, to take Syphos out of it early. I'm curious to see if that's going to be the continued strategy for them, because the 4v4, since Oship wasn't really a part of the rest of the fight, went in No Ping's way pretty handily.
Yes. They found that 2 for nothing in the 4-on-4, and they could definitely do it again if Silva doesn't watch out for his positioning. Look at Jules wrapping on the backside, forcing the dash out of Silva.
Silva already has to play defensively, and that does clear up space for Spexzilla to retreat, but Margot doesn't know the meaning of the word, jumps in with the Eagles rally, and is trying to put the hurt onto Jules. The stun is going to land. Meanwhile, XT in trouble on the backside, but Ufeli now getting forced away by the Fear No Evil from Oship. Margot continuing to aggress, and Spexzilla brings in the meditation for the squad. Tycho jumps from Syphos, and it finds Silva, but he doesn't keep putting the damage in, and Silva's able to retreat.
His dash was not available to get away from that one, but no capitalization. ETs barely walk away with that one, but look at the Titan from No Ping. There's going to be a fire minion wave there, slowly chunking it away.
And that means that the Fire Giant's being looked at, but they've actually dropped
a second wave
and look for the
push.
push
This
instead.
is scary if nobody backs to defend.
They are going to have to go back as ETs. Looks like they have given up on this Fire Giant for now, and we can even see XT making the long walk back without using the back instead. So No Ping will grab the Fire Giant. Titan will be defended, but he is still going to take that damage because there's not all 3 Phoenixes up.
About 7,400 life remaining. It's up to No Ping to seal the deal. They got the enhanced Fire Giant. They could go for this Phoenix Siege, and if they get any picks, this could be game.
Spexzilla's going to be the front line. Syphos still alive, has beads and Aegis available. No beads or blink available for Jules, and no relics available for Ufeli either. Same story for XT, so a couple of easy targets on both sides. Keep your eyes on these hunters.
Trying to make the play happen is No Ping, waiting for the right opening. Margot Anna leading the charge, but probably shouldn't fight outside the Phoenix. Needs to allow someone to come in, bait them out of position, because the Huyi damage after the Mark of the Golden Crow starts adding up.
Silva is already in trouble. Silva already deleted. Jules is the one that finds that kill very early. Spexzilla is the target, but Ufeli has just too much damage. Margot Anna is the one that ends up falling next. Spexzilla does drop to the damage from Oship, but they're pushing past the Phoenix, and he's been deleted by Syphos, and they're going to keep right on pushing. XT is the next one to drop. The surrender vote's coming out, but it's too little too late. No Ping are here to take game 3 over ETs.
Despite ETs winning game number 1, No Ping were not deterred. They win 2 and 3 very fashionably. A great performance from Jules' Robin.
And what a bounce back, totally, because you're right. Not only did they lose game one, but it wasn't really close, that game one loss. They spiraled out of control in that game, but a huge bounce back from them to stay calm in game two and win that one. And game three got a little bit away from them too, and they managed to come back in this one too.
They were getting staggered by the bomb stuns. All those bomb stuns were problematic, but once Silva got caught out of position without his dash, that's how Noping was able to really seal the deal. I like the adaptations between not only the Robin jungle, but the Terra support for Dentola started to give the control that Syphus needed to get the damage off.
I'm starting to wonder if game three might have been different if he's playing something other than Khepri because of how much better he's looked on this Terra so far. I mean, I understand that Terra's strong, but he's doing good things with like the walls, like like to isolate players out, to find those big stuns. I mean, what excellent play from him in that game. But Tola, let's go ahead and take a look at how those standings have shaped out now after that game. This is actually for the whole Brazil region. Black Dragon still up at the top, but they got to keep their eyes open, man, after that strong performance by No Ping.
That's true. It was ETs that took out Nargs in week number 1, and No Ping fell to Black Dragons in week number 1, so you know they're looking for some revenge later on in the split.
Oh, yeah, especially with how strong they look right there. Black Dragons kind of got to be looking over the shoulder a little bit there, totally, like I was showing. But we still got plenty more Smite action for you. That is going to do it for the Global Series. But the SML's coming up next here, totally.
That's true. We got some European action. It's going to be Insignum versus Victoria's Secret.
That's exactly right. Then the SPL is going to be coming almost immediately following that. So if you can believe it, there's going to be Smite action all day long. So you're going to want to make sure that you stick around. The SML has been so competitive now in EU. Insignum are kind of up there at the top. I would say that they're pretty much up there at the top, but definitely there's still some good competition right there with them.
That's true. Their former support Half Devil transitioning into the SPL.
Yeah, that's right.
For SK Gaming. So you get to see some new players and some older ones.
That's right. I believe it's Who the Best who came down and took that spot from SK. So now he's down in the SPL helping out with Insignum, and we'll be able to go over all that with you here in just a moment. For now, I know you want a breather after that big 3-game set, so go ahead and grab your snacks, come right back here for the SML, and we'll bring it to you.
Let's go.
Thank you for joining us here for the SMITE Minor League. We just concluded with the SMITE Global Series, at least for this week, and it was a bit of a barn burner, so I expect we'll be seeing plenty of action here in the SML as well, if that's any indication. Going to be Insignum going up against Victoria's Secret.
We could definitely see a lot of action between these teams. It's
yeah.
generally been the case between the difference of SMITE Pro League or the Minor League / Global Series, where they know how to fight, and that's what they keep their strengths to.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I feel like the level of competition has not been that big between these squads. I mean, I'm not saying they can go and take on the SPL teams, but they've all been very, very competitive sets and matches, and I've really been enjoying watching them. Let's actually go ahead and take a look at what all matches you can expect here from the SML with that schedule. We'll get that up on the screen here for you. We're going to be taking a look at Insignum versus Victoria's Secret. Then it'll be NA on Wednesday and Friday as per usual. Then we'll continue with EU on Thursday with Burrito up against Fear No Evil.
It could be a lot of interesting matchups to follow suit because Anxiety Onset and Insignum, you know, the #1 teams in their own respective regions, lost some players that transitioned over to the SPL, so they're trying to fill some of those spots with some newer players.
Yeah, and if we can take a look at the standings, I think you'll see that there's been some change-ups. Anxiety Onset was top in spring and did go to land, but having some struggles here without having Payne, without having Paul on that roster. They got to make some adjustments. On the other hand, very nice to me, is looking very good with Payne to be on the squad. Even Voltic doing well after their adjustments.
Well, Insignum on the European side of things are still looking like the #1 European team at the top of the standings with 3 points, beating out Burrito 2-1 and then Optimus getting 2-0 in week 1.
Yeah, Insignum, they're just so strong. I mean, it took them going to LAN and facing North America to find someone that could slow them down because they were, I think, 9-1 in the spring split.
Oh, yeah.
They were just so strong, and Insignum continuing that here in a big way in this summer split as well. And they're going to have a tough time up against Victoria's Secret. Even though this Insignum squad are strong, Victoria's Secret has some big names themselves.
That's true. They got Mr. Stefan for their mid laner, trying to fill in some of their roles. It used to be Spudio, now it's Strika in that Hunter position. Without Frostiak in the jungle role, they do have Marcus.
That's right. So we'll see if Marcus can kind of fill the role for them up against Insignum. This is a big test for them because it's a very strong Insignum squad that they're going up against. So we'll see if they are ready to rise up to that challenge. Picks and bans, though, are ready for you. We'll go ahead and get those on the screen and see what it is that gets prioritized. Insignum have really been playing a very strong game, so I'm excited to see how they want to adjust to Victoria's Secret. Do they want to ban them out? Do they want to focus on their own picks? We're going to get a chance to see.
Could be the dual lane specifically with the way Half Devil used to play, trying to help Joshi transition from the Hunter role. Could be the same case as Who the Best has now filled that role.
And it is Death Panter in the mid lane for them as well, who you all should certainly recognize as one of the big parts of that Elevate roster that was able to do so well in Season 4 towards the end of that fall split when they were really making their big rise, and now down here in the minor league and looking still like he's very much a high-level player, and he's paired up with Lasber there in the jungle, who's also been playing very well. And I would want to ban away the Giannis and the Achilles from this Insignum squad too.
2 good Guardians up, Athena and the Terra, but global pressure Ratatasker, as Lasber really likes to make some of those highlight plays, leaning on his comfort pick. Not a bad call.
Yeah, I'm not too surprised to see them prioritize the picks here for Lasber and make sure that he's able to have a good game for himself. He's really been able to set a good pace for this Insignum squad, but totally, I'm there with you. Soul has not been a high priority pick lately.
Not at all.
I don't know why you need to pick it first overall, but that has been the call here from Victoria's Secret.
I mean, it still has a good tendency to burn some of these objectives, and Soul, Kumbhakarna, 2 other picks that are not heavily prioritized, but if you're looking for comfort picks against such a formidable roster out of Insignum, then you want to play towards your strengths, and Kumbhakarna is no slouch. He's going to set up the Soul pretty well and whatever else is to follow.
I mean, these are strong picks for sure, but I mean, things like the Guan Yu, the Shibalanke are still on the table, the Athena, as you mentioned, and a lot of stuff getting prioritized over that, but you still have a strong squad with a Rat, Uller, Sobek, and with a Soul, Kumbhakarna, Hachiman, so no complaints over here.
Definitely not. Wanting to secure their Hunter before the secondary ban phase. So there's the mid-mage Soul, probably going to be mid-mage as the Hunter for Hachiman. Could see some solo lane action if they wanted to be a little bit spicy for today's matches, as Discordia going to get banned away. Probably another mid-mage ban to follow.
I like this idea, though, to try and limit some of the options for Death Panter. Now, remembering part of when that Elevate squad was doing well, it was him playing a lot of Hunters. They have the Uller already, so maybe they want to flex into that. EU has not been nearly as fond of that double Hunter that NA was toward the end of the spring split, but it's certainly still a possibility.
Definitely could be the case. We saw just Rival dissect the double Hunter strategy every which way. Susanoo is the jungle ban alongside Nemesis, as Ratatoskr already locked in for Insignum. Victoria's Secret still have a lot of options for Marcus.
Looks like it's going to be the Robin selection that comes in, though. That's a very strong jungler in its own right. We just saw in the global series just now that Robin kind of was the one of the big deciding factors. Who got to have that in the jungle. So we'll see if Victoria's Secret can build off that. Meanwhile, Thoth going to be the selection for Death Panner. Very much not a hunter. Instead, a big old burst mage for the mid lane.
It's so interesting to see these different metas because Thoth in SPL North America fought over every time.
Right.
In United Space Station Gaming games, like, they love their Thoth, but not so much in the minor league of Europe. They kind of allowed it through the secondary ban phase, but still get a chance to see it.
Man, you ban out Nemesis Susano, and the enemy team still gets to pick up the Robin for their squad, so they've got to be feeling good. But Amir comes in for Victoria's Secret when they already have the Kumakarna. I got to be thinking this is Amir solo here, Tully?
It's very possible. Kumakarna has been known to solo back in Season 2 a little bit, but this Ymir would be a little bit more stronger. Frostbite with the passive basic attacks looking good.
Well, that's what we got here. The Amir possibly going to the solo lane. Before I throw it over the casters, Tully, I got to put you on the spot. Who you think's going to be able to take this game?
I like the control from Victoria's Secret. Soul a little questionable. I'm giving it to Insignum because it's Lasbra. First picking is Rat. They got a plan for him.
Oh, yeah. We know that Lasbra is going to go off on this Ratatoskr, but we'll go ahead and get it over the caster so we can see that Rat in action.
Thank you very much, guys. Welcome in. It's getting ready for the SMITE Minor League. Aggro joined by Taco. And look, Taco, I get it. Minor League drafts are a little bit different. The meta's a little bit different. I find it hard to believe, though, that there are 18 gods better than Terra, Xbalanque, or Guan Yu. None of those three picked or banned here.
It just seems that these teams have some different incentives going forward into this match against each other. There's always a consideration when it comes to competitive play that sometimes you want to pick and ban based on your competition and not necessarily what the public perception might be towards certain gods.
Yeah, it's a fair point. It's a fair point. Still, I think that you can fit maybe an Athena in one of those drafts as well. Athena's been doing very well.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you, but you always have to give the benefit of the doubt to some of these players.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, let's get right to it and see how these picks that aren't the traditional meta picks will do against one another as we get ready to go into game here between Insignum and Victoria's Secret. Different name in the ADC role here. Streak Up there instead of Spudio. Kikru the Panda, that's his old name. Kikru the Panda is kind of how everyone knows him, but not sure if there's a full-on roster change or a sub situation, but something different to look at for Insignum in that duo lane.
And it'll be interesting, too, because Joshi, having gone against Spudio numerous times, I mean, how does introducing new competition to this lane actually impact his gameplay? Because sometimes with newer players into the competitive scene, even an amateur one, a Streak Up has the random factor going on in that you're not really certain or familiar with their playstyle, and that could alter the way that you choose to run the duo lane.
That is, I think, pretty important, especially in a lane like the duo lane. Basically everywhere has those little nuances that you're used to playing against different people and how they play, whether it's, you know, oh, they like to try and prioritize poke over clearing the wave more so than other characters or whatever it is. Not even god dependent, but just player tendency dependent. And I do think that does give at least some sort of advantage, however small, to Victoria's Secret, and that now Joshi has got to try and work it out how Streak Up likes to play. But on the other side, the same advantage goes for Joshi, right? Streak Up doesn't know how Joshi likes to play in these sort of competitive settings, so it can go either way.
To a certain extent, at least Streak Up has had the opportunity, though, to witness Joshi's gameplay up close and personal, I would say.
Sure.
And speaking of which, Joshi and Who the Best could be in a little bit of trouble here. They were looking for that invade. I think they only managed to strip away the small creeps, if one.
Yeah, I think they only got one of those smalls, as you mentioned, but can honestly just kind of clear out this wave and go right back to it, should they so choose. Looks like they might be positioned to go back towards their own purple in this situation. Joshi starting out with the tier 2 of Transcendence instead of the Hunter's Blessing and Trans 1, or Hunter's Blessing and Devo's 1. Do you think this is worth going? As far as a mid-uler goes, I think this is the way to go, but how about in the duo lane?
In the duo lane, I do feel as though Joshi's going to be missing out on some really important Hunter sustain in terms of mana. Speaking of which, Streak Up going to end up losing his purification beads already. Sprint has been popped as well by Who the Best, but I think that was just to help them get to the purple buff a little bit faster to finish what they started.
Probably won't need that sprint for a little bit unless Marcus comes on over to this left side, and that's probably what I'm calling out for if I'm on Victoria's Secret. Come on over to the left, no sprint up for these guys, so a little bit of a risk by using that for Who the Best, but it does end up paying off in the form of that successful purple buff invade as Insignum still controlling the game enough alongside Victoria's Secret. Both teams kind of just going along for the ride as per usual. Not such a usual solo lane matchup. Osiris and Ymir are two gods that we see a little bit of, but not that much so far in Season 5.
I feel as though Ymir has kind of been forgotten about for a bit, just because of the fact that like there's so much prevalence towards Athena, towards the Cerberuses, Sobek even, and there's a lot of Guardians that are high-end consideration at the moment, but this direct matchup with the Ymir into the Osiris, I feel as though it's particularly risky, and I say that simply because if Sixer misses even one freeze during a critical team fight, that's kind of the majority of your setup. Other than that, you're relying on Kikru the Panda, and so I like the hard CC options that Victoria's Secret has within their draft. My main concern is, will they be able to effectively follow up from it?
That's a great point, and I think that Ymir really struggles with slows. That's something that he has real trouble with because he doesn't have any movement abilities in his kit. Can't wall himself at his feet to try and get away when he's slowed at all, and there are plenty of slows on the side of Insignum. You're looking at Zero, of course, going to be consistently slowing with that first ability on Osiris. Hudabest's ultimate. Lasbra's got a pretty strong slow on the dart. So there's some stuff that Sixer's got to worry about, but that wall could come into big handy against characters like Ratatosk or Thoth.
Speaking of which, there's a pluck out of Hudabest, but Kikru are going to be able to jump away. Effective Mez is going to ensure that Joshi can't connect right away with the Axe then, but he ends up finding it anyway at the streak up. Who doesn't mind eating it, considering that if Kikru had taken that, he might have ended up putting put into his passive.
Marcus is on this left-hand side, and Purple Buff Invade is on the minds of Insignum. Level 5. Josh is going to go up and down because here comes the gank from Lasbra. Marcus tries to get away. Kikru down into that passive, and Insignum will claim the first blood there for Joshi onto Kikru the Panda. Both dual lane members now on this side of the map will escape Marcus and streak up, but don't know that Joshi will. Blink forward by Marcus, and no additional follow-up. Death Panther's on the rotation as well. This is looking bad for Victoria's Secret.
This is not looking good for Marcus in the slightest. He's just trying to juke out everything from Death Panther, but in this close range, there's no way he's going to miss that final judgment as Marcus gets number 2. As falling, at least, for Victoria's Secret, and Insignum gets their second kill.
Mr. Stefan, instead of rotating, looks like he went for those right side mid harpies, and a risk you've got to take there, I think, if you're Mr. Stefan, because even if he rotates over, what impact could he really make on that left side?
I think he just dies if he rotates. There's no one with enough mana from Victoria's Secret in that dual lane that could have possibly changed the outcome of that situation. If anything, they're lucky that they didn't end up losing anyone else in the process.
Now, this sole selection for Mr. Stefan was right away off the board. I mean, they picked it on the return, top 2, alongside Kumbhakarna. Soul, I think, is probably a little bit undervalued right now. She got a nerf and didn't see a lot of play after that, but I still think she's worth picking in some situations. Certainly not top 2 in my mind. What are your thoughts on Soul? Is she any good right now?
I think Mr. Stefan felt as though she was just a relatively safe pick, and if you're uncertain of which direction you want to take your team composition, you want to see some more picks from the enemy team, then going for a god like Soul won't necessarily put you in a rough spot, but she might not necessarily contribute to a whole lot either. Speaking of which, Hudabest's going to look to punish Marcus yet again, and just as soon as he came back up, he'll be returning right on back to base.
Brutal there for Marcus to start out 0-2 this way, but I like his decision there to just kind of accept his loss. Don't use the ultimate. You're dead either way because Lasber had the dart up. Problem is, you know what else is up is the red buff on this left-hand side, back harpies, purple buff's about to spawn. That's exactly where Insignum head, and this is what Insignum has done very well during their time in the minor league, is find objectives after their picks. They play the map very well, and that's something that usually takes minor league teams a little bit more time to learn.
I think they're playing a lot more aggressively ever since they came to land and experience some of the North American play style. I do feel as though they've been incorporating that towards their own, because this isn't the same passive Insignum we've been seeing. They are being very proactive in terms of seeking out kills, invades, and this is all just at the 6.5 minute mark. I mean, there's still plenty of time left to go in this game, and Insignum have already set themselves up in a pretty nice position with an okay lead considering how early it is.
And you heard Tolly on the desk. With the first pick, Ratatosker, you know that Insignum's got a plan for their star jungler, and the plan has been to be very aggressive, and it's worked out thus far. Sprint used by Hudabest to streak up, hit us with the boost speeds there after getting plucked, but doesn't end up getting punished for it. But now he could get punished in the next 2 minutes plus because Joshi already has the Transcendence done, has the red buff. That's a scary spot to be in against an Uller when you've got no beats.
Speaking of punish, Lasbra gonna eat a decent amount of damage for tossing out that flurry of acorns. Really wanted that wave clear, can't blame him. He's probably gonna end up back in the base pretty soon here as well, so makes sense why he wouldn't bother using his purification beads in that instant.
Mr. Steffen going for what's probably gonna be a Bancroft's Talon right off the bat. I think there's a pretty solid item on Soul. Soul doesn't really care about CDR that much because she's utilizing her in-hands better than just about every other mage. So Chronos Pendant doesn't seem particularly appealing in that second item slot. She's safe enough that you don't really feel like you need Warlock Staff a lot of the time. I think this Bancroft's Talon is the way to go. It's just that third item that really ends up being a big determining factor in that build path for Soul after that. Does she go for things like Demonic Grip or something like that? As Marcus eats that through the Cosmos and a lot of damage from Hieroglyphic Assault. Final Judgment being charged right now by Death Panther. He fires it off and it finds a home. Marcus falls for the third time in just 8 minutes as Death Panther notches kill number 2 for Insignum. And again, it's right before this red buff spawns. Perfect timing on these fights for Insignum.
That's the only reason why Insignum's looking for that fight in the first place. Who the best, as soon as he's charging in, you just know the Victoria's Secret have to back off, but that wall placement by Death Panther, that was just some impressive stuff right there. There's no way for Marcus to have any indication that's coming other than hearing the charge up sound, and even then, you want to believe that it's headed straight for Mr. Steffen.
This Insignum team has just really grown as a whole unit because it kind of started out as the Lasbra show, and then Death Panther as well was right there with him. Then it became the Death Panther and Lasbra show where it was mid and jungle carrying all the games. But Joshi has gotten a lot better. Zero has really stepped up his play in the solo lane. And now with the addition of Who the Best, when he dropped down from SK Gaming, it's kind of week 1, we really didn't get a chance to see too much from this squad. Week 2 here in the minor league, I think that we're already starting to see Who the Best and Joshi get a little bit more comfortable in the laning phase together, and Insignum continues to play the map very well as Lasbra coming around to the unsuspecting duo lane. That's where you don't want to dash. Nice ultimate though. Streak up will fall to the autos from Joshi as Lasbra comes crashing down. Mr. Steffen's on the rotation as Lasbra is looking to finish off the support. Mr. Steffen will finish off the ADC. Passive is up here for Kikru, but Mr. Steffen can't stop Lasbra from finding Insignum's 6th kill.
Don't think that Lasbra's going to pursue anything further. It seems as though he's more interested in the wave than everything else. A 2-for-1 trade-off, though, is always a nice spot to be in. And plus, Joshi won't miss out on too much since Streak Up did end up falling around the same time as him. The only reason why Joshi hasn't respawned yet because it's taking him a while. But speaking of respawns, Lasbra might be headed back to base too, courtesy of Mr. Steffen.
Oh, just barely gets him. There's that Bancroft's Talon passive pays off. Mr. Steffen with a 2v1 double kill. Nicely done out of Victoria's Secret's mid laner. And that's exactly what VS really needed. I mean, they were falling pretty far behind. Duo lane was far behind. So was Marcus. Having one guy like a Soul who can step up and make plays like that, that's huge now for Victoria's Secret. They've got a lead in the mid lane.
They have a lead in the mid lane, and it looks like though Sixer is getting the better end of this solo lane trade-off as well. The Amir really starting to pay off in terms of the 1v1 matchup against Zero. If you can keep this kind of pressure going, then that's going to permit Marcus to make up for that farm that he missed out on early on. By being able to rotate more towards mid, more towards duo. We already see Victorious being able to reestablish their own red buff timer. So it's a clear indicator that Insignum might need to tone it back just a little bit. I think that Lasbra and Who the Best, bit ambitious going for their own purple buff.
Marcus plucks back in, takes quite a bit of damage from Who the Best, and Joshi, Final Judgment just barely misses as Marcus uses the Mystic Rush. Lasbra gonna land on top of Mr. Steffen, who gets the Aegis off and into the Sappurate form, but it won't save his life. Lasbra finds his 3rd kill, 3-1-3 now for the Insignum jungler. And why slow down when you can make plays like that? But Sixer has rotated over. Who the Best gonna knock him up out of that freeze. Who the Best actually gets his dash caught there, and no ultimate for him. Streak Up will take him down. Nice rotation in from Sixer, ends up paying off for Victoria's Secret.
They've just got to make up for the damage wherever they can, but without Who the Best, Insignum's Gold Fury opportunity is going to be all but dwindled right now. I don't think that there's really anybody to tank up that Gold Fury, so they'll have to sit on that one just a moment longer. More importantly, Zero was kind of just left to his own devices. He's making up for that farm quite nicely, and now he's even looking to take out Marcus.
Zero used the ultimate. If he hits the one there, he's got a chance to find the kill onto Marcus, but with the miss, resigns himself to just bullying around this blue buff. Now he's going to try and go in with that Judgment Tether. Sixer does get stunned, but won't prevent him from picking up his own blue buff. This Osiris pick has looked pretty good thus far for Zero. Was getting bullied out a little bit in lane, and I think part of that is just because, hold that thought, Kikru falls. Lasbury pre-beads there on the mez, so at least Kikru doesn't fall for nothing. In that situation, oh my goodness, I just want to talk Insignum, but you keep on fighting. Mr. Stefan now on the run, has the ultimate available, uses it to give himself the CC immunity. Marcus rotates in, and there's the over-aggression that you were mentioning earlier. What I wanted to say was Zero didn't go Runic Shield, he went for Stone of Gaia instead. That's why he was getting bullied out. Thank you very much. Red buff has respawn, and that's exactly where Insignum is heading, but it's only Who to Best and Death Panther here with Lasbra on respawn.
Marcus able to confirm Victorious's red buff yet again, but Mr. Stefan, that gameplay, perfect timing of the Supernova to make sure that he can avoid the knock-up out of the Ratatoskr by knocking Lasbra up himself, and it took out pretty much all of his HP. So if Victoria's Secret want to find themselves closing this gap even further, they just need to play around Mr. Stefan right now. The one time that Mr. Stefan has been left alone, he just immediately gets swarmed by like 3 members from Insignum. If they can protect Mr. Stefan, then Victoria's Secret have a very solid chance to actually strip the Gold Fury themselves.
I mean, they've got a great objective shred composition, right? Between a Soul and a Hachiman. That Hachiman Heavenly Banner gonna boost the attack speed of the Soul, which is already getting boosted by the Enchanted Ring that Mr. Stefan has gone for. Pyromancer pulled. Zero gonna show up and get off a nice Judgment Tether, reducing everyone's damage. Pyromancer falling low, and it does go the way of Victoria's Secret, but Zero wants to keep it going, as he should. Lord of the Afterlife there to root Marcus, but Marcus actually survives. That peel from Kikru was fantastic, and there goes the jungler. Marcus will survive. Zero trying to find one in the midst of 3, but he cannot. Wait, Marcus went back in? He went for Lasbra, I suppose. Now Lasbra ends up surviving, and Marcus does not. That's an easy one for Zero if Marcus just takes the life he was gifted by Kikru the Panda and escapes with it. Instead, got a little greedy.
It's that one more kill opportunity. Yep. Marcus being 1 in 4 now, or 1 in 3 previously, but I can't fault him for being a little bit greedy. At the same time, though, you have to consider the map as a whole when you're playing at a competitive level. You can't afford to make those kind of over-aggressive mistakes.
That opens up the Gold Fury. Now is Insignum will secure it. Kikru's groggy strike will not steal that away. That would have been one of the most feels bad missed secures in a while, to lose it to a slow wind-up, low damage ability like Groggy Strike. But Insignum do the job and get the Gold Fury. That's the first Gold Fury of the game, and that pushes Insignum up to about 3,000 gold in the lead.
One thing I have noticed, though, throughout this match so far is Death Panther hasn't been rotating nearly as often as Mr. Stefan. I think Mr. Stefan may be trying to compensate a little bit too much for his teammates' lack of control in the laning phase, and I feel as though Death Panther has had the opportunity to just hyper farm super heavily, and his damage is starting to become a little overwhelming. I mean, we see him consistently chunking members like Marcus and Streak Up, even Kikru, down to like 50% threshold, and it's pretty devastating when you consider the fact that Thoth doesn't have to get up close and personal, which is the whole mentality behind these double Guardians that they're running. Amir and Kumba are kind of guys that rely on you being around them.
Yeah, it's a good point. You've got plenty of range now for Death Panther. He's got some penetration, went for the Divine Ruin. If you weren't sure if this was North America or Europe, you could tell it's Europe because Divine Ruin was bought early against a composition that doesn't have any dedicated healers. Mr. Stefan has some solid sustain with the Bancroft's Talon and the Radiance, that first ability, and Streak Up has the lifesteal. That being said, I don't think an NA mid laner buys Divine Ruin this early, if at all, but it's a playstyle thing between the two regions. Europe seems to really love that anti-heal. And Death Panther made that rotation early to the left-hand side, and it ended up being fruitful for him, but you're right, since then, he's kind of resigned himself to the mid lane and allowed Lasbra and Who to Best and Zero to be the aggressors in the enemy jungle. Now that he has his third item, got the pen online, is working towards a soul, what should be a Soul Reaver, it's likely that we'll see Death Panther move around a little bit more, but honestly, at this point, what is there to move around for? I mean, buffs are all down right now. Gold Fury's down, Pyromancer's down. You're not pulling Fire Giant in a 5-on-5 situation. So this is kind of another window for Death Panther to chill out, right?
Well, they can chill out and farm, or you can continue doing what I think Insignum have been doing all game, and that's being the initiators. A lot of the aggression that has happened so far has come as a result of Insignum just choosing to go in. Even right now, Who the Best and Death Panther hovering around this red buff. Seems as though Lasbra was able to interfere there.
Red buff did go down for Victoria's Secret, though. Mr. Stefan has it around his waist as Joshi lurking on this left side, trying to catch out Streak up. Lasbra there now as well as Death Panther charging that final judgment. Fired it off in the mid lane, but didn't find a hit. At least a lethal hit on any of the members. Streak Up's already used the Aegis, and Joshi's axe will find a home. That brings Insignum up to double digits in the kill column as they find fights in mid and left, and now they're looking for Mr. Stefan yet again.
They're going to have company, though, over in duo, but that means that Mr. Stefan is left all by himself until Sixer shows up, providing a little bit of backup. Mr. Stefan will be able to survive, but at the cost of his Supernova and his Purification Beads.
Tries to get back to base. Zero won't let him. Tier 2 Tower Siege is an option as Marcus has to use his Mystic Rush defensively yet again. Not sure we've seen him use that offensively yet in this game 1. This Tier 2 Tower still seems to be the call. Sixer gets stunned. He couldn't quite back quite yet. Lasbra tanks the tower in a nice double freeze, forces both relics from Lasbra, but Zero will bring down Sixer. Now it's Death Panther in a bad spot. Marcus blinks forward nicely and finishes him off. A bit of a fiesta now underneath the Tier 2 tower.
Just a nice little attack chain, or I should say stun chain, that happened there between Death Panther and everybody else, but unfortunate for Insignum. They just go a little bit too deep there trying to get that kill onto Kikru. Marcus will trade out his life, though. I think that he keeps seeing red. He sees one member at 20%, 30% health, and he's like, I can totally handle this guy, and completely ignores the other two or even one, and he's just got to learn a little bit more player discipline, back off, and just take the advantage that you have.
Kikru finds the root on Who the Best, but Streak Up much too far away to follow up efficiently. Onto that. Pyromancer is available here, and a lot of members of Insignum needed to back. They didn't back after that last skirmish underneath that Tier 2. And that's exactly where Victoria's Secret will head, knowing that they've got at least a small window. Lasbra hasn't backed yet. He is sitting with no mana whatsoever after he clears the speed, but that doesn't stop him from pushing forward. Meanwhile, Mr. Stefan on the left-hand side splits the focus of Insignum a little bit and gets that Tier 1 tower. Pyromancer getting pretty low here. Remember, Lasbra very, very low on mana. Shards of Ice confirms it for Victoria's Secret, and another objective goes Victoria's Secret's way. That's both Pyromancers now that went in their favor.
This could be problematic, though, for Mr. Stefan. He's already poked out so low. Death Panther and Joshi trying to give chase, and this is going to be an easy cleanup for the pair as Joshi gets credit for the kill. Nicely
played there by Joshi. It starts all with his axe. Mr. Stefan falls without using a relic, tried to get away. If that's a 1v1, I think he feels like he doesn't need to beads in that situation. Don't think Mr. Stefan had the information of Death Panther's pathing to come up and cut off his escape route. Lasbra doing a little bit of a Mr. Stefan impression now, getting a Tier 1 tower while the enemy team can't really come over to him, but all the while, Insignum on the Gold Fury.
I like how each side is still trying to divert the attention of the other. You've got Lasbra split pushing his life away in the solo lane. Meanwhile, Gold Fury is being aggressed on by Insignum, and they're going to drop it at 40% health, which means that Victoria's Secret is just going to pick it right back up again.
Kikru with the Blink ultimate onto Death Panther. No follow-up afterwards as Who the Best eats a freeze. Another good wall by Sixer, puts Who the Best in a weird spot. That forces him back towards the rest of the team. Final Judgment hits 2 from Death Panther, but it is 2 of the tankier targets as Sixer is eating a lot of punishment right now, but still alive until Joshi puts an end to that with the Hail of Arrows. Who the Best chases out the Purification Beads and the ultimate from Streak Up, and he'll lose his life for it, but Streak Up may as well. Stun won't land from the Judgment Tether, but Streak Up will not stand much longer. Lasbra is able to find his 6th kill onto the ADC from Victoria's Secret. Who the Best does a nice job there of throwing his life away in exchange for the ADC, and now Insignum turn their attention to the Gold Fury.
They're trying to see if they can maybe still look to interfere, but Mr. Stefan, knowing better, opts to just go for the wave overall. Insignum getting the second gear of Gold Fury of the game. Not really a whole lot to be done about that fight either. I mean, it was just a clean 2-for-1 trade out. And speaking of which, it's not over just yet because Kikru's going to be forced into that Kumbhakarna passive. Death Banner, more likely than not, going to get the kill. And sure enough, that's going to be a third one for Insignum to claim, but they do end up losing their T1 in mid.
Well, Tier 1 tower for the support. Probably not ideal for Victoria's Secret, but Kikru's going to be up in 20 seconds or so. Not a very long respawn timer for the support, so not the end of the world, getting that extra 500 gold spread across the team, and more importantly, some map pressure, at least in the form of exposing every tier 2 on the map now for Insignum. If Victoria's Secret managed to find a clean teamfight win, this does open the door for a lot more gold coming their way, maybe even a Phoenix when you've got a Soul and a Hachiman on your side. Question is, though, how do they find a teamfight victory with the way Insignum is playing?
Well, all things considered, 16-9, you would think the lead would be a lot worse than what it currently is.
Sure.
Experience-wise, I think that both teams, or at least Victoria's Secret, have done a really great job at staying mostly even. I mean, considering that Insignum have won the vast majority of these team fights, I am kind of surprised that they're not further ahead.
A quick pause now by Victoria's Secret as they get stuff worked out. I mean, you're right. This should be a much bigger lead, it feels like, for Insignum. Only down about 3K right now for Victoria's Secret. I feel like you can win team fights in that spot, especially when you've got a Soul now that has finished her Obsidian Shard and the Demonic Grip. Plenty of penetration for that mid lane carry. You've got your Hunter there starting to reach that late game critical mass. I think it could be a lot worse for Victoria's Secret, and it might become that right here as they all funnel in to a tiny little corridor. Death Panther's Final Judgment hits 2 again. Sixer and Marcus have been doubled up twice in a row now by Death Panther's ultimate. A quick pick for Insignum as they stay grouped around this Fire Giant. Streak up, not here, on the left side of the map.
That wall was a blessing and a curse all at the same time for Victoria's Secret. Sure, it kept 3 of their members safe, but it cost Sixer his life as he cuts himself off and away from his team. Speaking of which, Zero ended up actually TPing through that T2 and duo, making sure that Victoria's Secret can't even have the benefit of split pushing anything else outside of the mid.
Now, Mr. Stefan and Marcus combined to bring down that tier 2, but Marcus tried to sick the back and didn't end up working out for him. Zero trying to chase him down. Overhead kick gets Marcus out of range of that Judgment Tether stun, and a nicely timed Mystic Rush prevents the pluck from Who to Best. 3 members here for Insignum, and they're going to go in because Marcus has already used that ultimate defensively. Zero's ultimate is now down, but has the sprint available. Joshi finds Kikru in tandem with Lasbra on the right as Zero almost finds Marcus, almost cast or cursed him there, but he did it himself. Nice blink from the jungler. Mr. Stefan will have no such luck. He falls to the hand of Death Panther underneath that tier 2 tower, but at least Marcus survives. Tier 2 was pushed there by Joshi and Lasbra, and they successfully brought it down on the solo side of the map.
You ever get in trouble as a kid because your friend was doing something wrong and you tried to help them out?
I was mostly the kid doing something wrong that I then pinned it on my friend.
Well, you're Marcus, and Mr. Stefan is the one that got in trouble because Mr. Stefan was just dead by association there. He was looking to try and help peel for Marcus, see if he could maybe get him out of that danger zone when they were looking to square up in the Gold Fury pit, and Marcus gets out scot-free, but losing Mr. Stefan here, I think, hurts just a little bit more for Victoria's Secret. This could be a very real Phoenix opportunity now because Mr. Stefan's still out for another 20 seconds.
Wall up. That'll prevent some damage from going on to the Phoenix for the moment, but that Glyph of Pain for Death Panther does make Joshi's autos that much stronger at attacking this Phoenix. Streak up with a well-timed Aegis. Prevents the damage from Final Judgment, but Lasbra immediately onto the back line. Left side Phoenix falls. A Sixer tries to get in there and charge up that Shards of Ice. Doesn't do really any relevant damage with it as Joshi receives the shell to make sure he's nice and safe. Kikru got no such help as Lasbra brings him down. 7, 2, and 10 now for the jungler for Insignum. Left side Phoenix down, and mid and right Phoenix are already poked out from minion waves going underneath. Insignum has got plenty of map pressure, and Mr. Stefan just felt the brunt of that. Joshi finished them off, started nicely though by Death Panther. Marcus forced the Mystic Rush away as Joshi's gonna hop right on in, help out Zero to bring down Streak up. Sixer is next on the menu. Plucked 5-man freeze, but the least hype 5-man freeze you'll ever see because it doesn't really impact the game. Lasbra will finish him off. Mid Phoenix down, and I don't think Insignum needs to worry about the last Phoenix on the right.
Kikru has just respawned, but between Kikru and Marcus, I mean, these two have been getting blown up all game. I can't see this ending being much different, and sure enough, Victoria's Secret, they're going to end up losing Marcus in the trade-off as Insignum close out on the Titan.
24-9, Insignum make it look fairly easy. Gotta give credit, though, to Mr. Stefan. I mean, he finished with a positive KDA, 5-4. He was making plays and doing his best. I don't know if Soul's the right pick, but he made it look like the right pick.
It was just like Mr. Stefan felt like he was trapped out there in no man's land. It didn't seem as though anybody from his team was able to properly recover despite Mr. Stefan's solid rotations and him picking up a few kills. In the end, it just didn't end up impacting the match very much because they just kept losing out on too many objectives. They would find picks, sure, but there wasn't really a whole lot of follow-up. I think the Pyromancer was one of the best things they were actually able to acquire. Everything else just came from split pushing after losing a team fight.
Yeah, Victoria's Secret found, what, 2 Pyromancers that game, but the Gold Furies were all going the other way toward the Signum. Death Panther got pretty big in the mid lane. Lasbra ended with a bunch of kills. Dual lane pressure, I think, was clearly a problem, and I think that's what Victoria's Secret will likely try and remedy for Game 2. At least that's what I think. What do you guys think on the desk?
Hey there, Aggro and Taco. Thank y'all for casting that game for us. It's Phantom totally here on the desk, though. After a great game in Signum, they looked very strong. Not too big of a surprise, though. They've been the dominant team in the EU SML for a while, and they're continuing that trend.
And you could just tell how comfortable they are. The fact that they first picked Ratatasker, I'm not sure if it's a sign of disrespect to Victoria's Secret or just wanting such a comfortable pick for Lasbra. And he looked so dominant on the Ratatasker. It made Marcus playing the Raven look a little silly, honestly. He couldn't make the plays happen, but because that he did attempt some of the time, the Soul that was early prioritization from Victoria's Secret popped off a little bit because the rest of the front line was kind of getting scuffed, and the rest of the cleanup was where Death Panther started to make it shine, or Mr. Stefan was able to make it happen.
Yeah, I do want to give credit to Mr. Stefan. I mean, managing to find a way to do very well on this Soul pick, which I was questioning. They picked it very early, but clearly Mr. Stefan's comfortable on it, and he was leading in the player damage charts in a pretty relevant way for a while. Eventually, got overtaken, but had a great game for himself. Was not enough, though. Death Panther got off to an insane start. You heard Aggro talk about it. The dual lane of Joshi and Who the Best were just kind of bullying Streak Up and Kikuru the Panda, giving them a hard time too. I mean, in Signum we're winning everywhere.
That's true. I like the style that Victoria's Secret had between the Soul and the Hachiman combination, trying to get that Heavenly Banner for the additional attack speed, making that kind of synergy work. It didn't give him the Gold Fury objectives that they would have wanted to because of how many kills they were far behind. They didn't have that early game momentum, but they weren't too far behind gold-wise. Around that 23-minute mark when the Fire Giant was being taken by Insignum, there was a lot of split push power coming from Mr. Stefan's Soul. If you leave it unchecked, she will get your towers, and that's kind of what happened. But too many kills they were giving up to allow for those Phoenix sieges.
Sure. And I know the picks and ban phase from Victoria's Secret was kind of odd, but it's not. That's not where it hurt them, right? The Raven, they get Hachiman, they get Kumakarna. Those are strong picks right now, and those are the ones that kind of struggled here in this meta. The Soul and the Amir, the oddball picks, you might say, from Victoria's Secret. Those picks seem to do fine for me. Totally, there's no way that I could say that those were the picks that hurt them this game.
I think that the Soul could struggle a little bit in terms of the defense. If you're on your back foot trying to hold on to your own Phoenixes, you don't have the same range as a Thoth or as a Ymir, Discordia Strike, or the Impact. If your front line is not doing its job to set you up and you're too far behind, Soul is not the pick to hold on defensively.
And there's a lot of strong picks in the meta that really were not valued in that game, right? The Guan Yu, the Terra, the Shabalanka. I don't think Athena was picked or banned either. There's a lot of great options available, so there's plenty of questions on the table if you're Victoria's Secret, and the picks and bans are ready here for them for Game 2 to see if it is possible for them to answer those questions here totally, because in Signum, they're definitely going to put them up against the ropes.
That's true. The Kumakarna, the fact that it was picked that early in the draft, in a world where, all those Guardians are so heavily prioritized, if you wanted to get something earlier on, like maybe the Uller for yourself instead of the Hachiman, then that could have been the play. Maybe take that option away from Joshi that's looked so comfortable.
Let's see where they try and prioritize here, as the Victoria's Secret are going to be first pick this time around totally. So already, I believe, a bit of a swap up, as I think it was Insignia was first pick there in that Game 1. Ra going to be banned away. They're not switching things up. That Ra they took out right away. Despite Death Panther's strong performances, Ra apparently not part of what they want to do.
They understand that Mr. Stefan has the capabilities of piloting that Ra, despite playing Soul, which is a little different of a style than the Ra. It's still not a bad idea. Europeans heavily prioritizing the Ra in the mid lane. Wolfie from Rival comes to mind in particular.
Athena is going to get banned away this time, though, and Ratatoskr going to be taken away from Lasbra here this game. That's going to be piloted by Victoria's Secret instead this time. First pick overall. A lot of respect given over to this Rat, and I think for good reason. I mean, Lasbra kind of helped run the early game. It was Marcus who fell behind like 0-3 very early on in that game, in part because of Lasbra's pressure.
The global pressure from Ratatoskr, a little too much to handle at times. So taking the comfort pick away from Lasbra, not a bad idea, taking that option for Marcus. But more global pressure for Insignum, having the Giannis for themselves.
And the Kumbhakarna clearly valued amongst these two teams. I mean, it was Victoria's Secret that prioritized it. Now it's being prioritized by Insignum. But to go along with that Giannis, certainly be very strong. Kumba is a ton of control, so I'm never going to be mad that you've made this selection. But it just seems like there's plenty of other strong Guardians on the table.
That's true. And Ymir before the secondary ban phase. If there's a statistic for Ymir picks, I think both games that we see it so far in Season 5 go to in this set.
Right, yeah, like Ymir does not get picked that often, and here Victoria's Secret taking it before the second pick phase, as if worried that Insignum might ban it away. Perhaps
That's
they would.
True.
Clearly, these picks are being valued amongst these two squads, so I like it. I think there was some degree of comfort there for Sixer on this Ymir. I don't think he looked as if he was floundering per se. Really, maybe just the team struggles in general and not so much him. So if they want to give it back to him in the solo lane, I don't have a problem with it.
It could be a good idea to try to cut off Giannis escaping from his own portal. There's a small sliver that you can definitely drop it in front of the wall. And that's not a bad idea. Normally, you want to have cripples to deal with the Giannis portals, but this is another way of dealing with it. But look at this. Insignum still picks Xbalanque despite knowing they can't get over the Ymir wall because Ullr and Hachiman banned away. They still had the honor, though, if they wanted.
That's right, and I think that what they're doing is predicting that the Xbalanque won't have to deal with the Ymir that much, at least not early on. If it is going to the solo lane, then yes, that matchup is tough for them later on, but he may not have to worry about it. Unfortunately, with the Hercules lock-in, it looks like he will have to worry about that.
That's
Hercules
true.
very likely is going to be going over to the solo lane, and Osiris comes out yet again for Insignum.
And the way that I think it was Zero piloting the Osiris, he did a fantastic job of just kind of relaxing in the solo lane. He didn't want to just force anything too much. Ymir casually transitioned in the mid lane, in the mid game rather, but couldn't make the impact because of how far Marcus was behind. Ymir solo lane works only if the 4-on-4 doesn't falter early.
Right, if he can make those rotations over and bring a bunch of control, then it's a big help. Meanwhile, the Osiris versus Hercules matchup, I feel like that probably favors the Osiris, you know, with the Lord of the Afterlife, with the tether for extra physical prots, but I don't think it's such a way that the Hercules is going to be incapable of doing anything.
That's true. Osiris could be looking to be aggressive, but I like the mobility yet again from Insignum. The Giannis this time is going to give the mobility for all the teammates, not just Lasbra.
Well, that's it here for us on the desk. Totally. Victoria's Secret need this game if they want to stay in this series, or this set, rather. Otherwise, Insignum are just going to take it here in 2. Can Victoria's Secret do it up against the best in EU? Let's find out.
Well, Victoria's Secret get the Ratatoskr away from Lasbra. A pretty good start. But again, no Terra. We see Ymir and Kumba picked before the Terra. At least we got X-Ball this time, right?
We got Xbalanque, yeah, Xbalanque. Can't go wrong with that one. Still no Guan Yu, though. That's still beyond them.
Nope.
Or I shouldn't say beyond them, but they're beyond the Guan Yu.
Yeah, they've already
personally.
ascended past the Guan Yu.
It is clear, though, that
exactly.
they have their own favoritisms, or at least their own comfort picks, because we keep seeing the Ymir fluctuate through yet again, and I wouldn't be too surprised to see it yet again in the solo lane as well.
Really? Would force a Herc support. That doesn't happen, but freeze straight onto 0, and my man's is toast. First blood goes to Victoria's Secret. Terra couldn't have done that, Taco. She actually could have. That was a very easy spot to find the crushing wall stun that would have done the exact same thing. But that's okay.
That's what feels bad, man. Every single time.
Ymir finds it. If you blinked, you probably missed it. Victoria's Secret start off with the early first blood. And it goes to Mr. Stefan, who was the guy last game for Victoria's Secret that was making plays for them. So that's the ideal candidate to receive that first blood bounty.
It is the ideal candidate, but you wonder how much can Mr. Stefan really do with that first blood kill, because it's nice getting those bounties so early on in a match, but at times I do feel as though early game kills can kind of be misleading towards a team, because it leads you into a sense of like false security where you think, hey, we're going to be super far up because you'll have like 9 kills on the board and the enemy team hasn't responded once, but then you remember it's early game and there's so much farm on the map that it's hard to truly establish a raw lead.
I mean, it's what, 80 additional experience for Mr. Stefan, a handful of gold, which certainly helpful. He's not going to turn it down, and he shouldn't. But agreed, it isn't the end of the world now. It's not like Zero has lost this lane entirely. I do think that it impacts the solo lane a little bit more, though, because you only need 15 stacks to evolve that Warrior's Blessing. You get a big bonus for just assisting on a kill that Sixer did there. So he's already at 6 Warrior's Blessing stacks in comparison to Zero's 2. So you're looking at, what, 40 seconds ahead of Zero if Sixer and Zero are timing their Warrior's Blessing stacks perfectly against one another, that Sixer will get that extra bit of magical and physical protection. And that can impact the solo lane pretty heavily.
It can, but at the same time, it's also Zero on his signature Osiris. He loves having this pick, although narrowly avoids the tower shot from that driving strike out of the Hercules. Deathbender, though, still in a lot of trouble here. He's so incredibly low. Marcus, sure enough, going to make sure to clean that one right up. And that was also Death Panther's Purification Beads.
Not a good start so far for Insignum. On the other side, Victoria's Secret feeling pretty good about it. That's something that we didn't really bring up. Marcus doesn't go for Assassin's Blessing. Starts out with the full Acorn.
Maybe
now
he'll buy it on the back.
He could back and buy it when he so chooses. Means he's doing less damage to jungle camps, but has extra power from finishing the Acorn in the first place. That's all got to be revolved around getting that first blood kill, right? That's the whole reason that they go that he starts with the Acorn, do as much damage as possible to whomever from Insignum walks in the wrong spot.
All I can say is if it works, it works. And, well, he's picked up the Assassin's Blessing now in that second item slot. Having full boots, essentially, though, by finishing this Acorn, at level 3, it's a massive power spike. I mean, that's a ridiculous amount of power when you think about it, because it's 10 more power than what you get out of just rushing Warrior Tabi.
Right.
And these ganks that you might normally not pay much mind to, especially in duo lane. Joshi, speaking of which, going to end up losing his beats now in the process. Streak Up still looking to get more damage out from those Ashlar arrows. Sprint has been popped, and that's going to prompt Who the Best to pop his as well.
Looked like Kikru wanted to keep on going there, but Streak Up a little bit nervous about his lower health total. The more I think about it now, it looks really weird to not pick up Assassin's Blessing right away, but it actually kind of makes sense because Ratatoskar can finish that Acorn from on the battlefield. So let's say Marcus just buys Acorn 2, which is what you normally do, then walks out and sees if someone from Insignum gets picked. Once they do, he's able to just buy Acorn right away and start clearing the jungle once the jungle camp spawn. If that didn't work, he could immediately just back and buy Assassin's Blessing, and he's not down anything.
You do miss out on the opportunity, however, to build an extra item, maybe a mace, or even starting off with a Morning Star. You can build into that Transcendence options.
Sure.
And so that's like a little bit of power missed out on in comparison to just rushing the raw Acorn. But now that he does have this Acorn online, and since Victoria's Secret were actually the ones who managed to get the first couple of kills, I think it will play exclusively to Rat's favor here, and I think that it is also a Rat exclusive decision.
Definitely the only character that can start with the Acorn in general, but more, it's him and Chang'e that can make decisions based on when can I just buy this item while I'm on the battlefield. A lot of times Ratatoskar jungles will start without tier 1 of Mace or Morning Star, because if they start with Assassin's Blessing and tier 2 of the Acorn, you can usually finish the Acorn on the battlefield right before the next speed buff spawns. It gives you great invade opportunities, and again, I think that's why we see it here from Marcus. And it looks weird, but I'm actually coming around on it. I think it makes some sense. Speaking of speed buff invades, check out where Marcus is. Lasbra has sniffed this out and knows this is happening. Now I'm going to jump over because Death Panther is here through space, and time lands as well, but Marcus is going to escape. Marcus didn't use the beads and doesn't get punished for it. And it looks like he got the speed buff as well. That's kind of worst case scenario there for Insignum.
That is by far the worst thing that could have possibly happened for Lasbra. The fact that he hasn't gone back to pick it up does lead me to believe that it is in fact a speed buff that's been claimed by Marcus, and him not having to use his purification beads is probably the worst part of it all, because at least you can say, oh, I got the Rat's beads, then Lasbra and Deathbender, or Who the Best even, could look to just ult the Rat right up into the air, see if they can get anything more out of it. But Zero's been struggling quite a lot in this lane. He's actually going to ult straight in a line.
No, you double tapped yourself. Congratulations, Zero. You just played yourself. You gotta ult at an angle if you don't want to get crushed by that boulder.
That's the panic ult.
Sixer read him like a book, knew it all along. He did the trajectory, a little bit of trigonometry, understood exactly where Zero was going to land, and placed the boulder accordingly. Am I right?
The panic ults, man. Zero, I think, just suffering the repercussions of having been the first blood casualty. And this is something that you were actually speaking on towards the start of this match, where I didn't personally believe that it would be super detrimental in terms of Mr. Stefan having a lead over Death Panther. But in terms of considering the solo lane matchup, this has been a rough one.
It has thus far, as Hudabet's going to drop the ultimate now onto Kikru, and that'll force the sprint. Streak Up. In that situation, Streak Up's job is to say, you're safe, right? Like, he's the one with eyes on the ground. He can see whether Joshi is pushing forward or not. Even in that ultimate, Kikru can look into the jungle, see if anyone's coming for him. I don't think that sprint was necessary there.
Probably not a necessity, but since they don't have ward vision in some of those corridors, they might have been concerned that Lasbra was going to maybe look to jump over a wall somehow. Miraculously wall jump. Speaking of which, Hudabes underneath a lot of trouble right now as Marcus going up into the air. Kikru going to get some nice damage out on top of him as well.
Oh, nice shot, though, by Death Panther. Finishes off Kikru nicely. Joshi and Hudabes pretty low, and they lost their purple buff, but Kikru falls in response. That does put Insignum on the board, but Victoria's Secret with the buff invade is kind of even.
See, if Joshi had ulted when Hudabes tossed Kikru up into the air, then I think you pop the sprint and you try as quickly to get away and create as much distance as possible.
Because then you don't have the information. You can't see if they're aggressing or anything like that. I agree.
But Joshi held it the whole time. So the sprint did feel a bit unwarranted there. And on top of that, Joshi's a Shibalanke. He's a Shibalanke.
Right.
Like, what is he going to do upon landing unless you're already at 10 HP? He was still sitting on just the Spike Gauntlet alone. Didn't even have the Devo gloves online yet. So everything considered, we do have the advantage as casters, being able to see the top-down view.
Of course.
But sometimes I feel as though players get a little bit anxious and a little bit too panicky.
Yeah, that definitely is one thing that I think is the ability to remain calm under pressure and slow the game down. I think that that's something that is talked about a lot in various sports and esports. Is at the top level, the best players in the world, in whatever craft they have, or have the ability to slow the game down, to not panic and be able to calmly assess a lot of different situations. And that's something that I think is a great resource for these minor league players, is to get this experience and try and slow the game down. Then as soon as you go up to SPL, it speeds back up again, and it's a learning process on how to be comfortable in high leverage, high pressure situations. But that is one where we see we saw it earlier with Zero. He panic ults in the line instead of just taking his moment, take a breath, understand how much damage he's going to take. Joshi uses the ultimate just in case. Hudabes was in a bit of trouble, but doesn't end up paying for it.
I love that Darkest Night, though.
Yeah.
You might as well toss it out. Your team is clearly indicating that they're looking for a possible invade or even just to be aggressive.
Right.
And Darkest Night having the ability to just completely cease everything, I think that is always going to be a highly valuable ultimate.
That's better safe than sorry is a phrase we use. Probably too much, but certainly applicable there.
They'll still end up losing out on their purple buff, though. Lasbro will be the one to find out, although I'm pretty certain that Joshi already knew it was happening. Those Agni bombs are pretty loud in the Swagni skin. It's usually easy to hear what's happening.
Hudabes gonna eat one of those Agni bombs, but Death Panther will find Kikru with that through space and time. Death Panther has been accurate thus far, 3 for 3 on the ult shots by my count. Marcus 0 for 1 on ults in the last 3 seconds. Death Panther spaced that nicely in the mid. I don't think that Marcus could have, I don't think he had an extra jump left on the branches.
Amir in game 1, I understand it because it was in the solo lane.
Right.
Amir in game 2 as support, not so much, because
No.
I get that you want the walls. The walls can do a lot of cutoff opportunities against Hudabes and Joshi, but trying to actually capture Death Panther, I think, is going to prove to only become increasingly more difficult as time goes on. I think all of Insignum have enough mobility as a squad, especially with that through space and time, that's going to be very difficult for Victoria's Secret to actually commit to them.
That's a good point. I agree with you there. Death Panther loses the beads off the freeze from Kikru, and the wall stopped the damage from overhand smash. Now Marcus gonna go aggressive. Sprint popped by Victoria's Secret as Lasma tries to finish off mid-camp. Death Panther down to 1 HP, and Marcus trying to chase him down. Hudabes has the root, and Death Panther's able to get around the wall. He will escape for the moment, but Kikru will not. Good rotation in from Zero. Will punish the support for his aggression as Mr. Steffen's forced to dash away in response to Lord of the Afterlife. Zero with a nice 2 over the wall. Fear No Evil will confirm it for Insignum. 2 for 0 in their favor. Victoria's Secret just a bit too aggressive in the jungle.
They stuck around for way too long. Once Insignum are able to dissipate that team fight, you back off. You don't try to keep forcing it. As Totally would love to say, that's a primary example of forcing the issue, in fact.
It is. That is an issue when you force it like that. And Victoria's Secret get punished for it. Now on the left-hand side, if you're a Victoria's Secret fan, maybe getting a little bit worried after their great start and now a couple kills going Insignum's way, they're starting to claw back into this one. Streak Up is your ray of hope right now. Level 11, nearly the highest in the game. Mr. Steffen the only one sitting a level above him. But the consistent invades on a Joshy's purple buff. Joshy was able to secure his last one, but it's the first one in a while. As through space and time again comes through and clips out Mr. Steffen. Kikru again will fall. But now Marcus is here and trying to find the kill onto Who the Best, but the portal provided by Death Panther's ultimate a while ago stood long enough to get Who the Best out of danger. Insignum has 5 kills. 4 of them are onto Ymir.
I feel like we're going to get very familiar with seeing Kikru as a black and white screen, because there is very little chances of survivability once Insignum decide to actually commit their core against him. We've seen it time and time again. Who the Best just has to whack him up into the air with that Kumbhakarna uppercut, and it's pretty much lights out for Kikru once he lands.
Especially if Joshy uses the ult.
That too.
Because that turns out the light.
That literally turns everything into darkness, but
yeah,
I think Kikru is seriously hoping somebody else becomes a team punching bag. He might be the support player, but he's got to farm eventually, and it might not seem like that big of a deal to be level 8 in comparison to Who the Best 9, but supports have such a slow level up process in comparison to everyone else. Speaking of which, Mr. Steffen in a lot of danger right now. Lasbro trying to find it, but won't be able to connect.
Death Panther has that ultimate and could be looking for it. Speaking of looking for ultimates, on this left-hand side, Streak Up is going to hit all 3 on the Joshy. Nicely shot there by Streak Up. Through space and time did come out in the mid lane. Didn't end up landing on anybody, but Zero is going to use the portal to put himself in a nice spot. Looking for Kikru, can't find him. Wall doesn't help against the corporeal form Osiris. Kikru likely to fall here to the hand of Zero, and he will do just that. 5 out of 6 now in the kill department for Insignum are on to Kikru, but Streak Up continues to be the ray of sunshine on a cloudy day.
Level 14, he has a chance to maybe rotate into mid lane, see if he can find anything else. Speaking of which, Marky is going to get credit for taking out Lasbro with that Nut Blast, and on top of everything else, Streak Up still looking to rotate over, but he's going to get cut off by Zero. This could be extremely problematic.
Yeah,
he's gone.
I think he's dead here. No ultimate, no beads. Zero's got so much chase down potential. This is the 1 and the 2, and that might be enough to buy Streak Up some teammates. Who the Best is here, and Mez locks him in place for Death Panther.
Oh,
and now,
no.
no, Kikru, not
he
like
just
this.
Spawned.
Buddy,
That's why he's there. He literally just walked out of base.
Oh, Kikru. You know, pandas are clumsy animals by nature. You know, we see there's lots of great gifs of them tumbling around and taking unfortunate spills, and there are a lot of those out there, and we might run out if we had to match one for each of Kikru's deaths.
He's just being a true support. He's there to provide assistance to Streak Up and make sure he doesn't die alone.
Now you've got, like, you know, sometimes you don't want to talk when you're on the respawn timer because your team is focused. Now you've got a teammate to talk to. Like, hey man, what you doing later today?
You know what also is that feels bad moment of realizing Kikru is such a low level? He spawns before Streak Up.
Yes, he died afterwards, but still spawns beforehand. And he needs to be on the map as much as possible because, look, being 0-6 at 14 minutes is not a good look for anybody. Even old Bastet passive isn't stoked about that. But also, Kikru went for Gauntlet of Thieves. Gauntlet of Thieves is a slow to build up build. Kikru is as tough as paper right now to Insignum.
It's like watching a car accident get even worse, and Insignum are not looking to let up on the gas pedal either because they have been absolutely reminding Kikru every single possible opportunity. Speaking of which, Who the Best could be in a lot of trouble here, forced to use the uppercut defensively, but he's still going to stay alive, and this could be a very real Gold Fury opportunity by Victoria's Secret. Probably the best option they've had. this game so far.
Oh, but look at Death Panther. He's lining up this snipe. Here it comes through space and time. Gonna rip straight through. Gold Fury goes down. Victoria's Secret gets it, but Lasbra is gonna find Kikru yet again. But he doesn't really care at this point. How could he? Lasbra gets away, low HP, stun on a 0, confirms the last shot from Streak Up's ultimate. So 1 for 0. Kikru for a Gold Fury. That's an absolute win for Victoria's Secret. What's the difference?
It's a win for Kikru, too.
Yeah, it is. I mean, what's the difference between 6 and 7 deaths? Not really a big one. Sixer, though, gets himself a little bit baited. Thorns shouldn't dissuade Insignum for long, and it does not. 5 in a row now for the mid laner in Death Panther. He's got half of Insignum's kills after starting out 0-1. Death Panther now sitting at 5-1-4. Is that okay? I'm not going to do it.
Spent dead.
I wish Toli was here to do the math on if that's longer than the rest of everyone else combined in the game. I don't think it is. Just with my mental math, which is not strong, by the way. I'll
No,
be
it's
upfront about
just
that.
a little bit behind, but
It's close enough. It's close enough to where you go.
do you ever have those games where like you're feeding your brains out and you can't help it? And
Me?
I think this is
Never.
one of those instances though where Kikru, he has his like first 2 deaths, and then Insignum realized, hey, we can just continuously punish this guy off cooldown. So Victoria's Secret, I think there were moments where they were trying to take the initiative and be the aggressors. It's just Insignum completely turned it around by just immediately uppercutting Kikru into oblivion and then demolishing him once he lands. But I always feel really bad when I have these odd number score lines. I honestly feel better feeding at like 0-10 than I do at 0-7. Do you like get that?
No. I do not
I don't know. It's
get
just like
that.
certain numbers. It makes you feel like you're more useless than what you like may have been.
Sure. Yeah, okay. I
At
kind of
least
feel
like
that.
0-10, it's like you've clearly been focused out or something. But 0-7, it's like you probably could have prevented at least 4 of those.
Okay, so Kikru right now feels pretty bad, but if he just dies 3 more times,
He'll feel a lot
it wasn't
better.
his fault.
It wasn't his fault. No.
Nice. Okay. Well, I mean, to be honest, we've been so focused on Kikru's scoreline, we haven't really touched on the gold lead because that is in Victoria's Secret's favor. As a heavy commit now onto the Hercules and a triple stun, big bombs as well from Mr. Stefan, and everyone from Insignum is forced to run. Who the best has been left behind, and Mr. Stefan will find that kill. Ultimate from Joshi, definitely late in that situation. Sixer is not the man you want to commit that many resources to. He survives, and all of Insignum forced back. That honestly, if Streak Up's by Fire Giant, that's a big boy Fire Giant pull. But with your Hunter on the left side of the map, Pyromancer is the best Victoria's Secret can do. Kikru lived, by the way.
Kikru did live. He survived to tank up the Pyromancer just long
My
enough
boy.
for Mr. Stefan. I think the Pyromancer actually did some numbers on him because
I mean,
his
he
health
is
was
not
a lot
tanky.
higher.
He is not tanky at all. He's almost got the sovereignty. Only 126 protections, a little over 2k health. That is not enough for a support at this point in the game. For comparison, can we take a look at who the best and where his protections and health are overall? Yeah, 131 and 126, 23k HP, an extra 200 HP, a bunch more magical defense now that he's finished off that Heartward Amulet. And of course, those are auras, which will provide some extra defense in the form of Fizz and Match Brats for his teammates.
That's just Insignum swarming together in the wrong spot, wrong time. Because if they take up that engagement in a little bit more of an open area and are a bit more spread out, they don't just get clustered into Kikru's ultimate on top of Mr. Stefan's bombs. It was just way too much AoE damage for them to handle. And when you gather that many Insignia members in the same spot, I mean, Mr. Stefan's not behind.
No, he's not. He's level 17 and has been doing great work in this game as well. There's the blink forward and the Fear No Evil. Doesn't do a whole lot. Through space of time, almost landed on Mr. Stefan, but Hudabest may have saved him for a moment, but now we'll make sure that Zero finds that kill. Lazra very low. He jumps out, but Streak Up has that ultimate available and could be looking for a double kill now for Zero as he finds Kikru 0-8. Makes it feel a little better because at least it's an even number, right, Taco?
Exactly. See, now you're getting it.
Now I'm
T1
there.
tower under siege, but it seems as though Insignum are more interested in trying to take out Sixer yet again, as opposed to the tower. They will manage to claim this T1 in mid, opening up the map pressure just a little bit more, but even better still, Gold Fury just about to respawn, and Victoria's Secret, they were the ones who got the last gold, which is what gave them that lead to begin with, but now Insignum have an opportunity here to maybe tighten the gap, if not overcome it entirely.
Zero with another great team fight. 4-2-4 for the Osiris. He's looked really good so far this game. Didn't have him last week, and Signum was using a sub in that lane. And Zero's game has really grown during the Season 5. Definitely become an impressive solo laner in his own right as Gold Fury down to about half HP. Sixer going to deliver Zero, who pops the Thorns to keep Streak up off his back. As through space of time again, big commit onto this Hercules. This time, it will again not prove fruitful for the moment. Streak up finds Zero. Sixer still alive. He'll escape for the moment as Joshi tries to find him, but Mr. Steffenar's already knocked down Death Panther. Streak up will find another one, a double kill. And Lasbra and the rest of Insignum at some point have got to learn their lesson. Hercules is not the target to use that many skills on Victoria's Secret solo laner. Again, wins a team fight by just being one tanky boy.
There's nothing Hudabest can do right now. The wall from Kiku gonna just further ensure that Hudabest is not gonna be able to make it to this Fire Giant. He's trying to venture over there, but with Kiku left to mess with him, I don't even think that anything else is gonna happen other than Hudabest dying as soon as Insignum are losing this Fire Giant.
And there he goes. You called it. A deicide. There's no chance in the world.
I like
Hudabest
contesting it. I like the no, not in this instance. I wanted to like elaborate
Sure, yeah,
a little
I'm
bit
sorry.
there.
I gotta have
trust me,
myself.
I'm not that fried yet.
I was gonna say, you're really on your F dot nonsense if you like try to contest that one.
It's fine to contest Fire Giants, don't get me wrong. Like, sometimes you really do have the opportunity, like, if there's only 3 people alive from Victoria's Secret trying to do the Fire Giant, I totally understand Hudabest going over there. All 5 members fully alive and healthy and well, and you're still trying to go in there as a half-health level 13 Kumbhakarna. My guy, you gotta relax a little bit.
Victoria's Secret get the Fire Giant and the Gold Fury. Off, and you know what? I was going to say it as a joke, but it's kind of true. A lot of it off the back of Kikru the Panda. He's had some big freezes this game. He's also died 8 times, but he's the same level now as Hudabest. He's got his Midgardian mail. He hates his teammates because he didn't go for Sovereignty or Hardwood Amulet, but that's fine. He got Gauntlet of Thebes, so at least he's got some sort of aura. I mean, he needed some selfish defense items with how much he was getting focused. Midgardian I don't have that much of a problem with. But this is now a serious problem for Insignum because this is where the focus, the support strategy goes wrong. He's 0-8, but the rest of the team only has 1 death apiece. Everyone from Marcus to Sixer, Mr. Steffen, Streak Up, they all got to farm freely in the early game.
But that's what I don't understand is that Insignum went from focusing out a non-squishy target in the early game to build up a decent lead and some momentum into trying to tackle Sixer with all of their ultimates at the same exact time. And
yeah,
I just feel as though this level 19 Hercules is not going to take any damage that's going to be relevant anytime soon. They've got to focus on the backline, which is what they're trying to do right now as Insignum look to make their base defense.
Mr. Steffen's beads are down, courtesy of the blink forward from Hudabest, who will find Streak Up with that ultimate immediately, and Fear to Weevil separates the team fight perfectly. Streak Up's going to fall, number 13 now. Lucky number 13 for Insignum. Mr. Steffen returns to try and put some damage out. A sprint popped by Kikru, but still mezzed and slowed. Did get the beads there from Death Panther and still on the run, but that blink was just a little bit too late. Lasbra's got to use the beads, but he'll confirm the kill onto Kikru as Mr. Steffen now trying to get on the retreat.
Mr. Steffen might be able to escape. I don't think Insignum will want to chase much further. They've already accomplished their primary goal, and that was keep their Phoenix protected. Victoria's Secret, I don't even think we're able to make a scratch against that bird, and now Insignum, one more time, have the game back in their favor, I would say, despite Victoria's Secret still remaining with 3 members on FG. It's clear they're going to have a really tough time taking down this Phoenix so long as Lasbra is alive and well, and I think Streak Up even got so disoriented from that Fear No Evil, he ended up rolling into the Phoenix.
Well, it was Fear No Evil and Darkest of Night at the same time, so he really was a little bit cross-eyed there whenever you land and get out of that fear. I don't know how much I like Victoria's Secret going for Phoenix there. I mean, they've got a pretty commanding lead, 6,000-7,000. They've got a Fire Giant, but it isn't enhanced. They aren't that far ahead in their builds. And there's gold on the map to take. I think that going for mid and right tier 2 there, get that 3,000 gold spread across your team. That'll let you finish some key items, and then you fight around the next Gold Fury, the next Fire Giant, and you've got a significant advantage now There's still an advantage from Victoria's Secret, but it's not as much as it could have been.
It's the risk versus reward. It's a classic catch-22 where if you're able to take out the Phoenix, then you're probably going to be able to conquer the rest of the map, because once you breach one Phoenix, it becomes so difficult to actually drop that game unless you deliberately throw pretty hard. Speaking of which, Zero trying to take out Streak Up yet again. I don't think he has any actives, forced into the Astral Barrage. Meanwhile, Mr. Stefan left all by himself in the back end.
Lasbro just waiting for Streak Up on the return down, and Fear No Evil was dropped immediately. Who the best? Oh, epic uppercut. Couldn't quite find a home there. On to Mr. Stefan, and Wall from Kikru will stop the aggression from Insignum as they'll turn their attention back towards the Pyromancer. Love the way that Insignum played that. They all hang around Death Panther and wait for Zero to get pushed into the enemy team and then just file in through space and time. Really nicely done to play around their soul lane or kind of dangle them out on a string. They'll dangle Zero again as he comes in, eats a freeze and a bomb stun, but Mr. Stefan's now all out of relics and it could be out of time as well. Death Panther will find his 6th kill. There's only 3 members left standing now for Victoria's Secret, but Insignum is fairly weak. They've got 5 in numbers, but health bars don't look too good.
They still have their CC chains available, however, and Sixer going to toss out that Herc Boulder. Won't connect with anybody in terms of stealing the objective, but he's still looking to give some chase. Zero hitting him with the sickle, just making sure that he can slow him as much as possible. Sixer still wants more, though. He's trying to stop these backs as much as possible, because if his team can respawn and just rush the Fire Giant, it'll be tough for Insigno to respond with these delayed backs.
Streak Up is going to the left side of the map off his respawn, so it looks like that is not the call. As Insignum do have a lot of ward coverage on that right side. Not a lot of it aggressive. That's the only ward that Six are standing on that is on the opposite side of the map. But would have given Insignum enough information to stop a Fire Giant pull, so not a bad idea from Streak Up to head to the left. Pick up a pretty important red buff for himself and start heading back. Streak Up should have his relics back and available. That was the big difference maker in that fight, is that Streak Up just couldn't play. He used the ultimate right away and was dead upon landing. Now that he's got relics, he's in a much safer spot, as Kikru already down to half HP.
Kikru's got to be careful here. His team can't really afford to have him back just yet, because that's going to prompt Insignum to just want to pull the Fire Giant immediately, choke point the members of Victoria's Secret more towards that Fire Giant pit, give Death Panther the openings that he's looking for in catching everybody off guard with the through space and time. Mr.
Stefan's the one without relics, and he's the only squishy without beads or Aegis available. That's critical, and you know that that's in the mind of Insignum right now.
Mr. Stefan might be the only player they really want. Speaking of which, Marcus is going to lose that through the Cosmos on the Ratatasker. He's got to be driven into safety, and Insignum, Joshi did toss out his Darkest Night, and that means go for Kikru the Panda.
Joshi has the beads, and Fear No Evil dropped to force Kikru and Sixer back. Through space and time committed again onto a Hercules who just doesn't care about that damage. And if he did, he still had teleport to come on back. Now that's Fear No Evil down. Mr. Stefan feels much safer without his relics. No Aegis still for 2 more seconds. Has Aegis, and beads are up in 15, so he's safe and sound, whereas Joshi lost his beads in that little skirmish.
Hudabest still has that blink epic uppercut, though, and that, I think, is the main thing Mr. Stefan is really trying to be super cautious about. Speaking of which, he's lining it up. He's trying to get these beads preemptively.
Well, he got him. Well, the ultimate, that is. Beads still weren't up for Mr. Stefan. On the backside, though, Joshi is on the run, has to use the Aegis. Marcus was hunting him, but up into the sky goes Streak Up. Nice driving strike, sets up the shot from the Hunter. Nice and easy there from Sixer and the duo lane member. Hudabest frozen, walled off. Crit is working now for Streak Up, and Hudabest falls to the hand of Kikru. 1-9, much better than 0-9, I think. Lasbra's beads now down. Roll forward from Streak Up through the wall, catches him with the cripple and the slow. Nice shot there. Streak Up notches his 6th kill. He's looked really, really good in this debut in the duo lane for Victoria's Secret.
Streak Up is putting the team on his back right now. That's what it feels like to me, because it's either been Mr. Stefan or Streak Up that have been making huge plays to keep Victoria's Secret just slightly one step ahead of Insignum, and Insignum have not looked clean in these past few engagements. It just seems as though they're so scatterbrained and disoriented in their shot calling, they can't really pick a target to commit to, and in the end, they usually end up just breaking so far apart from each other that Victoria's Secret are just more than happy to pick them off.
Fire Giant started by Victoria's Secret. Zero's here Wishes he wasn't. Look at the crits coming through from Streak Up. Sixer will find his second kill of the game, but all that damage was courtesy of the two you were just mentioning, Mr. Steffen and Streak Up. Second Fire Giant of the game goes down in favor of Victoria's Secret. Death Panther almost stole it away, but was not able to do so, and this Fire Giant will be enhanced. Still mid and tier 2 tower on the right are both still up, so Titan is pretty tanky at this point. Victoria's Secret may elect to knock those towers down first before attempting a Phoenix Siege yet again.
If Zero doesn't have his Thorns available, he can't afford to go match up against Streak Up. It's just too much damage now between the triple crit, and this is a late game ROM.
Yeah.
He's full slotted, probably has a power pot online as well, even though it's probably just the 500 power pot. Yes, he does, thanks to that red glow around him. That's the main distinguishing fact there, but Zero just looked like mincemeat, pretty much. It was just torn apart the second that he showed his face.
Well, he has Hide of the Nemean Lion. He's got the Thorns as well, but not a ton of HP in that build. And no chin size for Streak Up means that doesn't hurt him by having a ton of HP. I think the thing that he's missing, though, 6 slot. Spectral armor, I mean, that really helps against these crit builds.
Spectral could go a long ways here for Zero, but as to whether or not I'll take it is a completely different story. It's not a very commonly built item. I think that it's kind of undervalued even during these sort of games specifically. And Streak Up is just abusing what he can because there's only one Thorns on the side of Insignum, and as long as he's avoiding Zero, which a late game ROM should never really be focusing the warrior frontline anyway, he'll probably end up two-shotting Death Panther, Lasbra, Joshi, and that's what's been happening more often than not.
Bomb does half of Death Panther's health there and forces him back to base. Blink forward from Who to Best as Darkness of Nights comes out from Joshi. Joshi's already very low as Marcus finds the knockup, but Who to Best actually gets pushed out of that ultimate from Sixer, and a huge fear to evil from Lasbra. Who to Best is able to escape, and Zero's going in. He'll find the kill on a Streak Up, whose relics were down through space and time, clips Mr. Steffen down to half HP. Death Panther returns the favor from earlier on. Victoria's Secret get the right side Phoenix, but they're going to lose a lot for it. Nice bomb there from Mr. Steffen, does big damage onto Joshi. His beads are down, and Sixer will finish him for it, but Death Panther responds onto Mr. Steffen. Sixer will be next. He won't be able to get out of that.
Wait.
And all of a sudden, 4 members dead. What happened there, Taco?
Wait. There's no way. Insignia might be able to possibly end off of this. If they just shove it down the mid lane, it's only Marcus alive left to try and defend.
Only 20 seconds on Kikru and Streak Up.
It's at least a Phoenix. It's got to be at least a Phoenix.
You could definitely attempt a Phoenix in this situation. Not sure it's guaranteed without Joshi. That's the big deal here. Is
True.
That Death Panther makes sure alongside Sixer that Joshi falls, and that's critical. Joshi never got his Aegis off in that corridor. Walking into those narrow corridors when there's an Agni on the enemy squad is a risky proposition, and Insignum pay for it in a small price by losing their Hunter. They only get a tier 2 tower for it. They'll get the red buff invade and likely the Gold Fury. But they did lose their right side Phoenix. Now, if there's a Phoenix to lose, it is that right side.
The main difference in that fight compared to all the other ones we've been seeing from Insignum that we've known to not be very clean and have looked super sloppy, it's Lasbra finally connects with a good Fear No Evil. Most of his Fear No Evils have been like single or double targets at most, but that was the first time I think that we saw 4 people actually get caught up inside of that Humbat's ultimate, and it just makes it all too easy to swarm your damage around that.
There's a lot of things that'll win you team fights very quickly, but hitting a 4-man Fear No Evil for nearly a full duration is one of the easiest ways to win a team fight.
All shoved into that wall too along the right-hand side. That was probably the worst part about it for Victoria's Secret, is even if they wanted to directly escape, it's not like they were getting pushed outside of the circle. They were just being pushed further into a wall.
Speaking of pushes, Sixer, remember, pushed Who to Best out of that Shards of Ice from Kikru the Panda and saved his life in the process. That ended up being pretty impactful because then everyone grouped around where Who to Best was going to, and that's what enabled Lasbra to find that big Fear No Evil. Fire Giant due to respawn in 25 seconds or so, and Insignum is pushing up this right side wave. This is why I mentioned that this is the Phoenix to lose. If you're going to lose one, is the one closest to the Fire Giant. It allows you to clear out fire minions easily while still being in correct position to defend the objective.
pretty chunk of Sixers' health just got lost there, and off of one unstable vortex from Death Panther. I believe that was a Soul Reaver proc, and
Yep.
and it's a nice reminder, I think, towards Victoria's Secret that this isn't going to be a game that they just walk all over and sing them to win.
Sixer pushing forward alongside Kikru. Kikru does have the blink. Nicely backsteps that unstable vortex. Fire Giant's up now, and Streak Up has the crit, which means that the objective time, the time you need to be on the objective is not very long for your ROM to make it work. Wall not very effective against Zero, but Freeze is. There's the Fear No Evil though from Lasbra, came around the back with the blink. Mr. Steffen on the run, crits coming down from Lasbra, and he finds it onto Mr. Steffen. Sixer very low, and Marcus looking for Lasbra, but couldn't quite find the knockup because of the Magi's cloak. Sixer down very, very low, and Death Panther will clap him down with the unstable vortex. Kikru surrounded again. He's already at 10, and that's a much prettier number than 11. Joshi with number 3 for himself, and 3 for Zero is the exchange in Insignum's favor.
That couldn't have gone any better for Insignum. Not only do they get the 3 picks, but everybody will be able to safely back. Phoenix is freshly respawned. Josh is going to be the last one heading back to base, so Marcus won't even have an opportunity to look for the pick there. And now, as a full 5-man grouping, they could very easily tackle this Fire Giant. And if Streak Up and Marcus want to contest it, they can go for it because they'll most likely end up dead.
Not something that we see a lot of when a team wins a team fight, then immediately all back. But I think this is the perfect opportunity to do it. The only worry that I would have as Insignum is whether or not Sixer will be up in time to use Teleport and get in there and try and contest. Teleport is available for Sixer, but Fire Giant will be dead before he gets color returned to his screen. Insignum get their first Fire Giant of the game.
I'm surprised all 5 members from Victoria's Secret don't have a Magi's Cloak. They've got 3 out of 5 running them right now, but I think having that free purification beads against either the Kumbhakarna Mez into the Epic Uppercut or even the Fear No Evil could buy not Mr. Steffen, but Marcus or Kikru enough time to really work with, because I've noticed them getting CC'd out.
Right.
And then they don't come back in as Insignum focus other targets.
Yeah, gotta say, not a fan at all of this late hide of the Urchin for Kikru. I mean, Victoria's Secret wasn't really dominating team fights at any point. They were winning some, but usually only 2 or 3 members at a time. Magi's, I think, would serve Kikru a little bit better. Who to best delivered into the backline, but that's exactly where he wants to be. Death Panther finds Kikru as Streak Up has to use the beads, try and get out of the danger from Who to Best. Now uses the ultimate, and shots are good. Onto Joshi. He'll roll away upon landing and use the Aegis, but Zero still trying to make it happen. Sixer with a really nice peel. Sixer's Hercules has been very impressive so far this game, but not impressive enough to save the right side. Phoenix and Signum answer back and get a Phoenix of their own.
And it's the same one that Victoria's Secret had claimed not even 10 minutes ago. And now Insignum able to pressure one more time. Zero getting wrapped up into the Phoenix, eating a lot more poke than what he anticipated. Gonna have to back off and try to regen just a little bit longer. Speaking of which, Who to Best gets a nice mez off of the Streak Up.
Oh, but he got underneath that Phoenix, dashes away from the portal, but that could just bait Marcus into a bad spot here because Lasbra was waiting. Zero took a ton of damage there, almost died. Then he backed, and he's back because he has teleport. Teleported to the ward in that right side jungle. By the way, final item for Zero was the Spectral Armor. That's the reason why he survives. And check it out, actually. Streak Up sold his entire crit build in response. Outplayed Zero.
He was waiting for it.
Sells the entire build to go for the penetration. Not the most efficient use of gold, but
it doesn't
potentially
matter with this
effective,
late.
right? Like, you're not usually spending it on anything else anyways. Delays a 3K pot, but it's worth it to get more effectiveness out of your total item build. It's worked out so far for Streak Up. I wonder if Zero will now sell that Spectral Armor in response.
Streak Up's relying pretty heavily, though, on this Magi's Cloak as his only form of CC protection. The moment that Who to Best or Lasbra decides to actually commit to him could be super problematic. Speaking of which, there goes the Fear No Evil. Onto Mr. Steffen, gonna claim that Magi's Cloak proc, but it's gonna be the mid-Phoenix that the Insignum are looking towards.
Oh, Zero gonna go up and down with the ultimate. Through space, the time came through. Nice wall actually saves Mr. Steffen from some damage. Aegis will as well, but a crit right when Lasbra needed it. Finds the kill onto Mr. Steffen. Mid-Phoenix still standing though with Marcus, Kikru, and Streak Up. still on the map. It won't be exactly free for Insignum. Blink from Lasbra, teleports to a minion, wanted to teleport there on the streak up, but was a little bit late on the reactivation of the Sacred Monkey. Hudabest doing his best to be the best.
I think that ward just ate an auto attack that might have hit onto Hudabest.
That's next level strats. Insignum don't get the mid Phoenix here. A little bit surprised, and for me it kind of comes back to Lasbra was lurking around that right side. He had put Marcus down to half HP, and StreakUp's beads were down, but Lasbra's Fear No Evil didn't hit onto the ADC. That's got to be the primary target.
He was looking for Mr. Stefan the whole time, though. I think that Lasbra is just on Mr. Stefan patrol, because the moment that Mr. Stefan shows up, whether he has that Mad Guy's cloak on or not, Lasbra is still dropping that Fear No Evil every single given opportunity, and I can't tell if it's working against Insignum or for them, because he did end up killing Mr. Stefan, but everybody else on his team gets incredibly low because they're still trying to tank up the Phoenix while also prioritizing picks.
Right.
I think that's been the big thing here for Insignum, is that they could have probably sieged the Phoenixes a little bit sooner here, but they've been looking mostly towards actually securing or confirming kills to look for a game end as opposed to taking it piece by piece.
Well, now we're sitting at nearly 42 minutes in, and Insignum 26-17 in the lead in the kill department. But for a 42-minute game to have a goal difference be less than 200 is pretty absurd. This has been a Victoria's Secret game for the majority of it, but Insignum now clearly in the driver's seat at this point in the game.
It's their experience, the player experience alone. I think Mr. Stefan is the only member from Victoria's Secret that we are familiar with having had higher end level play experience, and so it starts to take apart. I mean, best of 3 sets going into a 40+ minute game can be draining on you mentally.
It really can be, knowing that, especially ones where you were in the lead, you feel like you should have won, now it's still going on, little mistakes are happening that are tough.
It's the Phoenix Siege. The right-hand Phoenix Siege is where it all went downhill for Victoria's Secret. They were clearly ahead, clearly in command, and then Insignum just 180s the entire match.
Bomb not going to land there for Mr. Stefan, who's just looking for poke before this Phoenix Siege begins. Marcus meets up with Lasbra yet again in the mid lane, and yet again, Lasbra wins that poke trade. But Marcus has the semi-global ultimate. Lasbra needs to rely on his blink to get him close enough to that engagement. And speaking of semi-global, here comes Marcus. He's going to find a big knock-up there. Death Panther has to use the beads and is forced away, but Lasbra straight into the back line. Fear No Evil hits a couple. Mr. Stefan's beads are down. Through space of time, nearly hit Streak Up, but a well-timed rolling assault gets him out of danger. Marcus in a bit of danger himself. Crits coming through from Lasbra, but not enough to bring down the pretty tanky Ratatosker, who's built nearly entirely tanked. The tanks underneath this right side Phoenix. Hudabest walled off. Shards of Ice does literally no damage to him. As Phoenix still standing for the moment, but Joshy's really healthy here, and that's the one you got to worry about taking down your objective.
Look at Lasbra, though, just harassing Marcus and the other members of Victoria's Secret from the backside, and that's what you need your Humbats to do this late into the game. Every little detour that you can get the enemy team to pay attention to is exactly what you want when you're trying to siege.
Blink forward, Death Panther, no beads, but he gets the Aegis off in time before that bomb stun connects. He's trying to get away, but Marcus won't let him. Kikru fell in response, but that's certainly a win so far for Victoria's Secret. Big bombs coming through for Mr. Stefan, but Joshy still stands, as does Lasbra. That's probably enough to force Insignum back off this Phoenix, though. Without Death Panther, he's been a big part of the damage, top of the player damage charts. 50K for the Giannis. Hudabest, the only one seems interested in staying on the right, because the rest of Insignum's going for the left Phoenix.
They're going straight for mid. Screw the right-hand side. They'd rather take it, run it down mid. Lasbra gonna pop the Fear No Evil, but he's gonna end up losing his life. Sixer claiming that one. And it just felt unnecessary.
Yeah, what is that call? To do my best F-Dot impression, I just hate that call. I just don't like it at all. I mean, you've already been stuffed on the right side, and that's the weakened Phoenix. What makes you think, let's go for the Phoenix that will be harder for us to get?
It's so crazy, it might just work. Have you ever encountered those sort of circumstances?
It's a ranked call, like where it's just the no juke is the best juke. you
The
know,
rank goal is to continue fighting there.
Sure. I mean, they did. They continued fighting just in the
I mean,
worst
like,
spot for them to fight.
even after you see your teammate die, you're like, we're all inning this.
Right.
But I think some of the frustration from multiple failed Phoenix attempts have just started to play a little bit more into effect here. It's kind of like that trickle-down effect. You know, you see the right Phoenix, it teases you a little bit. You can see the end of the game is near and that you guys might be able to close out the set 2-0. But Victoria's Secret are just not going to let this one go.
Budapest flux back. This is off the blinked freeze from Kikru, but this is the Kumbhakarna. Victoria's Secret may be falling victim here to what Insignum had problems with earlier, focusing the tank and using too many abilities there. Sprint used as roll forward from Streak Up. Budapest still nice and safe. He's a fully, 6-item level 20 Kumbhakarna, aka invincible for the majority of the team fight. Pyromancer will be claimed by Insignum. I guess not a lot was used there, but a couple ultimates. Kikru and Sixer both used their ults. That's a blink and a sprint, and beads were used there by Mr. Stefan. Though Death Panther had to use his beads as well, so not all bad, I suppose. Still not a fan of that decision to commit onto a Kumbhakarna at this point.
Well, you might see some more commit onto a tank here because Kikru could be sent flying in a moment. Fear No Evil instead going to be dropped on top of Kikru's head. Crits are coming through and some decent damage is being applied, but he still hasn't fallen.
Marcus going to find a 3-man knockup. Lazarus beads a little late, but it doesn't hurt him quite yet. Joshi has to use the Aegis as Excavate came through from Sixer, as do the snipes from Streak Up. Zero and Budapest creating a great front line. It has been a real nightmare for anyone from Victoria's Secret to get past either of those frontliners so far in this game.
Well, Lasbra is completely on the run, and so Insignum get the pick, and Kikru's going to be out for 50 seconds, which is pretty lucky since Lasbra had to back.
He got to 14 deaths. That looks a lot better than 13 deaths.
There is a cutoff line. I think 12 is the cutoff.
Oh, 12's the cutoff? I don't know.
12 is the cutoff.
14 looks better than 13 for sure. Like aesthetically. 13 is not
I'm telling you,
it
really
number.
is something about the odd numbers. Nobody likes, well, I can't say nobody because some people go crazy about Friday the 13th and all that good stuff. But
I'm a big fan of the number 5. I think 5 is very aesthetically pleasing for an odd number.
My birthday's on the 5th. Not this month, though.
All right, well. I'm just going to tell you happy birthday every 5th of the month until I'm eventually right. It'll only take me at max 11 guesses. We'll get there eventually. I don't know. I mean,
do it.
3 isn't that good, but it's not that bad. A lot of people like the number 3. One is pretty solid. 1's clean.
It's hard to think though that you're 50% of a team's kills. That's gotta.
Oh, we're back to the game.
Play a little bit into part. Yeah, we're back on the game, and Kikru has certainly felt the consequences of playing an immobile support in a competitive level match against a draft that, quite frankly, loves collapsing on top of completely immobile targets like Amir. Even when he ults, he puts himself like dead in place. That's ideal.
I mean, Kikru does have a ton of HP. I actually really like this combination of selling boots for Winged Blade and Relic Dagger.
Oh yeah, no.
He ends up with a ton more HP, more mobility total than just having one set of boots and the effects of both of those items. So I do like the build overall. He sold the Hide of the Urchin for a Mantle of Discord, which makes way more sense. I don't have a problem with the overall build. It's just Ymir is tough to play at this level. There's a reason that we rarely see it.
And it's how long it took him to get to that moment.
He's got almost 4K HP.
I would have liked to have seen this build a little bit sooner, though. Like him prioritizing it earlier on as opposed to picking up some of the more unnecessary items that we did see earlier on.
Like Sixer has 1,000 less health almost than the Ymir. That's actually nuts. Ymir, I believe one of the best. Oh, hold that thought. Through Space and Time came through on the right-hand side as Marcus and Lasbra were going at it yet again, but Fear No Evil and Through Space and Time committed, and Marcus just goes up into the sky and isn't worried about it. Now, it did distract Victoria's Secret. They couldn't match that rotation speed, and they got to the right side. Phoenix, that was already weakened. Mr. Stefan weakened himself. He's dead. So is Streak Up. Double kill for Lasbra. Next up is going to be Sixer. Budapest finds that one. 31 in total now. Kikru makes it 15, a nice odd number, as Insignum in 50 minutes take down Victoria's Secret. Anything but easy, but they get it done.
Does that count as a backdoor? It almost
kind of
felt,
like
it felt a
backdoor.
little bit like a backdoor of the Phoenix.
I actually really
It's
like that
diagonal.
idea. Like, there's no way, even if you pop sprint, there's no way
You can't match it.
you can catch them going to right side Phoenix. They didn't kill Marcus, and that probably should have been a one team fight for Victoria's Secret, but just too much damage on a Death Panther very quickly. Lasber gets a nice double with that monkey toss onto the 2 carries. Ends up not really paying off for Victoria's Secret, but I love the mentality and the call overall from Insignum.
It was very innovative, I think, from Insignum, and I want to know who made that shot call. I'm feeling it might have been riding on the back of Death Panther, maybe Lasborough Fusion combined. When they were here at the LAN, they spoke of how there didn't really feel like one direct shot caller, how it was kind of just everybody contributing from one of their core roles.
Sure.
The stuff that they saw in the late game team fights, and that's kind of the transition you expect to see with teams as the match progresses. But I think it was a brilliant idea. It finally broke apart this like Mexican standoff that they had going off, and they just could not seem to really break through either way.
I mean, it's the reverse of the field, right? In rugby or ultimate frisbee, you use the entire field. Soccer, you pull the whole team to one side, throw the pass backwards to the other, and then you're able to go up the field that way, and that's exactly what Insignum do. Congratulations to them. They find the 2-0 victory. But it wasn't as easy as I think a lot of people would have thought. Let's throw it to the desk to break it down.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, Taco. And it is Insignum who come out with that 2-0. But just like Ryan said, I don't think the 2-0 really tells the full story there, Tolly. I mean, Victoria's Secret able to make this very close there in Game 2.
It was definitely off of the back of the Ratatasker Marcus that was playing a lot better performance than the Robin that he had in the first game. Going 3-1-12 in the second game made it more difficult for Insignum with a global pressure. But fighting global pressure with global pressure, Marcus's Ratatasker had to deal with Death Panther's Giannis.
Yes.
Not the easiest in the world, especially when you're a Ymir player for Kikru the Panda, trying to find people in those jungle skirmishes, and then all of a sudden there's portals going sideways, diagonally, helping out teammates. Not to mention, the Ymir pick hurts late game because of the way the Phoenixes kind of panned out. It's a little bit wider. The walls are not as effective in Season 5 as they were in Season 4. So closing games out with Ymir, much more difficult.
And for me, the big problem for them when you got into the late game, because I agree that some of their comp kind of fell off, but also Insignum's teamfight comp really came to fruition, Tolly. The Unbate, the Fear No Evil, into the Shibalanke ultimate. There were several times where members just got lost in the fight. On Victoria's Secret side, I mean, I think there was a point where we saw a streak up dash into the Phoenix almost because he got so disoriented. I mean, he knows the right way to dash, but in that moment when you're, when so much is happening and you lose your bearings, you get disoriented. And that's what they did such a good job in those team fights of breaking up Victoria's Secret, making it impossible for them to siege and punishing well.
And this is a good test for Insignum because they were truly tested in this specific game. Teams can obviously do really well in close out games, but the true testing ground is how well you can play on the defensive side, and Insignum performed well, held their own. The amount of confusion that they applied between the Fear No Evil, between the Darkest of Nights, and then also through space and time, allowed them to bounce back in this game.
Well, they really did have an excellent set here, as did Victoria's Secret. I think that not really moral victories, but they can at least try and build upon the things they did right here in this game for sure. But let's go ahead and take a look where everyone ends up shaking out after this game and some of the other games as well. We can see Insignum still sitting alone at the top of Europe with a 4-0. They've been doing a great job in North America. Voltic and Very Nice to Me, both doing very well as well. 3-0.
That's true. Doing a good job, Insignum, finding the win against Burrito in Week 1. Optimus Gang as well. Still need to find their footing is Victoria's Secret, unfortunately. Losing to both Fear No Evil and Burrito in the first week is not how you want to start off the split, but there's still this week and then 4 more weeks after.
Well, let's see what matches are coming up, and maybe there is an opportunity for them to try and find their footing here. Or at the very least, we'll get a chance to see what other matches are coming up here. Tomorrow, we're going to be seeing Anxiety Onset up against Space Station Gold. That's a big-time matchup. Anxiety Onset, formerly #1 against Space Station Gold, who went through a lot of roster swaps last split and this one. But I'm really looking forward to that. Very nice to be set at the end to see just how well that team is still able to play up against this Pablo.
Friday matchup, the highlight. They always say Friday is the best day, and that's for a good reason.
It's Friday. Got to get down on Friday.
I'm not going to continue this bit.
There's no bit. You got to get down on Fridays. Everybody knows that. But we do also have later on coming on in the day some SPL as well. So there's plenty more Smite for you all to enjoy from an esports standpoint. So we absolutely do want to thank you all for joining us for the Minor League, 3 p.m. Eastern. We'll be right back with you for the SPL. So make sure you check that out as well.